The little girl standing before us is pouring poison on herself. There's no fear in her eyes, only anticipation, because she seeks revenge. Her target for vengeance is none other than her father, who claims to love her daily, Duke Eldir. Her name is Ariadne Eldir, the Duke Eldir's sole heir, but what outsiders don't know is she has been imprisoned since age 4, unable to even see her own mother. The reason is that she's undergoing secret training as the heir to Duke Eldir. Here, she has become a tool for poison testing, living each day on the edge between life and death. One day suddenly, her mother came to her in tears, looking at her daughter covered in wounds. She cried and said, "It's my fault. I'm so sorry. I won't let this happen to you anymore." This isn't learning, it's abuse. The girl was only 7 and didn't understand what her mother meant, and after that day, Mother never appeared again. She asked her father where Mother had gone. The man told her that Mother had embarked on a long journey. If you continue working hard in your training, Mother will return soon. She joyfully threw herself into her father's embrace, firmly believing that through her own efforts, she would surely reunite with Mother. Not long after, looking at the scars on her arms, she suddenly felt very tired. Perhaps God opened his eyes as chaotic fragments of death memories surfaced in her mind. Those were memories from her previous life. And as the memories deepened, she entered a mysterious library. Here she found her answers. It turned out she was living inside an apocalyptic novel. This was a story about fighting to save the world. The protagonist failed to prevent tragedy from occurring in their quest to save the world. In the end, the world was destroyed. In this absurdly concluded novel, she was merely a supporting character, briefly mentioned by the author in just a few strokes. The book said the father had 2 children, an adopted daughter from a side branch who lacked her own spirit power but became a genius spirit master, while she, his biological daughter possessing spirit power, had her life frozen at age 16. Though the cause of death wasn't specified, the reason was obvious. Looking at the countless wounds on her body, Ariadne finally realized the fate she was about to face. She was merely a chess piece in her father's hands. How disgusting, after doing those things to his own daughter. How dare he still claim to love her? Did father kill mother? There was no evidence in the original work, but if he truly killed mother, someday I will kill you with my own hands. To change this predetermined fate and the damned ending of this novel, she could only bide her time and wait for the right moment. Finally, she waited for her grandfather, whom she had never met. To maintain appearances, the maid dressed her in gorgeous clothes and brought her to meet grandfather. Listening to the arguing voices from inside the room and father's tearful performance, Ariadne knew this might be her only chance to escape. If she didn't flee now, she would die just like in the novel. She knew grandfather also suspected there were other reasons behind her mother's death. Grandfather had been dissatisfied back then that father got mother pregnant at such a young age. And mother was blinded by love, so grandfather severed ties with her and they never communicated again. If grandfather hadn't heard news of mother's death, she probably would never have met this grandfather in her lifetime. Ariadne knew she had to fight for this chance now. She broke free from the servant's grip and walked into the room. She bowed to grandfather. But what she received was grandfather's look of disgust. Clearly, grandfather didn't much like the girl before him. She was nothing like his own daughter. If Ariadne hadn't awakened her past life memories, she would surely have fearfully hidden in father's embrace. But avoiding grandfather wasn't a wise decision, because knowing what happened to the original character, so even though grandfather disliked her, he would still be far better than this so-called father. "Grandfather, please take me with you." The old man didn't respond to Ariadne's sudden request, only watched coldly. Seeing her grandfather's indifferent expression, she turned pale and clutched the hem of his coat, looking up at him with a silent prayer in her heart. She didn't dare tell the truth, only hoping to catch grandfather's attention, even if she couldn't go home with him. Anywhere would be better than here. The Duke panicked, not expecting her to do such a thing. He stepped forward to pull away the girl's pleading hand. "Aria, I told you not to play this kind of game? Did it fail?" At this moment, grandfather stopped the Duke. "Would you like to see the house where your mother lived?" Ariadne nodded eagerly. "Yes, grandfather, I want to see it." "Please, please, quickly take me away from here." Finally, grandfather crouched down and gently stroked his granddaughter. "Then let's go together." Upon hearing this, the Duke became anxious. "No, Ariadne, you're still young. It's too dangerous outside." Though grandfather didn't know what had happened, he still said, "What nonsense, what's dangerous about a granddaughter visiting her grandfather's house? Don't worry needlessly. And you haven't forgotten my identity, have you?" The Duke angrily said, "You've never visited before, yet you want to suddenly play grandfather." At this moment, grandfather noticed his granddaughter's trembling hand in his grip. He pretended not to see it, took Ariadne's hand and turned to leave. The Duke shouted from behind, "If you insist on taking her, then I'll have no choice but to take action." Grandfather turned back and looked at the Duke with contempt. "Talking about taking action in front of an archmage? If you're not convinced, I'll point you in a direction. Go to the royal palace and complain. Say that I, this grandfather, kidnapped my own granddaughter." I'm really looking forward to the answer. Sitting in the carriage, Ariadne gazed through the window at the castle gradually receding behind them. Her emotions couldn't calm down for a long time, doubting whether she had truly managed to escape from hell. Grandfather sensed Ariadne's fear and gently asked, "Child, what are you afraid of?" Right now, Ariadne had so much she wanted to tell Grandfather, but tears wouldn't stop flowing. As if she wanted to release all her grievances. Grandfather was curious but still embraced Ariadne, gently patting her back. "Cry if you want to, child. You must have endured so much pain. After you're done crying, tell Grandfather about it. Is this what it feels like to be cherished? So this is how warm it is." Thinking of those cold people in the Duke's mansion, she gradually fell asleep. Grandfather was frightened. He shouted for the coachman to speed up and get home quickly. The girl was only 7 years old, yet imprisoned by her father, subjected to harsh experiments daily. He lied to her, saying, "Don't worry, Father won't do anything dangerous to you. Father loves you very much." If the girl didn't possess spirit power, she might have been tortured to death. Though Grandfather didn't like this girl, he still took her away and gave her the care she had never experienced. This is Grandfather's castle. She will surely receive genuine care here. At this moment, the girl's uncle was organizing documents when the butler said, "My lord, the Archmage has returned." He remained quite calm. I already told him I've thoroughly investigated the cause of Gloria's death, but he refused to believe it and insisted on going himself. What a stubborn old man. The next second, he heard a booming voice, "Son, get out here quickly! Your niece is dying!" Uncle looked puzzled. "Do I have a niece?" The butler immediately reminded him, "My lord, Lady Ariadne is your only niece." Uncle stroked his white beard, thinking to himself, "Could it be that Father brought Ariadne back? She's the Duke's sole heir. My God, could Ariadne have been kidnapped and brought back? Father, have you finally gone mad?" "No, I need to go see. I must stop this unreliable old man." A few days later, Ariadne finally woke up, looking at the ceiling above. She was very confused. This was neither her room nor that hellish prison cell. Where was this? My goodness, how long did I sleep? Did I really fall asleep while crying? Just then, a maid opened the door and saw that Ariadne had awakened. She happily greeted her. Ariadne was suddenly speechless. She couldn't remember how long it had been since she'd seen such a kind smile. All the servants in the Duke's house were very cold. She realized now that a simple greeting could bring such joy. Just as she was about to stand up and thank her, her legs gave out and she lost her balance. The moment she was about to fall, the maid nimbly caught her. She told Ariadne, "The doctor examined your body. You're in poor health and need to rest. Just lie down." Aside from her mother, Ariadne had never been cared for by anyone. Now her heart felt very warm. She asked the maid's name in a daze. The maid smiled and answered, "My name is Lucy." "I'm so happy to see the young miss wake up with a smile. You've been sleeping for 3 days." Ariadne was just shocked that she had slept for 3 days. When urgent footsteps approached, the door burst open. Her uncle had arrived. Perhaps because he was too worried about the child. He got tangled up with the doctor who was also trying to enter. Her uncle was like a white bear, and he and the doctor, one large and one small, got stuck in the doorframe. The doctor was quite annoyed. "Why are you walking ahead of the doctor? Can you heal?" Uncle realized his mistake and repeatedly stepped back. "Please, doctor." The sudden release of pressure nearly made the doctor fall flat on her face. Seeing this doctor's green robe, Ariadne reflexively became tense, because at her father's place, every time a person in a green robe appeared, it meant her body had recovered, and harsh experiments would begin again. Ariadne instinctively grabbed Lucy's arm, trembling as she backed away, seeking the maid's protection. The doctor noticed her reaction was abnormal. She gently introduced herself, emphasizing that he was the family physician of Uncle's household. "My name is Jalen. Please don't be afraid. It's safe here. I won't hurt you." Only then did Ariadne realize that due to her nervousness, she had forgotten this was Grandfather's house. Her mood slowly relaxed, and she cooperated with the doctor's examination. To avoid troubling the doctor, Ariadne familiarly extended her left arm. The careful doctor noticed something. She clearly wasn't left-handed, yet naturally extended her left hand, possibly because someone required her to hide those wounds. Soon the doctor finished her examination and reported to Uncle at the door. "Did you see that?" The oblivious Uncle didn't understand. "See what?" The young miss hid when she saw me. Only then did Uncle have an epiphany. "I saw that. It's probably because of her weak constitution." Gloria also hated doctors when she was little. The doctor frowned and interrupted him. "This isn't shyness around strangers. She has trauma regarding doctors. The young miss is clearly right-handed, yet instinctively extended her left hand. This indicates someone taught her to hide the scars on her right hand." Uncle became somewhat angry. "Who would dare treat my niece this way?" The doctor was furious. "This behavior is simply abuse, and the one abusing her, I suspect, is her seemingly kind father." Uncle felt darkness before his eyes, each word hitting like thunder. He remembered that on his sister's wedding day, Father not only refused to attend the ceremony but even wanted to sever father-daughter ties. As her brother, he didn't dare defy father to attend the wedding and could only quietly send gifts. As a brother, he had always followed news about his sister. The Duke's family was prestigious, and having a daughter was icing on the cake. I thought my sister lived happily, but it was all fake. It's hard to imagine how my sister spent those years. And Arya, if father hadn't brought her back, I probably would have only heard news of this child dying of illness or having an accident. After the doctor left, Uncle stood in the hallway for quite a while, then knocked and entered the room. Ariadne saw the unhappy expression on the man's face. Lucy had told her this was her uncle, but he seemed very angry. She wasn't surprised because she was an uninvited guest. Her mother had severed ties with her family because of conceiving her and died early. No wonder the maternal relatives didn't like her. Ariadne didn't dare call him uncle, only greeted him politely. Since she was sitting, her posture wasn't perfect, but it was still very proper. Her uncle's frown deepened. Could it be that I, as an uncle, am very displeasing to look at? It's an honor to meet you, Margrave Ernst Weaver. I apologize for meeting you in this manner. Please give me a chance to repay your kindness in taking me in. I hope you won't send me back. Suddenly, Ariadne's expression froze. Seeing Uncle's grim expression, Ariadne felt terrible. Having just escaped from the devil's claws, was she about to be sent back again? She had to prove her worth before the Duke arrived. Ariadne's words made the uncle very uncomfortable. This child should be at a carefree, innocent age, yet she spoke so maturely. What kind of life had she lived in that house? Thank goodness father brought her back. Otherwise, this child might very well have died without anyone knowing. He didn't dare think further. Uncle's eyes reddened. Ariadne became more nervous, thinking Uncle didn't want her around. I'm sorry, I apologize. Uncle interrupted the girl's words. Why are you apologizing? I should be the one apologizing. I'm sorry, Ariadne. Until now I didn't know what you had been through. I'm sorry I was late. I'm sorry I didn't rescue you sooner. But don't worry. I will protect you and never let anyone hurt you again. Ariadne was completely confused, having done nothing and made no demands, yet being accepted so easily. She couldn't help but ask, Sir, why would you want to protect me? Uncle showed a smile completely at odds with his fierce appearance. Call me Uncle, or you can just call me by my name. Oh, and this room is yours. You can stay as long as you want. Ariadne was enjoying this moment of happiness. Uncle thought she was dissatisfied and felt somewhat apologetic. This room was prepared rather hastily. Don't you like it? I'll get you a better room. Only then did Ariadne speak. No, it's enough. It's not that I don't like it, I just feel it's too luxurious for me. My previous room didn't even have a window and was much smaller than this. Her uncle's face couldn't help but turn ashen. He hadn't expected the Duke to truly be such a scoundrel. At first, she was dressed like a princess in gorgeous gowns. That was just a facade for outsiders. What a despicable man. Uncle's body involuntarily emitted a cold aura, completely unaware that Ariadne was already surrounded by the chill. At this moment, Ariadne only felt the surroundings grow cold. The novel described that elemental knights release power when their emotions are affected. Could it be that what I said influenced him? Moments later, Uncle noticed Ariadne's pale face and shivering. He quickly relaxed his expression and reined in his aura. To avoid frightening his niece, he pulled up the blanket. His bear-like face struggled to form a gentle smile. Rest well from now on. Just stay healthy. Also, I'm glad you like the room Uncle prepared for you. As the man was about to leave, Ariadne quickly called out to him, Sir, don't you have anything to ask? Uncle looked at Ariadne and said in a very gentle voice, I won't force you to recall those painful memories. When you want to talk about it, I'll be a friendly listener. After he left, Ariadne was a bit puzzled in the novel. Both grandfather and uncle clearly didn't care. Is it because we're family? Because we're blood relatives? Or just because I look pitiful, so they're being kind? Thank you for your sympathy, but sympathy doesn't last long. My father won't easily let me go. The more friction there is, the more likely I am to be abandoned. Only by proving my worth can I hold the initiative. I must complete the deal before sympathy cools. The room was warm and cozy, and she slowly drifted into dreams. The familiar library. Spirit Pie was reading a book, yes. The mathematical constant. Seeing Ariadne. She ran over and gave her a big hug. Though Pie could read, she initially couldn't speak at all. Through reading, she quickly learned many words. But she still couldn't organize them into sentences, only chatting in her own way. Distanced, waiting, yearning, longing. In this fantasy, there was no need to be tense or suspicious. You haven't seen me in a long time. Are you happy? Arya? Hurt? Tired? Today? Experiment? Whenever she was in pain before, she would escape here. Pie thought it was the same this time. No, today it's not because of pain. Pie sensed Ariadne's joy and her face brightened. Not hurt. Good, happy, relief, good mood. Ariadne gently patted the little one's head. Are the things I stored here before kept safe? Shiny yellow, crimson, safe. Need? Yes, please bring them to me. As soon as she finished speaking, Pi happily ran to the bookshelf, searching through everything. Soon she brought back 2 small glass bottles. These are what I need to prove my worth: the elixir and the contaminated water. The Phantom Library was more useful than imagined. She could freely carry real-world objects and retrieve them at will. This was how she managed to secretly hide these things while her father wasn't paying attention, preserving evidence. The uncle would always look coldly at his niece, but inwardly he desperately wanted to talk with her. He just couldn't control his emotions well, always mistaking seriousness for composure. Little did he know he was already frightening his niece. Because Ariadne was physically weak, she could only move around the bedroom. Her maid Lucy prohibited almost everyone except the doctor from entering. After nearly a week of recuperation, she could finally dine with Uncle. The thoughtful maid brought out Ariadne's mother's childhood winter clothes. Wearing them, Ariadne felt warm, delicate, and most importantly, they fit perfectly. She loved this outfit. But the maid was still apologetic. "This is Lady Gloria's finest garment from childhood, but it's quite old." Ariadne looked at herself in the mirror. "I really love it, because the clothes carry Mother's scent." She couldn't help but grab the skirt and spin around. Lucy was absolutely charmed by the scene. Walking the path Mother walked, wearing the dress Mother wore. There was a hazy longing and wonderful attachment between past and present lives. Having spent 2 lifetimes finally gaining maternal love only to lose it quickly, a wonderful nostalgia welled up in her heart, making this strange place feel more familiar. Uncle at the dining table recognized it as the dress his sister wore in childhood. To hide his emotions, he turned away. This was Gloria's favorite dress. Ariadne shuddered all over upon hearing this, thinking Uncle didn't like her wearing Mother's clothes. "This is my only niece, and she doesn't even have one new dress. Butler, quickly call for a tailor to make her new clothes. I must have her wear the most precious, finest garments, coats, and scarves made from hunting pelts. I'll go hunting myself tomorrow." Ariadne didn't understand Uncle's thoughts and felt it was because she didn't resemble Mother. She dejectedly walked to the marble dining table, and her sense of familiarity immediately withered. The dining room table was very long. Uncle seemed to think of something. He quickly arranged for Ariadne to sit beside him. Ariadne became even more dejected. "Though I came uninvited, sitting in this position, am I an unwelcome guest?" Feeling down, Ariadne reminded herself to chew slowly and carefully, not to choke, not to cause trouble for others. She would discuss the spirit medicine matter with Uncle immediately after the meal. Uncle had no idea Ariadne had misunderstood. Watching her, he was utterly charmed. "My dear niece, why is even your eating so adorable?" The butler, seeing Uncle's expression, quickly reminded him to mind his image. Uncle was startled by the butler and thought he was right. "I can't frighten a child who lacks security. I must appear steady and reliable. I must put her at ease." His expression became serious. While enjoying the delicious food, Ariadne felt the gaze from beside her. A servant boy was serving dishes. They made eye contact, and he smiled at her just like Lucy. Looking around at everyone else, they all smiled and nodded at her. No one avoided eye contact. Ariadne's cheeks flushed with excitement. This place is truly different from the Duke's mansion. The servants there were all cold and never smiled. The Duke only smiled in the laboratory, and that was it. "I love it here so much. I can't be sent back thinking this." Her appetite vanished. She put down her spoon. Just as she was about to speak, seeing Uncle's expression, she was startled. This man is staring at people expressionlessly, just like a wild beast. Her spine went cold. To prove her worth, she had to negotiate with this family quickly. "Sir, I'm full. I have something important to show you." Uncle asked in surprise. "You ate too little. Dessert hasn't even arrived yet." As he spoke, he used his napkin to wipe crumbs from her mouth, meant as affection. But Ariadne lowered her head and said, "I'm sorry for not following proper dining etiquette. I apologize deeply. I'll never make such mistakes again." Her reaction filled Uncle with guilt as he sighed. "No, Ariadne, you're 7, not 17. There's no need to seem so mature, all right, I'll remember that." He'd intended to comfort but ended up frightening her. The child was too young. He needed to change his tone to avoid misunderstandings. "Sir, can you call the Archmage here? I want to show you both the things that hurt me at the Duke's place." "What?" Butler, quickly fetch Father. Then he whispered in the butler's ear, "Tell Father that if he doesn't appear, I'll send the child back to the Eldirs." A few minutes later, angry footsteps could be heard along with furious shouting, "You brat! Have you lost your mind?" Grandfather kicked the door open, his face red with rage. "Heartless bastard, worse than animals, do you want to die by my hand? Does Father plan to never meet his granddaughter? Calm down, old man, look beside you." Grandfather turned to look as instructed. Ariadne gazed at them in bewilderment. She seemed to understand. Apparently the Archmage didn't want to see her and was simply hiding away. She sighed inwardly. "Archmage, please bear with this. I have something to show you." Grandfather felt somewhat embarrassed and was about to explain when he saw Ariadne take out the magic potion. Ariadne's face was pale as she took a deep breath. Please observe carefully. I will demonstrate the method of treating contamination. The Archmage immediately recognized the glass containing the contaminated water, but the magic potion was too dangerous. He didn't dare snatch it away carelessly, fearing injury to his granddaughter. But Ariadne gave them no chance, directly pouring it onto the back of her hand. Instantly, her entire hand turned purple and the flesh began to rot. It was impossible to tell whether what dripped to the floor was blood or contamination. The Archmage was shocked. Uncle's face changed drastically. Gritting his teeth, he drew his sword. To save her life, he had to sever her arm. Before the contamination spread, Ariadne bit her lip, enduring the pain. Don't worry, I won't die. This contamination is nothing compared to the amount directly injected into my body. This is the evidence I wanted to show you. She then raised the other bottle. Pouring the golden liquid onto her palm, the purple marks rapidly disappeared. Soon, her palm was restored, without a trace of injury. How's that? This is the elixir. Duke Eldir has been conducting this experiment on me. Both grandfather and uncle were stunned. Uncle recalled what the doctor had said. Systemic toxin damage is rare. Contaminated water is the only substance that causes death upon contact. At the time, it was just speculation. But this scene was more brutal than imagined. Grandfather held Ariadne's hand, examining it repeatedly. He actually made you do this kind of experiment. How old were you when it started? Ariadne couldn't remember exactly when. Around 4, I think. Since I can remember. Duke Eldir discovered my constitution was very suitable. He would first inject me with elixir, then inject contaminated water. The scars on my arms were left this way. Uncle's sword clattered to the floor as he felt heartbroken for his niece. Grandfather murmured, "This is all my sin, all my fault. Sir, I give this to you as repayment for all your help. Also, since current spirit medicine has the same properties as poison, only I can withstand it, if you agree to my request. As long as you provide me with materials, I'll make finished healing potions for you." Grandfather asked foolishly, "Request? What request? I hope you can protect me from the Duke's harm until I grow up. I don't want to return to Duke Eldir's house." For a moment, the room fell into silence. Ariadne anxiously watched the two silent men before her. Such good conditions. Why aren't they speaking? That won't do. She spoke again to grandfather and uncle. "Without me, the Duke cannot make finished healing potions. I'm the only one who can do it. We can monopolize this industry." Her words seemed to signal something, as both the stiff grandfather and uncle spoke simultaneously. "No, there's no need. You must have suffered so much all these years." Ariadne couldn't understand why they only cared whether she was in pain. Was it because they didn't want to confront the Duke directly? The usually dim-witted uncle finally understood his niece's thoughts. "Child, this has nothing to do with the Duke. It seems you haven't started trusting me yet. No wonder you have such thoughts." Wait a moment, having said this, he turned and left the room. The old man stared blankly at Ariadne. "Child, do you hate me? You are my blood-related granddaughter. I've been such an unworthy grandfather, not even knowing you lived so miserably. How disgraceful." Ariadne shook her head in surprise. "Of course I don't hate you. You had no way of knowing. I'm actually very grateful that the Archmage saved me." At this moment, Uncle returned with a contract. "Look at this. It's a family covenant. Once you sign it, the contract takes immediate effect." Ariadne's eyes sparkled. She signed her name and pressed her handprint without hesitation. "But sir, why is the exchange condition line blank?" Ariadne didn't understand why they would make such a losing deal. Uncle smiled and said, "There's no need. Your happy growth is my only condition, so that you'll sincerely call me uncle, so that you'll have complete trust in family members who protect your growth." Ariadne had never felt so satisfied. She carefully took the contract and walked out of the room. Uncle Ernst breathed a sigh of relief. "Dad, you saw it too." She finally showed a relieved expression. Solon fell silent for a moment. "I really regret it. When I first met the child, I even lost my temper. And she desperately begged me to take her away. That was a cry for help. I only understand it now. Father, I want to declare territorial war and destroy that Duke Eldir. With his meager strength, fighting him would be as easy as cutting vegetables." Before he finished speaking, the old man sighed. "My dear son, you must never go into politics. Let me ask you, who am I? Is Dad getting senile again? Your father, the Archmage." "Fool, you should answer like this. I am the mentor of the former Royal Court Mage, the highest level mage of the Magic Tower. Currently a permanent member of the Continental Mages Alliance and magical advisor to the Royal Court. And you, my eldest son, is Margrave Weaver. My second daughter owns a merchant guild. If we stop attacking the contaminated labyrinth, who would suffer the most? Where does Weaver import most of its food from? Who distributes gold to Eldir? Where is the Ruoma River, from which the farm belt of Eldir gets its irrigation? What's your wife's name? Stop, I know all these things. Does your brain only know how to fight? Your body has grown quite a bit. Why hasn't your intelligence grown? Fortunately, I have a good daughter-in-law." Alright, you reflect on this properly. I'll go think of a strategy. Suddenly, as if remembering something, he turned back. Don't go into politics anymore, you hear? Always discuss everything with Sally before deciding. After being scolded, Ernst's head became even more confused. Who am I? Where am I? Treating me like this? Am I really your biological son? At Uncle Ernst's home, she was a beloved little princess. At Father's home, she was like a lab rat used for experiments. This was Ariadne's first time feeling warmth from someone other than her mother. She happily took out her copy of the contract. She could hardly believe that grandfather's family treated her so well. Warm words and gentle reminders. This surprised her. In the days that followed, Ariadne was spoiled like a little princess by Uncle Ernst. He would even carry her when going out. This uncle always had a stern face in front of others. Only when facing his niece would he show a smile. As she spent more and more time with Uncle Ernst, Ariadne finally understood. Uncle Ernst's family looked at her with eyes very much like her mother's. Perhaps this was what real family felt like. Lost in thought, Ariadne noticed her grandfather, the Archmage, were secretly watching them. Why was he always hiding? When Solon realized he'd been spotted, he was startled. He immediately fled. Uncle Ernst teased, "Exactly. He's not a child, yet he likes to secretly watch people. Don't mind him, spring has come. Your Aunt Celiana and Cousin Eric are coming back too." Ariadne felt somewhat nervous. Cousin Eric was the heir of the Weaver family. He was both the novel's protagonist's companion and a central supporting character. He was an indispensable figure in changing the novel's ending. She had to get close to him, even if she could only gain a little trust. Uncle Ernst felt Ariadne's nervous little hand. He said gently, "Don't worry, everyone will welcome you." However, 1 second she was living in happiness, the next second. The butler hurried over to report, "My lord, someone from Duke Eldier's estate has arrived." The man in front of them was precisely the guard sent by Duke Eldier. "Greetings, Margrave Ernst. I'm Belle from the Golden Horn Knights. Nice to meet you. This is a letter Duke Eldier asked me to deliver. Our master is just worried, afraid the princess might not like staying here, so he sent me to take her home." Ernst didn't even glance at the letter, crumpling it directly into a ball. "Unnecessary. You can go back." Obviously, Belle wouldn't give up easily. "How strange, why won't you let me see the young lady?" "You haven't imprisoned your niece, have you?" Regarding the slander the man threw at him, Ernst just smiled coldly. "Go ask your master. Drag him away." Meanwhile, Ariadne had just entered the Phantom Library not long ago. She brought cookies she liked for Pi to eat. Watching Pi chew with big bites was absolutely adorable. Ariadne petted Pi's little head. "Don't worry, I'll bring you some often in the future. Eat slowly." Suddenly, Pi nervously grabbed Ariadne. "Get out, danger, urgent!" Before Ariadne could react, Pi sent her out of the library. "What's going on?" Ariadne stood up groggily. Looking around, the bedroom was very quiet, as if nothing had happened. But why was it so dark? Is it nighttime now? I didn't sleep that long. Impossible, no matter how deeply I sleep, Lucy would call me for meals. With questions in mind, Ariadne walked to the window and looked more carefully. She was surprised to discover the sky wasn't dark. Rather, something huge was blocking the window. The next second, a giant iceberg shattered the glass. A man with a small braid standing on the elemental beast's head jumped into the room. "Oh my princess, you've made me search so hard." "It's time to go home. The master misses you terribly." Ariadne retreated in terror. "No!" The man frowned. "I intended to politely invite you back, but you dare resist? Then don't blame me for being rude." Saying this, he reached out his evil black hand toward Ariadne. Just when Ariadne had nowhere to retreat, a blue lightning bolt flew over, forcing the man back. It was Solon. Where did this riffraff come from, sneaking in so rudely? "Ariadne, come behind me." The man was secretly alarmed. Silent casting magic, truly worthy of Archmage. "I don't wish to fight with you, but I must take the young lady. Young people today don't seem to understand what an Archmage is. If you leave now, I can spare your life." "Don't struggle pointlessly," the man smiled contemptuously. "Since you won't release her, don't blame me for being rude. Young people really have no martial ethics, using poison in secret." He took out a glass bottle containing contaminated water and threw it at them. Then he cast magic to shatter the bottle. Ariadne was shocked. "It's contaminated water!" If the Archmage used magic to block it, his magical power might get contaminated too. "This hard-won family bond, I won't allow anyone to hurt my grandfather." Ariadne quickly rushed in front of the Archmage, wanting to use her frail body to block the potion attack. She closed her eyes tightly, waiting for the pain to come, but no pain came. It turned out Solon had lifted his robe to shield her from everything. The man panicked, finding it incredible. "Boy, do you think my reputation is undeserved? You should go back and reread history, see what an Archmage really is." After speaking, a blue lightning bolt flew from the Archmage's fingertip. The man dared not take this attack, or his body might be pierced by lightning. He turned and jumped, grabbing the icebird's neck and fleeing far away. The Archmage didn't pursue, fearing it was the enemy's diversion tactic, and could only watch the man escape. Solon was very angry. He turned to look at Ariadne and began scolding her. "Are you crazy? You just jumped out like that. Actually standing in front of me, what if something had happened? What should I do?" Ariadne stammered in rebuttal, "Because I won't die from contamination, but the Archmage..." Solon's head gradually lowered. He hugged Ariadne and cried loudly, "You still can't rush in front of me! What do you take me for? You're so small, I should be the one protecting you." Hearing grandfather's words, Ariadne couldn't help but bury her head in his embrace. So warm, this was family's care. After this incident, grandfather finally stopped hiding from his granddaughter. He told Ariadne not to worry. "Ernst will get revenge for you and teach those people a good lesson. Child, just remember, Eldir is only richer than us, with a larger family, but that's all. Your uncle may be missing a few brain cells, but his body is still robust and strong enough to protect you." Ernst, who had just walked over, was quite depressed. "Dad, is there a father who talks about his son like that?" Seeing his son approach, grandfather shouted angrily, "Riffraff got into Ariadne's room and you didn't even know. Big body but no brains. When is Seely coming back?" Hearing this, Ernst felt somewhat embarrassed. "Dad, your words are hurtful. Do you trust your daughter-in-law more?" "What else? Since you got married, you've had 289 battles with Seely, 289 defeats. If you win even once, I'll look at you differently." Ernst retorted. "Dad, are you getting senile again? There were clearly 2 ties. Whatever, let's not discuss this." He reached toward Ariadne. "Come, uncle will hold you." Solène grinned and slapped him. "Are you that greedy, hogging her for so long? Child, don't worry about me and your uncle. You just need to be carefree and open your heart. What troubles could a little child have? Come, grandfather will hold you up high." At this moment, Ariadne reflected. In the novel, even if the original could be reborn, she probably couldn't live like an ordinary child anymore. Because of her past life's memories, she was always vigilant, not daring to rely on anyone, even needing contracts to give herself a sense of security. "I'm sorry, I don't look like a child. I'll try to become a normal child." Uncle Ernst comforted her. "No, child, this isn't your fault, it's the adult's fault. Child, I'm not blaming you. I hope you can rely on me. We feel so sorry that at such a young age you always think about bearing everything alone. Your grandfather and I are so worried we're family." So that's how it was. These words shocked Ariadne. She didn't have to shoulder everything alone. They were willing to care for her, protect her, and let her depend on them as elders. She just needed to be a child, carefree, nothing more. Ariadne was moved by this. Tears flowed down drop by drop. She hugged grandfather tightly. "Can I call you grandfather? Can I depend on you? Can I stay close to you? Can I live here forever?" Faced with Ariadne's questions, Solène was momentarily speechless. After a moment of silence, he hugged Ariadne tightly. "Of course you can. This is what I've dreamed of." Ariadne called out emotionally, "Yes, grandfather." Uncle Ernst on the side said, "Please call me uncle. I want hugs too." Grandfather put away his sadness. "Don't touch her. This is my granddaughter. You'll infect the child with stupidity." Ariadne was amused by grandfather. Looking at the man reaching out his hands, she sincerely called out uncle. The man muttered under his breath. A snow leopard descended from the sky, carrying his niece to welcome family. Just now, Ernst was preparing to pick up his wife whom he hadn't seen for ages to express his longing. Ariadne also came to join the fun. Ernst worried about her health and hoped the girl would wait at home, but she insisted on going with him. Just as the two were about to leave, the maids hurriedly chased after them. They fussed over the young lady, bustling about. The hand warmer the Archmage made, "Quickly give it to Miss. Miss, you dropped your gloves. Oh my, your nose is already red, what should we do?" Led by Lucy, the maids who swarmed over made a big fuss. They no longer cared whether Ernst looked foolish, and perhaps found it insufficient. Lucy even nagged at Ernst. Soon, Ariadne was bundled up tightly by the maids, looking absolutely adorable. The maids tearfully saw the young lady off. Ernst couldn't help complaining. "I'm just taking her out to meet people, making it seem like we're going on a long journey." The next second, Ernst clenched both hands, using summoning magic. Snowflakes whistled past as a giant leopard descended from the sky. This was Ernst's elemental beast, Blizzard. Ariadne was still curious. When Ernst scooped her up into his arms, Blizzard let out a low roar and began galloping. Soon they reached the castle gates. Blizzard leaped high, jumping and bounding, landing gracefully at the castle's highest point. At the end of the road, long-awaited family finally arrived. Looking ahead, various strange-looking elemental beasts slowly approached. These elemental beasts seemed like cattle but weren't cattle. Seemed like wolves but weren't wolves. Ariadne was like a curious baby who'd never seen the world, watching with dazzled eyes, stunned. Before she could think much, a large black horse galloped over urgently. On the horse, a young girl with an innocent face covered in blood spoke leisurely. "My liege, we've returned." Seeing this, Ernst frowned. "Veronica, you're still so arrogant, not even washing the blood off your face?" The girl stated indifferently that this was blood splattered from fighting monsters halfway here, and she was too lazy to clean it. Her originally calm eyes suddenly became round. "My liege, what are you holding in your arms?" "It looks quite cute. Is it alive?" "Watch your words, Veronica. She's my niece." "I clearly wrote to tell you. Didn't you read it?" However, Veronica turned a deaf ear to Ernst's words, her gaze fixed on the girl. Her finger poked at Ariadne repeatedly. Seeing the girl's frightened expression made her even more delighted. She moved. She really is alive, so cute and small. Ernst was about to scold her, when a red-haired woman appeared with a smile. "Long time no see. How have you been?" Ernst couldn't be bothered to scold Veronica anymore. Like a rocket, he shot out, and embraced his wife, beginning to be affectionate without regard for others. At this time, their son Eric grumbled, and irritably rubbed his head. "I'm sick of you two. No matter how good your relationship is, you should consider the occasion. It's truly miraculous that I don't have any siblings." The headache-stricken Eric had to shift his attention, glaring fiercely at Ariadne. "Where did this little thing come from? Why is she sitting on my father's elemental beast?" The named Ariadne was also staring directly at the boy before her. Indeed, just as described in the book. After confirming through eye contact, he was a difficult person to get along with. Veronica on the side looked at Ariadne with loving eyes. "So adorable! So cute!" Eric let out a scoff. "Do you think anything small is cute? How can she be called cute looking like that? Skinny as a stick with big sunken eyes, I think she's ugly no matter how I look at her." Veronica glared at him, somewhat angry. Ugly people cause more trouble. Hearing this, Eric was very displeased. "Are you blind? I'm beloved by all. Flowers bloom when they see me. Can you call a handsome man like me ugly?" Before he finished speaking, Veronica retorted, shameless. "I was talking about your heart." Ariadne on the side also nodded lightly in agreement. "What? How dare you insult the future lord like this? You must apologize. If you become lord, I'll quit the group." Veronica said these words at the slowest possible speed. Riding her warhorse, she didn't forget to say before leaving, "Petty and fragile, whoever wants to stay can stay." Watching the departing Veronica still mocking. Unable to refute, he angrily stared at Ariadne. "Skeleton, who do you think you are, daring to look down on the heir of the Weaver family? Get down from Blizzard immediately." The barely healed wound on Ariadne's right arm gradually split open. Not knowing her condition, her brother mercilessly pulled her arm. If Ernst hadn't discovered and stopped it in time, Ariadne might have fallen and been further injured. He quickly checked Ariadne's wound. Blood was seeping from her arm, but the girl still comforted Ernst. "It's all right, it doesn't hurt at all." Ernst looked at such a considerate Ariadne and felt guilty. How could it not hurt? The wound has split open. Ernst picked up Ariadne. "Selly, I'll take her to get bandaged first." Ariadne looked at her brother being lectured behind them and couldn't help worrying. He truly was a rebellious teenager, seeming even more willful than in the original novel. Getting close to him would be a 5-star difficulty. After returning to the castle, Lucy chattered endlessly. Lord Eric was really rude. Margrave Weaver will definitely punish him. He'll surely be grounded. Ariadne sighed inwardly. Good grief, she'd messed up on the first meeting. How could they become companions who'd trust each other with their backs later? This was truly terrible. Lucy continued her indignant chattering. Ariadne interrupted her. "Lucy, do you know Veronica?" Lucy replied, "Miss, you mean Dame Veronica? She's the same age as Lord Eric. 2 years ago, Lady Celiana rescued her from a contaminated area. At that time, she was already an elemental knight. Though young, her stamina is as strong as a monster's." Veronica started accumulating combat experience at 14. While not matching the protagonist, she's at least a genius-level elemental knight. But there's no trace of her existence in the novel. Could she be the deceased first love that brother mumbles about every time he's drunk and unconscious? Seeing them quarrel like a couple on first meeting? It should be her. I need to go back to the library and reread The Overlooked Content. If she's talented, changing fate would take another big step forward. "My lady, we're here? Please go in quickly." Lucy's call interrupted Ariadne's thoughts. "Lady Celiana is waiting for you in the room." Seeing the girl enter, Aunt Celiana smiled and introduced herself. Ariadne also hurriedly performed a polite curtsy. The two chatted happily. Aunt Celiana praised her. "You look very strong, like a warrior ready for battle. The pain you've experienced, even well-trained knights might not be able to overcome it." Ariadne was somewhat doubtful. Did she really look like a warrior? Aunt explained. "Not only those who fight are warriors. In you, I see fighting spirit. Your uncle seems to treat you like an art piece, but in my eyes, you're a very capable child." Speaking of this, Celiana couldn't help sighing. If Erich had half your excellence, how wonderful that would be. To ease the awkwardness, Celiana took out a prepared gift. Because of the short notice, this is the most suitable one. See if you like it? Ariadne took the box and carefully opened it. It was a necklace. Thank you, Aunt. This is my first elemental lantern from family. I'll treasure it. Ariadne's words made Celiana feel heartbroken. Elemental lantern were gifts parents prepared for their children. She'd never had one. Unbelievable. She quickly walked to Ariadne's side, took the necklace, and gently helped Ariadne put it on. Watching the girl's surprised expression, she couldn't help but touch Ariadne's little head. You're the best. I firmly believe you're a good child. If you need to do anything in the future, you can come to me. Even if your grandfather and uncle disagree, I'll help you. Ariadne stared blankly at Aunt Celiana. She looked so much like her mother. Walking along the path, Ariadne thought boredly. In the novel, though she was written as very beautiful, her own face resembled the Duke Eldir so much, which gave her goosebumps. Was the author God? Ariadne shook her head, deciding not to think about these unimportant things. Fortunately, Mother's family were all good people. She had to act quickly for Ariadne to feel at ease. She walked briskly toward the garden, searching earnestly. Since her body was still in recovery, she hadn't tested it yet and could only try watering plants with the elixir first to test the effects. Soon, she found contaminated daffodils, dry and withered, having long lost their former vitality. Well then, the moment to witness a miracle was about to arrive. After the golden liquid from the bottle fell, the withered plants instantly bloomed brilliantly. Delicate flowers burst forth vigorously. Ariadne cheered happily. Success! Wonderful! However, a voice came from behind. What are you doing here? Standing behind her was Erich. Wasn't he grounded? Why was he out? She was planning to look for him anyway, since he was here, so be it. She then lifted her skirt and curtsied to greet Erich. Erich stated, I'm not your cousin. Call me that again, and I'll beat you. Ariadne didn't understand why Erich would dislike her. Didn't Uncle Ernst mention me to you? Erich couldn't be bothered wasting words with this sister. So what if he mentioned you? Does being my cousin mean I have to dote on you? Stop acting familiar with me. Also, I have no intention of acknowledging you. Skeleton, this isn't a children's playground. Leave here immediately. Ariadne retorted, Well, sorry about that. Grandfather gave me permission. Hearing this, Erich immediately became alert. You're not here to learn magic from Grandfather, are you? I'm not. Then you're here to learn elemental skills from my parents? No. Then tell me, what exactly are you doing here? The girl was helpless, not knowing anything yet lecturing people here. Though she wanted to maintain good relations with him, she couldn't let him look down on her. Let me tell you what hierarchy means. Young Margrave Erich, I am the heir of Duke Eldir. Please observe proper etiquette. I respect you because you're my cousin. Since you don't want to be my cousin, then please mind your language. Faced with Ariadne's words, Erich was stunned. Was this really something an 8-year-old could say? Indeed, she was just pretending in front of father. Erich's face flushed red. Too detestable! I'm going to expose your false facade! Seeing her brother's exasperated state, Ariadne didn't want to tangle with him further. Let me emphasize, I'm not here to learn magic, nor will I become a elemental knight. Just doing a small experiment, that's all. As you wish, I'll leave immediately. Erich glanced at the daffodils. One was full of life, the other dying. Skeleton, wait, what experiment are you doing? What's with the daffodils? Perhaps due to a bit too much activity today. As Ariadne turned around, a trace of bright red flowed from her nostril. Erich was shocked. What's wrong with you? I didn't touch you. Ariadne wiped her nose. It's nothing, don't worry. Before she finished speaking, she felt dizzy and lost consciousness. The moment she was about to fall, Erich caught her. Hey, Skeleton, wake up! The boy who was just arrogant remembered father's words. Is this what fragile means? She won't just die like this, will she? Pi sensed Ariadne's pain and forcibly pulled her into the library. Pi shook Ariadne. Rest, rest. This is a safe haven. Ariadne won't suffer here. 2 days later, Ariadne slowly awakened. Looking at her family, Uncle Ernst's large tears flowed from his eyes. To prevent Uncle Ernst from disturbing the doctor and priest, Aunt Celiana forcibly dragged him away. The doctor held Ariadne's hand and examined her carefully. Recovery is very good. You can try exercising to build strength in the future. Hearing this, Ernst hugged the priest tightly, thanking her continuously. Ariadne saw the priest's golden eyes. So in this world, using divine power would turn one's eyes golden. This was the priest's divine power, rarely appearing in novels. Ariadne, who was recalling the original work, heard her stomach growl. She hadn't eaten for 2 whole days. Lucy happily ran all the way to prepare hot food for Ariadne. The doctor said carefully, Ariadne, your pain nerves seem to have been damaged. Simply put, for the same wound, others would feel much more pain than you. This isn't a good thing. Pain is organ perception, a warning from the body. If there's no feeling, that's very frightening. You must remember this. Be careful to protect yourself. But thanks to divine power, you can also try exercising. Ariadne was very happy. You mean I can run freely now? The doctor smiled. Of course you can, but do what you can. Don't force yourself. Hearing the doctor's words, Celiana's heart finally felt at ease. Soon, Lucy brought delicious food. Ariadne ate bite after bite, eating with such relish. Celiana told Ariadne, although Eric says he'll reflect, he's really thoughtless and might come trouble you again. For your safety, you need someone for personal protection. A woman walked into the room. It was Veronica, the girl who poked her that day. Though she looks young, her abilities are certain. If my son bullies you again, she'll notify me immediately. Veronica slowly agreed. Celiana said, if you can't contact me, don't hold back. Just discipline him directly. Just don't break any bones. Ariadne was stunned, definitely a real mother without doubt. Actually, cousin Eric was quite good to me when I fainted. I collapsed because I was tired from walking, not because of brother. Celiana said, since he has a repentant heart, let him reflect on himself. Moreover, he anticipated you would say that. He even wrote a letter of repentance. After Ariadne recovered, she eagerly crafted numerous elixirs. She separated out 6 bottles, just the right amount. Although PI is just a big foodie, this represents the finished product of their research. As a memento, it's something that brings joy. No problem, I'll go find her right now. Inside the library. Strange, Pi usually comes to greet me when I enter. What's wrong today? Finally, Ariadne spotted Pi's shadow. Ariadne, look, this, discovery, treasure, major find. This is intelligence about Veronica. The first expedition failed, monsters invaded massively. This led to the collapse of the defense line, causing heavy casualties within the city. Veronica, age 24, died from monster wounds while protecting young Margrave Eric beyond medical help. 24 years old? That's impossible. She's only 16 now. Could this not be a record from the past? Ariadne felt somewhat sad, with an indescribable feeling in her heart. This report is too shocking. It turns out PI doesn't just exist in my memory space. She can also traverse other spaces, even travel to the future to obtain information in advance. As expected of Pi, she can help me gather more intelligence in the future. She then took out the healing potion to give Pi as a gift. However, Pi was only interested in the ribbon on the bottle, because it had Pi's name written on it. Pi expressed wanting to have the same hairstyle as Ariadne. Quickly, the ribbon, like Ariadne's. Pi happily spun in circles, her long hair flowing beautifully. Leaving the Phantom Library, Ariadne took out a bottle and handed it to Veronica. Veronica was delighted to receive the gift. This is the elixir everyone wants, and it's handmade by Lady Ariadne herself. Thank you, miss, you're so kind. Ariadne responded to Veronica's gratitude with a smile. Eric helped me in the garden and was punished for it, so I should give him a bottle too. Upon hearing this, Veronica summoned her elemental beast. Isn't this too extravagant? Just to deliver a bottle of medicine, you're summoning an elemental beast. In Veronica's words, she's mainly just lazy to walk, and she really wants to hug the adorable Ariadne. Fine, hug away, but why are we going to the rooftop? They didn't stay on the rooftop long before Veronica's elemental beast stepped on and broke the roof tiles. Veronica said that someone would definitely scold them. He'll surely say, stairs are for walking on, get down here right now. As soon as she finished speaking, they heard Eric's angry roar. How many times must I tell you, stairs are for walking on, get down here now. Veronica rode her elemental beast and leaped down from the rooftop, startling Eric quite badly. Oh my, you're the one who told me to come down, but you're also the one who got scared. Veronica's mockery made Eric very angry. The girl ignored his words completely, slowly and leisurely helping Ariadne dismount. Ariadne watched these two bickering again, afraid the conflict might turn toward her, but what she feared came to pass. Why did you bring this frail skeleton here? Veronica wouldn't coddle him. Skeleton, are you referring to Lady Ariadne? If you insult Lady Ariadne again, I'll make sure you don't see tomorrow's sun. I'm the heir of the Weaver family, can't you show some respect? Just as her brother was about to be thrown downstairs, Ariadne said, Veronica, let him go. Eric really wanted to duel this girl, but he was no match for her at all. At this moment, Ariadne handed him a bottle of elixir, which soothed Eric's wounded feelings. The girl told him not to feel guilty. She fainted that day due to her own reasons. It had nothing to do with him. Brother is very kind. Actually, brother doesn't hate me at all. Although Eric was happy, he couldn't swallow his pride and stubbornly said, actually, I do hate you. How could Veronica just stand by? Eric, watch your words, or I'll beat you black and blue. Ariadne sighed. He's obviously so kind. Why does he suffer for the sake of saving face? Veronica was also helpless. He doesn't deserve to receive gifts at all. Not only is he stubborn, he didn't even say a word of thanks. Ariadne replied with a smile. It's okay. As long as he accepts it, he deserves to have it. Later, Ariadne brought her achievements specifically to her uncle and aunt, which greatly surprised the couple. They expressed being shocked and felt somewhat reluctant to use it. Since Grandpa went to the capital, Ariadne felt a bit sad, but she didn't realize. Grandpa's trip would bring tremendous help for her future, to prevent endless troubles from finding her. The clever Ariadne planned to first let the elixir flow into the black market, making it impossible to trace their source. Once its reputation grew, she would publicly donate the formula to the temple in the family's name, and announce the news to the world. This way, she could not only gain the temple's trust, but also earn fame. At this moment, Grandpa was telling his second daughter about his granddaughter's plan. "Dad, she's so interesting!" The speaker was the Archmage's second daughter, Rebecca. After many years of hard work, she finally established herself, built her own merchant group, and became a wealthy merchant leader. The woman's eyes suddenly widened. "Dad, how old did you say she is? 10? 11? Grandpa sighed helplessly. "Don't you even know how old your own niece is?" The woman snapped her fingers with a pop sound, calling the name Bolton. The man standing in the corner heard the woman's call and respectfully bowed. "Master, your niece is 8 years old this year." Rebecca was very excited. She never expected her niece to be so capable. "Dad, is she really only 8 years old? This child's intelligence, she's definitely merchant group heir material. I want to raise her, give her to me." "We can't entrust such a talented child to someone as naive and ignorant as my brother." Hearing his daughter's words, Grandpa quickly interrupted her thoughts. "She's the direct heir of Duke Eldir." The woman cursed angrily. "Damn it, what a waste! Why does it have to be the troublesome Eldir? But I will definitely secure the distribution of that healing potion." Grandpa sighed helplessly. "This child will make her own decisions. An 8-year-old child, shouldn't this be handled by her brother or father?" Solon's expression was complex. If it were any other child, perhaps. But when you personally witness this child pour contaminated water on herself, to prove the elixir's effectiveness as a bargaining chip, just to obtain the family contract in exchange for protection, you realize you must respect all her choices. Rebecca never expected her niece to be so resolute. It was truly surprising. Looking at it this way, she's truly Gloria's daughter. It would be disastrous if her taste in men were equally poor. Seeing her father getting angry, Rebecca quickly tried to make amends. "Speaking of which, Gloria contacted me before she died, hoping to meet with me. But I waited at the agreed location all day and never saw Gloria, then shortly after received news of sister's death." Grandpa was furious upon hearing this. "Why are you only telling me this now? My poor child, she must have discovered something to seek help from you, her sister. If I hadn't said I was cutting ties with her, she wouldn't have been too afraid to come home." Seeing her sad father, Rebecca quickly comforted him. "Pull yourself together, you still have an amazing granddaughter. I'll go see her as soon as possible and get her authorization." The aunt who couldn't wait to meet Ariadne came up empty-handed. Learning that her brother and sister-in-law had gone to the lake for a spring outing, Rebecca could hardly believe that this family, who usually only trained or fought, could be so leisurely. She immediately headed toward the lake. The aunt who arrived at the lake was stunned by the scene before her. Her usually stern brother was happily wearing a flower crown and smiling. She could hardly believe Eric was there too, with a girl beside him placing a flower crown on his head. Could this boy actually tolerate such things? And her sister-in-law, who was always serious as a knight, was actually laughing too. Rebecca's expression became subtle. Just as she was about to approach, Veronica glared at them with murderous intent. "Who goes there?" she said, about to draw her sword. Fortunately, Celiana quickly diffused the situation. Even though they hadn't seen each other for a long time, the couple was glad to see their sister still the same. "Long time no see, we've missed you. How have you been?" Erish also quickly stood up, calling Aunt Rebecca. Rebecca looked at the young man before her and couldn't help teasing. Well, if it isn't my big nephew. Not only have you grown taller, you've become more handsome too. With this flower crown, you're absolutely adorable." Eric's cheeks turned red, unable to retort, just wanting to find a hole to crawl into. "It's all thanks to my parents. Do I dare resist? This is..." Ariadne quickly curtsied politely in greeting. "Good morning, Aunt Rebecca. I'm Ariadne Eldir." Looking at those big blue eyes and cute little face, Rebecca couldn't help but pinch and poke them. This little one doesn't look anything like her mother. Ernst nearby snatched her back. "Hey, what are you doing?" Rebecca was a bit embarrassed, saying she just wanted to touch her niece's little cheeks. "Don't make such a big fuss." Veronica also agreed. Eric on the side really couldn't stand it anymore. "Veronica, Aunt Rebecca, she has poor health and can't be hugged and touched randomly. At least wash your hands." Is this what a nephew should say? "Father told me Eric really hates Ariadne. My niece is quite interesting. I must reach a cooperation agreement with her as soon as possible. I wonder if the little cutie has time?" In the reception room, Aunt got straight to the point. "Your grandfather has already told me the story, so I came. Regarding your plan, do you want me to discuss this as your aunt or as the merchant group leader?" Faced with Aunt's inquiry, Ariadne was somewhat at a loss. The novel only briefly summarized the merchant group's information without mentioning Aunt Rebecca's name. She shouldn't have any hostility toward an 8-year-old child like me. I can only gradually understand the situation. What's the difference between the two? Seeing Aunt's smiling expression, Ariadne finally realized. She had been overthinking things. To her, I'm just an 8-year-old child, and she's Mother's biological sister. Also someone Grandfather trusts, so I should confidently trust her. I knew it, Aunt Rebecca, are you teasing me? Rebecca wanted to make excuses, but her expression gave her away. I was originally worried this niece would be a little genius who only cares about profit. But surprisingly, I really like you. I heard Aunt Rebecca is very good at deceiving people, which makes me somewhat afraid to trust you. Look at Aunt Rebecca's honest and beautiful eyes, very sincere. Ariadne turned her little face away. Forget it. Mother said that people who ask you to look into their eyes to gain trust are definitely liars. As soon as she finished speaking, Rebecca's smile gradually faded. It became deep sadness, yet mixed with a touch of warmth. Time seemed to stop, and no one spoke. Memories flashed through Rebecca's mind. At this moment, Ariadne, more protagonist-like than the male lead, was negotiating a contract with her aunt. This is the contract. Take your time reading it. I'll wait here for you. If you have any questions, you can always come find me. Also, because you're still young. These resumes are all management talents that Aunt thinks are suitable. You can choose one of them to help you. Ariadne's happiness overflowed. Aunt Rebecca is indeed a businesswoman, thinking so thoroughly. If I don't entrust her with something, I'd really be doing her a disservice. Aunt Rebecca, could you help me find someone? A child with crimson eyes named Axel. At this moment, Axel was wandering in hunger, nearly starving to death. Rumors said that children with crimson eyes would bring disaster, despite his skills. People didn't dare approach him, staying far away, not even willing to give him menial jobs. With no other choice, he had only one path, becoming a mercenary. But no one believed a kid with just a broken sword had the ability. You bring this piece of junk here to embarrass yourself? The gatekeeper acted superior, making Axel very indignant. With just this broken sword, I can still defeat you. After a fight, the hungry boy, on the verge of defeat, turned the tables and the gatekeeper was beaten. Kid, you're pretty good. I'll point you in the right direction. If you want to make big money, go to the back alley. Mention my name and it'll help. After Axel left, the mercenary sneered. Our poor unlucky Axel was played and didn't even know it. A shabby cloth shop. Opening the door, it was actually a different world inside. Before he could approach, the man at the desk stopped him. Stinking beggar, don't dirty my expensive floor. But the moment the man looked up, he suddenly froze with wide eyes. Those were the legendary crimson eyes. This time he'd struck it rich. These eyes were absolutely magnificent. Red eyes are deeply favored by fire spirit. His chances of becoming an elemental knight are very high. Of course, growing to that level requires a tremendous amount of time and experience. But don't worry, child. I believe in your potential and will fully support you. At this moment, Axel didn't know he was about to be sold. This man didn't despise his crimson eyes and would pat his head like a father. I don't want to endure hunger anymore. I'm actually almost starving to death. Maybe this is a good choice. The boy didn't carefully read the contract's contents to avoid loneliness. He signed his name with a bold stroke. Welcome to the Chess Association. This association wasn't as honorable as it appeared. On the surface, it recruited and sponsored talented individuals. In reality, it found playthings for the wealthy. Treating them as slaves, the upper class always liked doing lowly things. Sponsors would issue commission tasks. If they couldn't complete the tasks, they would die on the spot. If slaves refused or demanded to leave, the master would require them to repay all the sponsorship received. Slaves not only wouldn't get paid, but would also bear huge debts at others' mercy. Ariadne knew all this, but she couldn't interfere yet. She wanted this Axel to become strong through cruel killing. But one thing had to be prevented. The protagonist would later gain resurrection abilities. Though he'd be reborn countless times, the ending wouldn't change. It would still end tragically. With me here, maybe I can change him? This secretary was selected from the resumes Aunt Rebecca provided. I heard he's obsessed with money but very principled. Precisely because of this, as long as I give him enough money, he'll never betray me. Though this chess association is despicable. Undeniably, it's the greatest opportunity for the male lead Axel to grow. So Ariadne decided to buy all of the chess association's assets. Let Axel grow and become strong just like in the novel. Though this behavior is no different from deception, Ariadne had no other choice. To make Axel stronger without relying on resurrection, this was the best method. Ariadne highly appreciated the secretary. Next, she could let him serve as the chess association's representative and give the secretary double salary. Ariadne only needed to command from behind the scenes. To avoid unnecessary trouble, Ariadne told the secretary to act like strangers when others were present. The secretary immediately expressed he would give his all. No one would believe an 8-year-old duke's daughter would be the chess association's true owner. Additionally, the plan to distribute elixirs into the black market was ready. The first batch would be released soon. The clues were already hidden, no matter how they investigated. The potion source would trace back to the Eldir territory. Ariadne wanted to pin the black market potion news on Duke Eldir, and the formula donated to the temple would be the same. This was Ariadne's first step in revenge, undermining from within, making them suspicious of each other. Duke Eldir was in for big trouble. Also, Weaver was a poor and cold place. Besides fighting and hunting, most people had no job opportunities. Ariadne decided to build workshops near the castle. People could not only spend their earned wages but also stimulate the economy. This was to repay grandfather's family, even if just a small gesture. The secretary couldn't help but admire her. Originally, he didn't understand why the little master wouldn't use slaves. They were cost-effective and would maintain secrecy well. He thought building the workshop in Weaver was just for convenience. He never expected this master to be not only clever but also grateful. It was truly impressive. The boy who had just signed the indenture contract was sold again in an instant. The boy was very annoyed. Since joining the association, he hadn't received even one official task. The former master saying he was a potential stock was all lies. Fortunately, Ariadne immediately arranged a task for him. But before executing the first task, he had to thoroughly read a fairy tale book, one the boy had read since childhood. However, what made Axel speechless was yet to come. Ariadne arranged a teacher for him, telling him that as long as he learned math, physics, and chemistry well, he could go anywhere. Axel said, "Those are things nobles study. I'd rather spend this time chopping a few more monsters." But the teacher said he was just doing his job for money. If he didn't want to learn, he didn't have to come. Seeing the teacher angry, though he couldn't understand it, he couldn't refuse tasks arranged by his new master, so he could only obediently comply. Though he didn't know what his master was up to. After all, Axel knew that only through learning could he gain more knowledge. This was a rare opportunity he had to grasp well. Soon, Axel faced his first task. Go to the Great Desert and dig out 7 colored crystals. Arriving at the desert, Axel looked at the task information in his hand. This task seemed very simple no matter how he looked at it. Why did his new master provide him with high-end equipment that made others envious? Even stranger was this mysterious letter that could only be opened in times of crisis. His master was really making a big fuss. What's so difficult about this task? Before Axel could think more, he suddenly felt the air's heat becoming more intense. Looking around, a golden sea of fire rushed toward him. As the flames approached, a giant wolf with golden horns came into view. If he wasn't mistaken, this was a inferno, a group of elemental beasts. The teacher said the best strategy is to retreat. Seeing he couldn't win, Axel wanted to run, but no matter how he ran, the distance didn't increase, it got closer. Just as he was about to be engulfed, suddenly there was a cliff ahead. He leaped without hesitation. The rest could only be left to fate. Ariadne arrived at the capital. In the carriage, Ariadne kept looking out the window, checking almost every 5 minutes. Her anxious appearance made grandfather jealous. "I thought you traveled all this way because you missed your grandfather, but it turns out it's for someone else." Seeing trouble, Ariadne quickly comforted him, saying her main purpose was to see grandfather, just incidentally checking on a sponsored boy. "I arranged a task for him, and am curious whether he can complete it. More curious about those red eyes." Grandfather scoffed at this answer. "He's just going to dig 7 colored crystals. What's to worry about? People of this generation all make money this way with crystals." Ariadne was momentarily speechless. Seeing Ariadne like this, grandfather somewhat regretted his words. He hugged Ariadne tightly. "You're still a child yourself, yet you worry about others." Actually, Ariadne was worried about the inferno. The first task she arranged for Axel was to subdue that giant wolf with golden horns, but Axel might lose an eye in the process. Ariadne was more worried that changing the original novel's content might cause Axel to die in the desert. Then who would save the world? Should she just leave it to fate? Just as Ariadne was struggling with what to do, Axel was struggling in the sea of fire. "How can I escape this inferno? I feel like I'm suffocating." Axel frantically looked around. The teacher once said, "Elemental beasts born in flames like crimson firelight. Could it be because of my eyes, since you like them? What harm is there in plucking out one eye to give them? Staying alive matters most." The moment he drew his sword, Axel suddenly glimpsed the fallen mysterious letter. It read, "The red-eyed child dies in fire. Not burned to death, but suffocated from lack of oxygen." Axel understood. The fire itself couldn't harm him. He reached his hand into the flames. The glove was instantly burned away. But his hand remained unharmed. His master was truly prophetic, saving him from danger at the critical moment. "Then my target is the Alpha. But this place is like hell." The boy swayed and jumped down. Instantly fire wrapped around his entire body. The sword his father gave him gradually melted, flowing away from his hands. Axel looked at his empty hands. Tears seemed about to flow but were quickly evaporated. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Only by conquering the giant wolf could he succeed. He had to try. Axel reached out and grabbed the giant wolf. Even after riding onto the wolf's back, it showed no reaction. To conquer the giant wolf, he had to grab its horn. The moment Axel grasped the horn, the giant wolf roared, flames rising all over its body. It began running wildly. The 12-year-old boy returned riding the giant wolf. Though covered in wounds, he was the victor in this battle. Ariadne saw the boy hadn't lost his eye and was overjoyed. The result was better than expected. But now wasn't the time to celebrate. She had to quickly treat his injuries. She arranged for the secretary to handle it. Veronica was puzzled. "You're the one who's worried. You're the one being mysterious. You're the one who wants to know the answer. Shouldn't you be the one greeting him?" Ariadne was in a difficult position. "I'm still young. I'll meet him when I'm older." Seeing the giant wolf, people were astonished, though Ariadne had warned the secretary beforehand. Seeing the giant wolf in person, the secretary still found it hard to stay calm and couldn't help swallowing. Axel recognized the secretary. He jumped down from the giant wolf, demanding to see his master. The doctor, seeing his injuries, wanted to treat him first, but Axel insisted on seeing his master. He was certain his master was in the carriage. He wanted answers. His father's sword had melted in the fire, but the robe he wore was fireproof, as if it had all been arranged. He felt like a puppet. He hoped his master would come out and explain. He didn't want to be manipulated. Veronica saw Axel daring to shout at his master and was about to go teach him a lesson. When she saw Axel collapse, Ariadne couldn't help but worry. Fortunately, the secretary reported he had only fainted from exhaustion and was fine. Only then did she relax. After all, he was the male protagonist. She couldn't be careless. She immediately arranged for the secretary to request a priest to heal him. If Axel fully recovered, she would give the secretary double bonus. The secretary assured her, "Miss, rest assured, I'll arrange everything." 4 years passed in a flash. Ariadne was now 12 years old. She had become even more beautiful. The massive production of elixirs made her possess billions in assets. Initially, when sold on the black market, most people thought it was nonsense. But where there's supply, there's demand, getting the expected therapeutic effects. Instantly, rave reviews flew everywhere, everyone scrambling to find healing potions. Elixirs were instantly sold out. Even the temple and royal family were envious. It was time to hand over the formula. Solon brought Ariadne into the temple together, donating the healing potion formula without taking any money. Therefore, the temple granted Ariadne the title of saint. When the formula was made public, Weaver's healing potion manufacturing workshop also began operating intensively. Eric still called Ariadne Skeleton as always. Ariadne knew this was her brother's exclusive nickname for her. Honestly, she didn't dislike it at all, occasionally trading barbs with Erich. Today they agreed to meet in the garden to see what he was up to again. "What, bozo? Can you show some respect for me as your brother? Where did the person who said he didn't plan to be a brother go? That was so long ago." Every time she saw him deflated, Ariadne was delighted. "Stop laughing. Look at this letter from your undead father. Never thought I'd receive a letter from that brat. Open it and see." This was a letter from Duke Eldir. After learning the formula was donated to the temple, Duke Eldir began having a mental breakdown. Plus, news of losing custody due to abusing his daughter fermented. His reputation plummeted. Since then, he often sent letters, sometimes condemning, sometimes demanding dividends, sometimes playing victim. Though he didn't dare openly cause trouble, doing this constantly was still annoying. "Did you call me here just to give me this letter? I was afraid your fragile skeleton might accidentally break." As soon as he finished speaking, brother gently picked her up and let her sit on his lap. He worried Ariadne would be sad seeing this letter, so he wanted to read it with her. Though Eric was sharp-tongued, he gave Ariadne nothing but love. Ariadne's biggest change was becoming as close as family with her uncle's household. "Even if it's a letter for me, I won't dislike brother reading it with me." Then Eric spoke up. "Read the letter first, see what tricks he's up to." The letter's content surprised both of them. The Duke had actually remarried, the bride named Rada, also a character who didn't appear in the novel. Could he want to have another child to replace me as heir? No, as the eldest daughter, I'm first in line. Unless I die. In the original story, the Branch family adoptee he found only inherited after my death. So he really plans to kill me. Then Eric pulled her back to reality. "You'd better not attend this wedding. He definitely has ulterior motives toward you." Indeed, brother thought the same as me. Knowing his ill intentions, how could I rush to attend? "By the way, could you stop messing up my hair? It's all disheveled now." His sister's response made Eric very relieved. "I'll help you rebraid it. If you really want to show me affection, then give me some pocket money." This made brother both laugh. "You're already a billionaire, yet you're eyeing my little bit of money." Though he said he wouldn't give it, his body was honest. "Fine, since you're cute, take it." Eric knew his sister wasn't after money. She just enjoyed the favoritism in this behavior. Her health had improved greatly these past few years. She just wanted warmth in this big family. If this could make her happy, Eric was willing to give her pocket money every day. Looking at Pi devouring the cookies with such adorable enthusiasm, I've grown day by day over these 4 years, while Pi remains the same as always. If there's any change to speak of, it's that she speaks more fluently than before, plus this outfit of hers. As long as she's happy, maintaining that childlike innocence is a blessing in itself. I came here this time hoping Pi could help me find information about Rita, but Pi searched through all the books and only learned that she would arrive soon. Because my rebirth has changed too much, it seems the Phantom Library isn't omnipotent after all. Since Pi says there's nothing, then there definitely isn't. Seeing Pi's sad little expression, Ariadne quickly consoled her. It's fine if we can't find it for now. Perhaps the content itself doesn't exist. Just keep an eye out for me recently. Upon receiving the instruction, Pi immediately sprang into action. Before leaving, she didn't forget to remind Ariadne to rest well, take it slow, and that health was most important. A few days later, Duke Eldir held a simple, low-key wedding. Although he invited Ariadne many times, Ariadne remained unmoved and didn't attend, causing Duke Eldir to be mocked by others. But regarding this, he only sent 2 letters of protest and took no other action. Soon, several months passed, and Duke Eldir's new wife actually came knocking. Although Ernst had long ordered that anyone from Duke Eldir's household be turned away, she had familiar bandages wrapped around her right arm, in the same position as Ariadne's injury. Ernst still softened and arranged for the butler to bring her to the reception room. Let's test her motives first. As soon as Ernst arrived, the woman began crying and lamenting. Although she knew about Duke Eldir's abuse of his daughter, when he knelt before her, crying and claiming innocence, she was still blinded by love and chose to forgive him. Later, Duke Eldir asked her to help with a simple little experiment. After sitting in that chair with her hands bound, Rita became frightened and wanted to refuse, which was when Duke Eldir revealed his true nature. Only then did I realize I'd been deceived, forced to endure agonizing experiments every day. I couldn't bear it anymore and escaped while he was out. I'm truly sorry. I didn't know where else to go, so I could only come seek help from Ariadne. Faced with the woman's tearful account, Ernst found it difficult to judge truth from falsehood and could only arrange for a doctor's examination. After learning her injuries were the same as Ariadne's, everyone finally let their guard down around her. But the woman lingered and wouldn't leave, and would inevitably encounter Ariadne sooner or later. To avoid awkwardness, Celiana organized a tea party to make introductions, introducing Ariadne and the woman to each other. Ariadne looked at the woman before her without any surprise, as she had already obtained partial information from Pi. Ariadne observed Rita's somewhat helpless appearance. This woman appeared to be in her mid-20s, more fragile than imagined. I hope she's not here to harm me. The demon gate appeared once again. Humanity fell into crisis. To save mankind, the Weaver family is preparing to launch a campaign. Eric and Veronica volunteered to stay behind to protect Ariadne, mainly to guard against Duke Eldir taking advantage to harm Ariadne. However, just as the expedition force departed, the woman came calling, and unexpectedly, Ariadne actually received a gift from her. She said, "I'm also Ariadne's nominal mother. Being cared for here is also thanks to Ariadne's blessing. With time on my hands, I handcrafted this elemental lantern. I hope you won't find it disagreeable." After Eric's inspection, it was just an ordinary elemental lantern with no abnormalities detected. Seeing the woman's troubled expression, Ariadne's heart still softened. Legally, she was a stepmother, but in reality just a stranger. Perhaps because they shared the same fate, Ariadne chose to trust her and accepted the gift. But come nightfall, sleeping Ariadne heard a subtle sound. That compelled her to sit up, blankly getting out of bed and walking toward the source of the sound. Veronica at the door saw Ariadne with vacant eyes. "My lady, it's the middle of the night. Where are you going barefoot?" Wait, she seems to be possessed by something. Realizing something was wrong, Veronica quickly gave chase, but was still a step too late. The woman put away her flute. Seeing Veronica pursuing, she smiled contemptuously. An uninvited guest followed along too, but it's already too late. Then she picked up Ariadne and disappeared into thin air using magic. Despite Veronica's regret, Ariadne was still forcibly taken away. In her unconsciousness, Ariadne only felt her body becoming very heavy. She wanted to wake up but couldn't open her eyes, so she could only call Pi to enter the Phantom Library. Pi told her that Ariadne had been cursed, forced into sleep. Her elemental lantern had some kind of powder on it. "Your breathing is controlled by others, and I can't wake you either." As expected, this woman is not a good person. I must find a way to wake from this dream first. I can't keep sleeping like this. Suddenly, Pi sensed that the real Ariadne was surrounded by props and prepared magic circles. In the original story, this kind of environment was for forcibly extracting souls to create puppets. I can't wait here for someone to rescue me. I need to wake up quickly. Even if my soul is scattered, I can't let them succeed. With that, she picked up a knife and stabbed herself back into the real world. Slowly awakening, Ariadne felt her head splitting with pain. She had to escape this place quickly. Walking out of the cave, she discovered this was a frozen mountain range. Ariadne despaired. Was she going to die here? Although she had a knife brought out from the library, Ariadne had no confidence she could successfully fight back. Just as she was lost in thought, Rita appeared behind her. "The powder should have kept you unconscious for 3 days. You woke up so quickly I had wanted to let you leave without feeling any pain." She grabbed Ariadne's wrist. "You're quite miraculous, young lady," conjuring a small knife out of thin air. Ariadne wanted to resist, but their strength was vastly different. She understood she couldn't force it now. so she obediently followed Rita back to the cave. Rita, you've become very different, actually putting drugged powder in the elemental lantern, then using magic to make me walk out of the room myself. Even if discovered, it has nothing to do with you. Duke Eldir ordered you to come, didn't he? Ariadne's deduction made Rita sigh that this little thing was quite clever, but she only guessed half right. Disdainfully stating, your incompetent father is just a puppet of mine. God gave him a pretty face, but his brain is a pile of mush. So all these plans, including the special experiments for you, were all orchestrated by me, my grand design. Ariadne was shocked. So all of this was thanks to this woman, a hypocritical and malicious scheming woman, considering Ariadne's special constitution. To prevent her from escaping, Rita used magic to bind the girl's feet. Stay here obediently, your drug resistance needs careful study. Ariadne didn't understand why the Phantom Library had no information about this woman. She asked unwillingly, who exactly are you? The woman smiled and lifted Ariadne's chin. I am Rita Picaro, the mage bestowed with the Black Goblet. Ariadne was greatly shocked, so she was a traitor who had abandoned her human identity, selling her soul to the demon realm in exchange for power. Collectively known as a dark mage, the woman was very displeased, and slapped Ariadne. Don't look at me with those eyes. Who doesn't want to rise in the world? Just wait here obediently, it'll be over soon. After the woman left, Ariadne fell into contemplation. I can't panic, I must stay calm. These years of being surrounded by warmth, I got so comfortable I forgot this was an apocalyptic novel. But why didn't Rita appear in the novel? She should only be a minor supporting character. I won't let you succeed. Ariadne didn't want to wait in place for rescue, so only one option remained. Immediately become an elementalist, but she was only 12 years old. 16 was the necessary condition to become an elementalist. If she carelessly summoned elementals, she might die as a result. Although this was crazy, she had no choice. Whatever the consequences, it was better than sitting and waiting for death. She closed her eyes, clasped her hands together, and prayed silently. Her soul slowly floated up. She searched desperately. The great elemental that appeared before her eyes left Ariadne standing there stunned. This was the great elemental Permafrost Crown, the greatest elemental of Mount Weaver Snow, with a 5-star danger rating. The book said if you accidentally connected with it, it was recommended to immediately disconnect and block the link. Ariadne kept praying for a miracle, hoping to find a kind and gentle great elemental. She didn't want to die because of this. The result was obvious. Within the great elemental Permafrost Crown's sphere of influence, Ariadne couldn't find any other elementals appearing. The book once recorded that when people were in mortal danger, devoutly praying to great elementals, the elementals might help humans out of pity. This was the origin of elemental arts. But Rita could return at any moment, and death would be equally inescapable. Better to take a gamble. My fate is in my own hands. Ariadne could only give it her all. Please lend me your aid. Finally, the great elemental heard Ariadne's plea and agreed to establish a connection with her. Ariadne had wanted to borrow the great elemental's power, to remove the vines on her feet and escape, but the icy cold air entered her body, making her body tremble uncontrollably. Rita was baffled. She had only stepped out for a moment, and such an unbelievable thing happened. Are you crazy? Using elemental arts at 12 years old? Do you want to die that badly? Without anyone to translate the elemental's language for you, do you know what the result will be? Ariadne ignored her words. Rita, don't you want to kill me? Did you think I'd just wait obediently to die? Either way, I can't escape it, so why not give it a try? The great elemental Permafrost Crown sensed Ariadne's anger and released massive amounts of cold air. Rita sneered. What a puppy who's not afraid of death. Something that could end quietly with sleep, you had to make it so complicated. In that case, don't blame me for being merciless. She immediately released a magic barrier. Although Ariadne couldn't communicate and didn't know how terrifying the power the great elemental granted her was, she knew this kind of magic barrier would only enrage the great elemental. Just as Rita was about to strike again, the great elemental came to Ariadne's side, looking murderously at Rita. In an instant, the magic barrier shattered completely. Rita was severely injured as a result. Knowing she was no match, Rita fled. With Rita's escape, the great elemental's anger dissipated, but the connection remained. The great elemental said something in a language Ariadne couldn't make sense of. Seeing Ariadne didn't reply, the great elemental couldn't help but reach for her. Ariadne felt somewhat desperate. She had just survived Rita's hands, only to die at the great elemental's hands. The great elemental tightly grasped Ariadne's body. A tiny human dared to offend him so brazenly. Suddenly, a familiar voice appeared. Aria, don't be afraid. Because you didn't answer the great elemental's question, he's a bit angry. Quickly tell him your age. Is this Pi? Although the voice was much deeper, Pi had come to help me. 12 years old. I'm 12 years old. Learning Ariadne's age, the great elemental Permafrost Crown was somewhat stunned. His fury slowly dissipated. Looking coldly at Ariadne, this was his first time seeing such a young elementalist. With a casual gesture, he released Ariadne's restraints, dropping her pitifully. Ariadne didn't know why the great elemental suddenly let her go. Pi, can you analyze his current state? Receiving the task, Pi immediately began analyzing, quickly finishing. The great elemental is not very happy now, but has curiosity, pity, and admiration for you. He says, considering you're a child and talented, he's decided to show mercy and spare your life. Finally, the great elemental departed. Pi, you're amazing! You can not only contact me but also translate the great elemental's language. Are you also a great elemental? Hearing this, Pi said she wasn't clear either, but sensed your danger, and in a certain moment, suddenly connected to the communication channel between you and the great elemental, and could simultaneously translate the great elemental's language. Ariadne was stunned. Is it that simple? But Pi, your voice seems to have changed, becoming deeper and more fluent. And in my most helpless moment, you helped me like a guide. Thanks to you, I could survive. Suddenly, waves of stabbing pain spread throughout Ariadne's body. This was the after effect of linking with the great elemental permafrost crown. Ariadne's physical condition was very poor now, with numb hands and feet. If she didn't get treatment, she might die here. She didn't know if she could hold on until her family found her. She had to find a way to save herself. Just then, Pi sensed the great elemental verdant basin trying to connect. She wants to provide you with elemental power. Are you willing to accept? This is the great elemental mother once connected with. I know her. Of course, I'm very willing. This is my honor. The next second, verdant basin's elemental power continuously flowed into Ariadne's body. This feeling was like warm spring in March, with blooming flowers. Ariadne enjoyed it immensely, just like mother's embrace, so warm. As the stabbing pain gradually disappeared, Ariadne couldn't help but succumb to fatigue and slowly fell asleep. At this moment, Veronica didn't yet know Ariadne was safe, and was searching throughout the mountains. She hated herself for letting the enemy kidnap the young lady right in front of her. As the young lady's guardian knight, she had been derelict in her duty. The young lady had become an indispensable family member to her. She absolutely couldn't lose her like she lost her family in childhood. If anything happened to Lady Ariadne, she would never forgive herself. She must personally eliminate that Rita. Wait, what's that? How could there be green trees in the glacier? Could the young lady be there? Veronica quickened her pace. When she approached the green trees, she was stunned by the scene before her. A tree branch was actually pointing the way for her. How incredible! Trespassing into a elementalist's territory would surely result in expulsion, but the branch before her showed no intention of driving her away. On the contrary, it moved like a guide. Veronica approached slowly with worry. It's Lady Ariadne! She's sleeping in a sea of flowers. Veronica was overjoyed and immediately dismounted, carefully approaching, only then discovering the young lady was covered in blood. Veronica's face turned pale as she picked up the young lady and called her name. This familiar voice! Who's calling me? Ariadne slowly opened her eyes. Is this the Phantom Library? Pi was calling to Ariadne. Aria, wake up quickly. Pi, how did you grow from a 5- or 6-year-old child into someone my age overnight? Pi softly replied, I was particularly anxious then and tried various connection methods. Finally found the right direction, and suddenly felt my clothes become too small. But fortunately I grew up. Otherwise I couldn't have guided you. Do I look strange like this? Hearing this, Ariadne quickly waved her hands. No, Pi doesn't look strange at all. On the contrary, I think you look beautiful at 12 or 13. But are you a boy or a girl? Pi saw Ariadne's curious expression. Is being male or female that important? What does Aria think I should be? Ariadne looked up thoughtfully. Probably a girl. The next second, Pi leaned over and kissed Ariadne's cheek, innocently stating that none of that mattered, because Ariadne was the only person who could enter here. If Aria says I'm a girl, then I'm a girl. Ariadne blushed at Pi's action. If I say you're a boy, then you are a boy? Forget it, you decide this question yourself. I won't interfere. Changing the subject, what's the state of my body outside? Pi replied, don't worry, Veronica found you. She notified Eric, and then carried Aria running all the way back to the castle. I called you to the library because you're receiving medical treatment, and I was worried you'd have a headache, so I brought you here to play. By my calculation, the timing is just right. You should go back now. Hearing this, Ariadne breathed a huge sigh of relief. So that's how it is. Thank you. Next time I'll bring you some interesting things. And Pi said it didn't matter, looking at that pile of books, they're all my companions. At this moment, Ariadne felt she owed Pi too much. Pi couldn't leave the library and didn't need to sleep, only able to keep company with books every day. But how boring must it be to only read books for a lifetime? In the future, she must often bring Pi delicious and fun things. Handicrafts and musical instruments should be nice too. Pi looked at Ariadne's thoughtful expression with confusion. What are you thinking about now, Aria? Ariadne said it was nothing. I'll come keep you company more often in the future. Let's shake hands and say goodbye. Looking forward to seeing you next time. I hope you stay healthy. Goodbye. Returning to reality, Ariadne felt very fortunate. Ariadne was weak all over and softly called for her brother. Erich jumped like he'd been electrocuted, looking at Ariadne, with a smile, but his words carried teasing. Oh my, just when you'd finally gained some weight, you've become a skeleton again. Ariadne was amused. I'm really defeated by you. Just waking up and you call me a skeleton. Can you ever fix this habit? Erich said. What else then? Don't tell me you thought I'd cry? But Erich's trembling hands and the undried tears at the corners of his eyes had already betrayed him. Erich had Ariadne move her fingers and joints to see if they hurt. Ariadne looked at her hands. My fingers? So Erich is concerned about my frostbite. Erich really is cold on the outside but warm on the inside. Brother, I'm fine. Don't worry about me. I don't hurt at all. Muttering, Erich said that in the future, when asked if you hurt, never say you're fine. Just say you don't know, because you don't. Also, it's my fault for not realizing Rita would harm you right under my nose. Ariadne replied, Who's to say otherwise? Even someone as highly alert as me didn't notice. You little girl acting mature, rest well. We'll talk about other things later, and I've already caught that person. Hearing this, Ariadne was shocked. Rita was actually caught by brother? His ability to catch Rita was truly unexpected. But Rita was a dark mage. Wasn't this too dangerous? But Erich said, Are you underestimating me, little thing? I know you're worried about me, but for me, this was just child's play. I haven't even shown my real skills yet. Hearing this, Ariadne also fell into thought. Brother wasn't bragging. At 20 years old, being able to capture a dark mage through skill alone was indeed impressive. But brother, however you want to deal with Rita doesn't matter, but you can't take action against Duke Eldir. Erich looked puzzled. You've become like this and you still want to spare his life? Adult matters are none of your concern. When grandfather returns, he'll make the decision for you. Ariadne softly replied, No, Eldir is just a puppet controlled by Rita. It's difficult to get formal punishment, and he'll definitely go with the flow, and blame the abuse on the dark mage. In the end, I might bring disaster upon myself. I don't want to implicate you all because of her. But brother found it hard to understand. So you want me to just watch him play innocent? Are you underestimating the Weaver family too much? Ariadne quickly explained. That's not it. I'm just worried. Besides, Eldir is my prey. I'll take action myself when I grow up. Taking away everything he has. So before I come of age, he must keep his title. Ariadne's thinking made Erich have to admire her. Our little skeleton really becomes more impressive the more I understand her. At such a young age, not swayed by emotions, with very clear thinking. If Franz Eldir were executed, his title and wealth would be reclaimed by the royal family. If Ariadne wanted to get Eldir's family property, he had to stay alive until Ariadne inherited the title. Little skeleton, you're excellent! When grandfather and the others return, I'll inform them immediately. Don't think about such complicated things for now, have something to eat. But Ariadne's next words shocked Erich even more. Ariadne told her brother she could use elemental arts and wanted to use the elemental practice room Mother had used. Could you please help me open the door? My goodness, this little skeleton doesn't play by the rules. I really can't look at you with the eyes used for ordinary children. Well-fed and satisfied, Ariadne looked at the damaged elemental lantern in her hands. I really shouldn't have trusted Rita. Besides Uncle Ernst's family, how could anyone else possibly be good to me? I really brought this on myself. I won't easily trust others again. She casually threw it into the fireplace. The elemental lantern instantly turned to ashes. Just then, Veronica knocked and entered. Ariadne didn't turn to look at her. Ronnie, I heard you've been training until you collapsed recently. Veronica silently lowered her eyes. I'm too incompetent. I failed to protect you in time, causing you to suffer. Hearing this, Ariadne immediately turned her gaze to Veronica. This isn't your fault. That's because Rita was a dark mage. But Veronica insisted, it's because I was too lax in normal times that I nearly got you killed. Only by working hard can I become stronger. Ariadne stared at Veronica blankly and made a decision. Ronnie, suppose there was a method that might even result in death, but could make you many times stronger than now. Would you accept the challenge? Veronica never could have imagined. That Ariadne, whom she'd watched grow up, was actually the mastermind behind the recently prominent mercenary group. This was an existence even the royal family dared not provoke. Ariadne could obtain vast amounts of props, items, and intelligence through this team. Looking at the letter Ariadne handed over, Veronica was puzzled. My lady, what is this? Ariadne was very calm. This is a map of the contaminated area in the southern part of the Great Forest. At these words, Veronica expressed confusion. Observing Veronica's reaction, Ariadne said, You don't need to be nervous. The pond marked on the map is your target. But along the way, you'll encounter unimaginably powerful demons. You must be extremely careful. After finding the pond, you can open the first letter. When to open the second letter is up to you to decide. and the last letter can only be opened when you're in crisis to have maximum effect. Trust me, going there will change your destiny. Having said this, Ariadne worried that Veronica didn't understand her meaning, because she didn't know how dangerous it was there. So Ariadne was afraid Veronica would take her words lightly. Would she still accept her arrangement then? My lady, I'm not afraid of danger. I want to go. I just need to find the pond, right? After speaking, she stood up to leave. Hearing Veronica's agreement, Ariadne became somewhat flustered. Wait, Ronnie, are you sure you won't ask about the related circumstances? Veronica didn't understand. Didn't you already explain, my lady? As long as I can become stronger, I'm not afraid of danger or death. Moreover, you are very smart and gave me many clever strategies, didn't you? Hearing this, Ariadne just shook her head. I'm not smart at all. That's right, she wasn't smart. She only had her current achievements thanks to the Phantom Library and memories from her previous life. Although Veronica didn't know why Ariadne wouldn't admit it, she still encouraged her. Smart people aren't just mentally capable, they also have kind hearts. Even someone like me with no blood relation to you care for extremely well. I think not everyone can do this. Ariadne looked at Veronica with surprise. This was the first time Veronica had opened her heart to speak so much. But I don't lose out on these things at all. Don't forget, I'm a merchant. Veronica didn't agree with Ariadne's words because her desired returns were too insignificant. You're a merchant, that's right. But the benefits you want have nothing to do with family. You love everyone in the family, including me. To help the dejected me, you thought of every way to create such a big space for improvement. If I fear difficulties and don't try, how can I protect you with my own strength? To become strong, she decided not to be content with the status quo anymore. This was also the first time she opened her heart to Lady Ariadne. To protect Lady Ariadne, she had no choice. Moreover, only in danger could she grow rapidly. But Ariadne felt very guilty. She somewhat regretted it. What if something unexpected happened? Wouldn't she lose Veronica as a result? Ronnie, let's not go after all. What if the map is wrong? Wouldn't your efforts be wasted? Hearing this, Veronica said, if the map is wrong, I can still come back and report to you, can't I? Veronica's determination left Ariadne speechless. She trusts me too much, even willing to risk her life to try. However, I also trust that she'll seize this opportunity. In the future, Veronica will definitely be my partner fighting side by side. Looking at where the elemental lantern was burning, Ariadne seemed to understand everything. Retta once said that as long as you don't trust anyone, you won't be betrayed or hurt. But if you want to gain someone's trust, you must first trust that person. Although Retta was a dark mage, she was right. Ronnie and I are partners who trust each other. Having thought it through, Ariadne finally smiled. Ronnie, thank you for your trust. When you return, I'll host a welcome feast for you. I look forward to seeing a stronger you next time. Not long after Veronica left, the Weaver family finally returned safely in triumph. Before Eric could report, they learned about Ariadne's kidnapping upon entering the city. Regarding grandfather and brother's interrogation, Rita was uncooperative. Rita was ultimately executed. At the same time, winter arrived, and the Weaver family's business was thriving. And Ariadne began helping Axel formulate a series of tasks again. Only by constantly strengthening Axel could she change the novel's tragic ending. To survive herself, she could only make Axel suffer hardships. Perhaps she was selfish, but she had no other choice. She hoped Axel wouldn't develop negative emotion. Looking at the Simone's organized materials, Ariadne feels like she's opening mystery boxes. There are many more mystery boxes, all rare collectibles like Axel, if time permits. Ariadne is willing to do her utmost to help them become stronger and reach the pinnacle of their lives. It seems the Simone understands her thoughts, having found so many promising talents. And Axel, no matter what happens, you must protect yourself and stay safe. Join me in saving this world in the future. Wait, that's not right. I'm not the protagonist, Axel is. I should say I'll follow Axel in saving this world. 3 years have passed. In the center of the contaminated zone, a warrior wipes the stains from the corner of his mouth. He's carrying out a mission assigned by his master. This is Axel, only 19 years old, not only positive and upward-looking, but also resilient and determined. He has to admit that the tasks Ariadne assigns suit his heart perfectly. Only in danger can he become truly stronger. Everyone believes this is an impossible mission to complete. So what? In the contaminated lands, even without a way back, Axel remains fearless. It's just hard on his teammates who can only struggle to keep up with Axel's pace as they push forward. Watching them fall one after another, Axel doesn't dare let his guard down, because he only has one teammate left. Seeing the evil creatures quietly approaching, though his teammate is afraid, he still bravely steps forward. I'll cover you. If I die, avenge me. Axel pays no attention to his teammate and charges forward himself. He tells his teammate, if you don't want to be burned alive, stay away from my inferno. Axel lets out just a light shout. The fire flies from his blade and the evil creature instantly turns to ash. The saved teammate expresses his confusion. He doesn't dare look into Axel's eyes, lowering his head to question, You're clearly so powerful. Why didn't you use this move last night? That way fewer of our companions would have died. Axel explains, yesterday, under a surprise attack without Inferno's help, everyone might not have even had a chance to struggle. The teammate really can't understand why such a mission was arranged. He's very suspicious of the Master's purpose. What seemed like an easy task is fraught with danger everywhere. Arranging such an impossible mission, the only answer he can think of is that we're meant to never return. Seeing his teammate slander the Master, Axel grits his teeth. For 6 years, he has completed every mission the Master assigned. Though dangerous, he believes the Master wouldn't arrange a death trap. But now his teammate has lost his reason. Axel, let me tell you, your Master is a madman. This place doesn't need you to show loyalty. You know, your Master just has some dirty money. Isn't their favorite thing to toy with us poor people? At this point, the teammate's hatred makes his teeth chatter, so you're just a discarded pawn. Axel falls into deep memories. He once harbored doubts about the Master, even deep hatred. Every time he completed a task assigned by the Master, the next mission would inevitably increase in difficulty to the extreme. Not knowing whether it was to make him challenge his limits or done deliberately, many warriors died accepting impossible missions. But since then, he accidentally learned about the Master's unwritten rules. First, as the Master's warriors, they only need to wait patiently, study knowledge peacefully, and when capable of independence, the Master will assign them appropriate tasks. Second, when the Master assigns impossible tasks that leave warriors debt-ridden, the Master then quietly buys them out, helping them regain their freedom. Though I don't understand why the Master would be such a generous fool, I deeply admire them. They grant their subordinates freedom. The Master uses ingenious and natural methods to rescue slaves from suffering one by one. I've been at the club for 6 years now, and few warriors remain. Though painful, I've learned and gained so much. Not only have I learned noble etiquette and education, I also regularly receive small gifts from the Master. More surprisingly, they actually remembers my birthday. Axel looks at his sword. I suspect the Master can see the future because I had long wanted to obtain it, even though I never revealed this to anyone. More importantly, every time I go on a mission, the Master gives me a mysterious letter. When unexpected events strike, opening the letter always perfectly resolves the crisis. So the Master has many ways to kill me. There's no need for such elaborate schemes. And she's the one who showed me what this world truly looks like. What the Master gains from me is far less than 1/10,000th of what I've received. From childhood, Father taught me to repay kindness, and of course, if someone hits you, hit back. But how can I ever repay the Master's kindness? I really can't figure out the Master's intentions toward me. Could it be that the Master is a woman who has taken a liking to me? How can I have such thoughts about the Master? What does the Master want from me? Is the Master male or female? Looking at the dwindling supplies before him, his teammate also wants to retreat. Axel is conflicted. Victory is within reach, should I give up or not? But remembering that the Master's mysterious letter prepared for him remains unused, and that he cannot disobey the Master's decision, he cannot give up halfway. Axel tells his teammate, if you want to give up, leave by yourself. But the teammate still wants to persuade Axel. Axel, can't you get your head straight? Why are you so stubborn? I'm 35 years old. Though I haven't achieved great wealth, I've been struggling in this chaotic world for over 10 years. I can tell you with my chest puffed out. No one in high society has clean money, they only use others. Stop making mistakes. In their hearts, we're just society's scraps. We're their pawns, ready to be discarded and replaced at any time. These are my heartfelt words. Axel doesn't answer. Looking at the cowardly fellow before him, he turns away. If you're afraid of death, find a safe place to hide before the evil creatures attack. With that, he turns and walks away. Axel's departure greatly troubles his teammate, who curses. Do you think I'm that kind of coward? His mouth speaks tough, but his body is honest, quietly following behind. As time passes, the teammate's body grows increasingly weak. The elemental power in his body is being eroded by the contaminated land, and he could go berserk at any moment. Axel watches all this carefully and is about to speak, when he sees a sword light coming toward him, nearly catching Axel off guard. His teammate's elemental power has lost control. But he can't give up on him like this. They've stumbled along this journey together. Though he's timid and cowardly, he's never truly retreated. He's even taken care of Axel at times. Besides, saving him isn't difficult. Thinking this, Axel throws him aside and raises his arm, taking out elixir from his inventory, a storage ring. You're really getting a bargain, drink this quickly. After his teammate's violent coughing, the one who lost his sanity comes to his senses. What just happened? I seem to dream I fought with you. Hearing this, Axel can't help but tease. So you do know you fought with me. You were nearly covered by contaminated light, about to become an evil creature like them. Take your things. Leave the rest to me. Find a safe place to hide. The teammate says, Axel, are you sure you won't reconsider? After all, going alone is too dangerous. Axel responds, don't worry about me. He waves his hand, showing the inventory the Master gave him on his wrist. The teammate, who hasn't seen much of the world, stares wide-eyed. Is that an inventory on your wrist? If you're going to die anyway, could you give me any one of your magical treasures? Don't let good things go to the grave with you. Axel ignores him and walks straight toward the maze. Actually, this inventory was spoils of war from executing missions. Originally, it needed to be surrendered, but the master gave it to me unconditionally. This makes me somewhat uneasy. Who knows if it was just the master's whim, but regardless, I'm very happy. Thinking this, Axel reaches the entrance to the maze. According to the map the master provided, this is where the core lies. But walking into this core, it's eerily quiet. Axel is also cautious, slowly entering. Soon, he discovers a corpse of an evil creature lying ahead, motionless, unclear whether it's truly dead. Just as Axel observes his surroundings, an evil aura slowly approaches. Suddenly, a monster appears. The demon corpse ahead was actually a trap set by this monster. Axel, who had come all this way, never expected to be trapped by this monster. Moreover, the sticky fluid on its body is corrosive and extremely dangerous. Most importantly, even Inferno can't burn through it. In simple terms, it's Inferno's nemesis. Knowing he's outmatched, Axel takes out Ariadne's mysterious letter. But opening the letter, Axel is stunned. The letter contains only 2 lines, "Don't come back alive." Axel grits his teeth. Is the master really going to abandon me? After working so hard step by step to get here, she wants me to die. Axel laughs bitterly. If I had known this, I should have died on my first mission. Why let me see hope only to make me despair? Axel is truly unwilling. Could Ariadne really abandon Axel? No, that's impossible. Ariadne is only trying to train Axel's adaptability, forcing him to break through himself while caught between a rock and a hard place, with no one to turn to. Ariadne has long determined that Axel won't give up easily. Asking him to die is absolutely impossible, when his powerful Inferno is useless. Axel himself is a sharp sword. The courses he usually studies aren't just noble etiquette, but learning to think, having his own comprehension. If Ariadne hadn't given him such a letter, how could he possibly break through his limits in difficulty? Axel calms down and silently wonders about the master's true intention. Looking at the small note in his hand, he suddenly remembers. The inventory contains an entire factory's worth of elixirs. Thinking this, Axel chuckles. With all these elixirs, it would be hard to die. I actually failed to grasp the master's intention. The elixirs prepared for me are the breakthrough. If I can survive this, I must meet the master. Of course, this can only be discussed after staying alive. On the other side, a light shines down. Here are 2 girls. These are Ariadne and guard Veronica, disguised and having been staking out here for over 2 hours. As the mission is senior, Ariadne is extremely worried about Axel's condition. Seeing Ariadne's restless state, Veronica suggests, why don't we go watch a live stream? We can use my shadow butterfly. Speaking of shadow butterfly, that's another story. This is Veronica's new helper, also obtained during Veronica's trial 3 years ago. Veronica's strength with a second elemental beast is extraordinary. Such a miracle requires both her own efforts and Ariadne's help, neither can be missing. Axel's current situation is very difficult, especially since I gave him such a letter. I don't know if he can understand its meaning. Rather than worry here, we might as well go inside and see. Pi senses Ariadne's thoughts and issues a warning. If you don't want to meet Axel right now, you'd better not go in, because the probability of Axel discovering you the second you step in is 99.99%. Ariadne is truly speechless, why not just say 100%? But I'm really worried, he's still so young, what if he gets eaten by monsters? Pi says, friendly reminder, Axel is already an adult. Ariadne stamps her foot. Pi, you've grown up and become naughty, always undermining me. I'm just worried he can't handle it with only 1 elemental beast. Spirit Masters can originally only have 1 elemental beast. Veronica's little butterfly is purely your arrangement plus Veronica's talent. Haven't you already planned the strategy for his failure? Let him play freely, and don't worry too much. But Ariadne is still nervous enough to pinch her fingers, not knowing whether meeting him will be a pleasant or unpleasant surprise. The growth plan I made for him only tries to make him grow according to the original story as much as possible. Whether he can follow my plan can only be left to fate. At this moment, a person approaches from the distance. From his appearance, he should be Axel's companion. But that's not right. In the original story, 6 people entered the contaminated core. 1 was ambushed, 2 were burned to death by Inferno, and 2 were contaminated. Except for Axel, no other survivors should appear. No, before Axel comes out, I must make him leave here. Just as Ariadne was about to have Veronica help take him away. PI issues a warning, Axel is trying to leave the maze. Ariadne can't help but freeze, did Axel succeed or not? In the cave, the monster has become tiny, curled up on the ground trembling. Such a small thing, using a great sword would be overkill. Then don't blame me for being ruthless. Axel expressionlessly steps on the demon to death. In your next life, be reborn as flowers and grass, don't come out to harm people again. Walking out of the cave, Axel breathes a sigh of relief, finally finished the mission. If I can return safely, I can formally meet the master. At this moment, a sword light flashes past. Axel dodges with a quick movement. The attacker's heart is also panicking. Damn it, let me go. If you dare, throw away your great sword. Fight barehanded, how about it? Axel completely ignores him. If I'm not mistaken, you're planning to summon your elemental beast. If you don't want to die, state your purpose. The captured man is still somewhat unwilling. I don't want you dead, I just want your inventory. Axel, I know I was wrong. In this contaminated land, my head got a bit muddled. We're companions who traveled together, brothers who've been through life and death together. I swear to heaven, if there's a second time, you can kill or torture me as you please. Axel sneers coldly. Good. I'll fulfill your wish. Remember not to be human in your next life. Until death? That man never understood why Axel was so decisive. Actually, once a person has greed, society will definitely teach you to be human. If you don't want to be human, then go be a ghost. Axel drags his heavy steps out of the contaminated land, meeting the person he most wanted to meet without knowing it. Whose child is this? Actually venturing alone into the contaminated land. But seeing the lush greenery under the newcomer's feet, he's certain this is his long-desired master. So he kneels on one knee. Ariadne is now a bit scared, having witnessed a living person burn to ash with her own eyes. Her heart is somewhat panicked. Soon, with the help of the verdant basin, Ariadne's mind gradually stabilizes. Moreover, Veronica gave her a potion that can change her voice. Let me give him a show of authority first. Axel, why didn't you obey? I told you not to come back alive. Is this how you execute orders? If so, then let me finish you off. Poor Axel. Though I don't want to. I have to follow the script and make you experience the feeling of betrayal. Axel understands that the master's purpose right now isn't to kill him. At this moment, he doesn't care what the master says. He has seen through everything. Master, you can do whatever you want. I'll be obedient. Go ahead and act. Ariadne releases the great elemental Pale Azure's power. Axel makes no reaction whatsoever, allowing the suffocating sensation to rush into his head, all the blood in his body rapidly cooling. Ariadne hopes Axel will use his inferno to resist her, then immediately suppress him, forcing him into desperation. This is the betrayal script Ariadne has written. Moreover, Ariadne can masterfully control complex elemental power, so while protecting herself, she can also easily launch attacks on opponents. But speaking of which, why isn't he fighting back? Why is there no movement from him at all? Pi, quickly help me analyze his situation. Pi quickly provides an answer. Reason unknown. I guess Axel is trying to find a way to escape danger. That's not right. I clearly arranged underwater escape training for him. Could he be trying to test my reaction? Otherwise, why is he motionless? 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes? The crisis-stricken Axel has long seen through everything. The master could never abandon him. Axel's silence shocks Ariadne. Pi also sends a warning. Axel is about to reach the human limit for holding breath. He's on the verge of death. No, impossible, Axel, come up quickly. Come attack me. Pi in her mind begins the countdown. Axel will most likely drown in 1 minute. Ariadne doesn't understand why, while Pi on the side starts timing. 50 seconds, 40 seconds, 10 seconds. Having no choice, Ariadne finally compromises. I can't let him die like this. Finally, Ariadne withdraws the great elemental Pale Azure's power. The rescued Axel coughs violently, then staggers and collapses. After Pi's analysis, Axel has only fallen unconscious and is in good physical condition. Ariadne puts down her worried heart. What a stubborn fellow. I was about to let him die, yet he had no reaction. I don't know whether to be happy or sad. Did he think I was just trying to scare him? He's such a big fool. It seems he's really grown up and become so smart. In the original story, he always had a gloomy expression. Now he's truly calm, composed, and spirited. Honestly, he's indeed thousands of times stronger than in the original story. Perhaps I was too hasty. Ariadne crouches down and gently touches his cheek. I have to say, he's much more confident now. We were originally two people with no connection, yet we have similar experiences. Like how Eldir claimed to love me but secretly experimented on and abused me. I wanted to break free from that cage, and what I desired more was my longing for Mother. His wish is probably just to have someone who understands him. And I am that unique person who understands him. He has no guard against me, but I can't let him depend on me too much. It seems Plan B needs to be put on the agenda. This plan is to abandon the protagonist and deviate from the original story. With Pi's help, I've mastered all knowledge. Plus, I already possess elemental arts stronger than the male lead. Whether in connections, power, wealth, or time, I have more advantages than him. Thinking this way, maybe even without the male lead, I can successfully conquer the Great Maze and change this world's fate. If I had figured this out earlier, Axel wouldn't have suffered so much. To make it up to Axel, Ariadne decides to send him to a peaceful place. Let him walk the path he wants to walk. I'll destroy the Great Maze myself. This might be the best choice for the male lead. After all, he just came of age and has great years ahead. Ronnie, my lady, I'm here. Take Axel north. If he wakes up during the journey, give him this bottle of potion. It'll make him sleep again. Veronica looks at the small bottle in her hand with confusion. Is this hypnotic powder used by dark mages? Don't worry, I've improved this, there are no harmful components. Now it will only give people a good sleep. Alright, keep going north. When you see an icy forest, just leave Axel there and come back. Veronica says, I feel uneasy leaving you alone here. Ariadne is truly defeated by this. Veronica, I'm very powerful now. To reassure Veronica, Ariadne says, just find any mercenary to protect me. Obviously, Veronica disagrees. At least find a mercenary captain for me to feel at ease. Watching Veronica leave, Ariadne silently prays. No matter what the future holds, no matter what kind of life Axel chooses, I only want you to be happy. The icy forest I chose for you. The people there are simple-hearted and will help you forget sorrow, forget missions, forget revenge. More importantly, there's a second elemental beast you can conquer there. But for him now, whether he can conquer it doesn't matter. I only hope he can live happily. Since Pi decided to be male, his figure has become increasingly upright. But seeing that Ariadne didn't hug him, Pi feels a bit disappointed. Seeing this, Ariadne quickly hugs him. Pi, don't worry. No matter what you grow into, I'll always like you. But Pi can't always come to kiss me because we're good friends. Okay, Ariadne, I understand. Seeing Pi slowly approach, Ariadne quickly covers his mouth. This handsome appearance makes Ariadne somewhat shy. Pi, you can't. Pi stops his action. If that's the case, then I'd rather be a girl. As soon as he finishes speaking, a golden light envelops Pi's entire body. Ariadne is somewhat shocked watching this scene. The girl version of Pi quickly hugs Ariadne tight. Do you like me better this way? Pi, where did you learn this? Actually, I don't dislike the male version of Pi. I just feel there should be distinctions between men and women, and I naturally feel shy. Okay, Ariadne. Regardless, when I'm a girl, please don't push me away. Yes, Pi living alone in the fantasy space is really lonely and solitary. Ariadne lovingly strokes Pi. Anyway, her gender can change at any time. Why should I demand so much from her? As long as Pi can be happy. But Pi, have you found a substitute male lead for me? I've now deviated from the original plot development, so I can't bring Axel into the Great Maze. But I can't let the Great Maze destroy this place, so I can only find another capable person to accompany me in protecting this world. Pi doesn't disappoint Ariadne either. She searches through all the records in the library, creating a catalog for Ariadne, categorized by year, presenting the candidate's experiences clearly. This person is very suitable. From his experience, he's someone with real ability. Blair, like Axel, he's a elemental knight with crimson eyes. He's a rare genius. More importantly, he desires to make a name for himself, so he won't refuse this opportunity. Ariadne is somewhat puzzled. He doesn't seem to appear in the original story. How did you find him? Pi takes out the original novel. He appeared on page 179, line 6 of volume 4 sent. Pi, how are you so amazing? You found him based on just a simple line. The praised Pi is very proud. I know much more. His abandonment due to royal bloodline is well known, and he's a famous elemental knight, so there's lots of material about him. Also, as long as conditions are met, he can even control multiple elemental beasts. With the right time, place, and people, Blair should quickly be able to obtain multiple elemental beasts. Ariadne is still worried. Is this Blair trustworthy? After all, if he betrays us midway, all efforts will be wasted. But Pi provides the answer, don't worry, he's never betrayed anyone. Because he's overcome mental curses, he's a strong and trustworthy partner. This day marks Ariadne's first appearance at a ball. The Great Hall also becomes a large gossip scene because of Ariadne. Did you hear? Duke Eldir isn't attending this ball because he doesn't dare come. I heard he's a criminal who abused Lady Ariadne. If he came, he'd definitely become the laughingstock of the whole venue. Yes, I heard he used his own daughter as an experimental subject, making Lady Ariadne's body disabled. Since being rescued by her uncle's family, she's never seen outsiders. Don't talk nonsense. Lady Ariadne's body is fine. Don't forget, Lady Ariadne has elixirs. Moreover, Lady Ariadne donated the potion formula to the temple, otherwise that Duke Eldir would have monopolized it. At this time, Blair's entrance successfully attracts the attention of the gossip crowd. Oh my, this handsome guy's red eyes have melted my heart. And that water spirit is so cute, it would be wonderful to marry him. At this moment, Blair shines like a star. Even the royal heir, His Royal Highness the Prince, shows him deference. In conversation, Blair learns that Lady Ariadne, whom he has long admired, will attend this ball. Blair has never publicly spoken of his admiration for Ariadne, only silently following news about her in his heart. Blair hides his facial embarrassment, murmuring to himself about Lady Ariadne's deeds he's heard. Regarding Lady Ariadne, he feels not only pity but also a heart of reverence. It's truly hard to imagine that an underage girl could have such capability. Being able to give the elixir formula to the temple, ordinary people wouldn't have this courage. This girl will surely achieve great things when she grows up. But aren't there too many idle people in this great hall, chattering endlessly? They do nothing all day but gossip. His Royal Highness the Prince is also helpless. Doing well yourself is already difficult. Why gossip about others? Soon, Ariadne makes her dazzling entrance. The ball's gossip instantly falls silent as everyone focuses on Ariadne. Those rumors are immediately distinguished as true or false by discerning people. She is so radiant that even though she's only a tender 15-year-old girl, it can't hide her absolutely beautiful face. How can there be such a beautiful person in the world? Ariadne looks around, searching for her candidate. Blair thinks, is she looking at me? Is there something on my face? Ariadne meets Blair's gaze and gives him a slight smile. This action pushes Blair to the forefront of gossip. The crowd is also confused. Was Lady Ariadne just smiling at Baron Blair? Why would Lady Ariadne smile at him? The few seconds of eye contact leave Blair frozen in place. He feels a tingling in his heart, even wanting to stay in that moment forever. It must be said, Ariadne's charm is truly great. Ariadne accompanies her aunt to find grandfather, uncle, and brother. Just as she's about to sit down, grandfather asks Ariadne who she'll dance the first dance with. Ariadne looks at the adorable grandfather and laughs helplessly. Erich ignores him, quietly mouthing to his sister, "Don't dance with him, choose me." Ariadne looks at these three people, not knowing what to do. Aunt Celiana on the side says, "Aria, no matter who you choose, you'll seem to offend two people. You could think differently, for instance, who has a bad temper and gets jealous, who often overthinks, choose that person." Ariadne suddenly understands, so she comes to grandfather's side. "For the ball's first dance, would you accompany me?" The Archmage happily agrees. "It's my honor." This makes Erich and Ernst somewhat disappointed. "Arya, what about me? After I dance with grandfather, I'll dance the second song with you." "Skeleton, what about me?" "You can only come after Uncle Ernst." Grandpa stood up proudly, showing off to the two who weren't chosen with somewhat exaggerated expressions and gestures. In the end, Uncle Ernst and Aunt Celiana danced together, leaving Erich alone. He actively fought for himself. "Skeleton, I'm much better at dancing than Grandpa." Grandpa wasn't having it. He pointed to the side. "Look where my finger is pointing. You can totally invite that girl over there." Veronica happened to be looking this way too. Erich immediately became flustered. "Even though she's a girl, we're just comrades in arms." "You brat, don't think Grandpa doesn't know what you're thinking." "Arya, let's go quickly and let this guy think it over by himself. Why were you looking for that boy when you first entered the ball? Are you talking about that red-eyed elemental knight, Grandpa?" "I just thought he looked quite striking, so I glanced at him a couple times." Upon hearing this, Solon was thunderstruck. Could it be that Arya had fallen for him? Seeing Grandpa's shocked expression, Ariadne quickly explained, "I do think he's nice, but not in the way you're thinking. Didn't you notice his red eyes? I was just thinking of cultivating him as a partner." Grandpa felt somewhat embarrassed, I see. "Of course I trust my dear granddaughter, but if you ever fall for someone in the future, you must tell me. Don't rush to get close to him. If you find it hard to tell Grandpa, then tell your aunt and let her help you." Ariadne understood that Grandpa was so worried because of what happened to Mother. This was a knot in his heart that he couldn't untie. Ariadne smiled at him. "All right, Grandpa, if I ever fall for someone someday, I'll definitely tell everyone openly." Grandpa told Ariadne, "If any riffraff bothers you, you must tell me. Your uncle and I aren't pushovers." Feeling Grandpa's seriousness, Ariadne gently comforted him. "Don't worry too much. Right now I'm still focused on making money and my studies." When the song ended, Grandpa left. A crowd of people gathered around, chattering excitedly. Although Ariadne had expected her appearance would cause some commotion, she hadn't anticipated everyone would be so enthusiastic. Not only did they want to invite her to dance, but some even invited her to visit their homes. She was afraid that everyone was approaching her because of the elixirs, which left Ariadne feeling at a loss. But thinking of her family, her mood stabilized somewhat. Her family all hoped that through this ball, Ariadne could make genuine friends. However, Ariadne's heart wasn't really here. She still had a pile of things to do. She looked around, searching for her brother and Veronica. Erich felt her gaze and strode toward Ariadne. "Our little skeleton is really popular. Brother, stop being sarcastic and help me escape from here." Erich grinned mischievously, demanding a favor from Ariadne. Erich said, "Just admit that I'm the most handsome brother in the world, and I'll help you." Ariadne was speechless upon hearing this. "What kind of brother are you?" Without saying more, Erich scooped up Ariadne in his arms. "Sorry, everyone, my sister has a weak constitution and needs to breathe fresh air alone. I'm very sorry for disturbing everyone's elegant gathering, but I need to take her away first." Ariadne felt so embarrassed. This was her first appearance in high society. Erich laughed. Who hasn't gone through their awkward years? "Don't be shy." Before he could finish speaking, he felt a sharp pain. "I'm asking if you can put me down right now. If not, I'll keep pinching until you do. I'll put you down right away." After Erich put her down and left, Ariadne finally had some peace. She decided to create a chance encounter with Blair. She came to the hall balcony and called out in her heart, "Pi, come out quickly. I really need your help right now. Please help me open the channel to the Great Elemental Verdant Basin." "It's my honor, Ariadne. I've already connected you to the Great Elemental Verdant Basin's channel." Rearward Current and Pale Azure are now activated. The Great Elemental Verdant Basin senses that you're attending a ball. She's very pleased with your growth and congratulates you on your debut. She's sending you a gift. The care from Verdant Basin was like a ray of sunshine, warming Ariadne's soul. This wasn't the first time she'd received elemental stones from Verdant Basin. She was like a mother, constantly watching over Ariadne's growth. Thank you. I'll store all the elemental stones I receive in a safe place for future use. By the way, can you help me with something? I'm looking for someone. It's for him that I decided to make my debut and attend this ball. He's an indispensable partner in my mission to protect this world. Receiving the request, Verdant Basin's little flower quickly found him and gently pointed toward the other side of the balcony with vines. So, he was outside. Blair, I finally caught you. Blair noticed the little flower being controlled by magic, swaying gently. Even from far away, Ariadne could see his shocked expression. Then Blair and Ariadne made eye contact. How could Blair keep a beautiful lady waiting? He spread his water elemental's wings and flew gracefully toward Ariadne. Pi really recommended someone capable. The scene of him merging with his elemental is truly stunning. Combined with those perfect features, he's just so cool. Blair landed gracefully and greeted her very gentlemanly. Saint, from the moment you entered the ball, I could feel your goodwill toward me. You're too kind. Just call me Ariadne. You're Blair, right? Blair was startled. He hadn't expected Lady Ariadne to know him. Have you seen me before, if I may ask? Ariadne studied Blair's appearance carefully. Charismatic, with just the right touch in social interactions, he looked exactly like Duke Eldir in his youth. At this moment, Ariadne finally understood why Grandpa was so sensitive. Pi heard Ariadne's thoughts and said Ariadne's perspective was wrong. Blair looked nothing like Eldir, and no one could do what Eldir had done. You're right. I almost forgot you're still connected to me. But their auras are indeed somewhat similar. Blair, this is our first meeting today, but I've heard many legends about you. They all praise your brilliant talents and acclaim you as an outstanding elemental knight. The praised Blair stroked his elemental beast. You flatter me. It's all thanks to this little guy that I've achieved anything. This little one is so cute. Is this really the tornado that makes demons tremble with fear? Yes, his true form is much larger than this. The word cute has nothing to do with his real appearance. I see. It seems your elemental arts are as miraculous as the rumors say. Blair smiled and accepted the compliment. Ariadne paused. Blair really wasn't modest at all. Blair, I have a small favor to ask. Blair stopped upon hearing this, then pretended to be hurt. I see. That really hurts me. Your praise wasn't sincere at all. No, all my praise was sincere. Blair, do you want to be a hero? Become my partner. Let's conquer labyrinths together. I really look forward to having you as one of us. But Blair couldn't believe it. Is this real? Lady Ariadne, your words are too shocking. I can't react for a moment. Lady Ariadne, please don't make fun of me. Upon hearing this, Ariadne played hard to get. Yes, the Grand Labyrinth is so dangerous. It's natural that you'd be scared. If you can't do it, I'll have to find someone else. Lady Ariadne, give me a reason to believe you. Prove you're not bluffing. I'm not joking with you. Although I'm new to attending balls, I'm sure you've heard about me. Lady Ariadne is not only innocent-looking but also naive in thinking. Blair was sweating nervously. To be honest, it's not that I can't do it, but Lady Ariadne's idea is too immature. Do you know what demons look like? Ariadne didn't answer, just smiled lightly. She raised her arm gently, and a massive creature appeared behind her. Blair was startled. This was actually a high-level monster. For Lady Ariadne to reproduce it so vividly, if she hadn't seen real monster with her own eyes, it would be impossible to create it so perfectly. Is this really an underage girl? Her casual display rivals that of a elemental master. How's that? Now you know I'm not joking with you. Blair said, It seems I underestimated Lady Ariadne. Please make it disappear quickly to avoid unnecessary commotion. Upon hearing this, Ariadne formally extended her invitation. This is an invitation from the Weaver family that I'm giving you. Please accept it. Blair looked at the invitation being handed to him. Are you going to introduce me to your companions? No. This is an invitation to the Laratshua Labyrinth. Blair was shocked. Am I ignorant or are you making this up? I've never heard of such a thing. Clearly, Blair was skeptical of Ariadne's words. Since that was the case, Ariadne had to present Blair with a reason he couldn't possibly refuse. I can understand how you feel right now. I can give you what you want. That is to let you gain the title of Great Labyrinth Pioneer, beloved and revered by all people, bringing you endless glory. After hearing this, Blair had no more reason to refuse. A year later, the Laratshua Labyrinth appeared. This hot topic instantly spread throughout the streets and alleys. But that wasn't the point. The point was the emergence of an elite squad. In less than a day, they successfully dismantled this labyrinth. The elite team's captain was even more impressive. She was none other than the incredibly wealthy Saint Ariadne. I heard the Saint is a elemental master, and she's only 16 years old. It's hard to believe. The passersby chattered incessantly, completely unaware of the black-clad youth in the corner. He was the pitiful Axel, the Axel whom Ariadne hoped could live happily. Where there are admirers, there are naturally skeptics. Come on, stop talking nonsense. Even rumors should have limits. You're so ignorant. Have you heard of Dawn Mercenary Group? That was also founded single-handedly by the saint. In this industry, it's like a leading sheep. Axel nearby naturally didn't believe these words either. There really are all kinds of rumors. He heard that person continue, really, believe it or not. This is what a friend of mine found out. Although the saint is only 16, her great deeds have spread across the entire continent. To help slaves escape suffering, she not only spent enormous amounts of money to buy their freedom, but also helped arrange jobs. Though I don't know why she does this, the good deeds she's done make me admire her. Hearing this, Axel became somewhat unsettled. His master also treated the club's mercenaries this way, and they were also a young elemental master. Although they wore a mask that day and never admitted to being my master, the fact that they could call my name was enough to prove my guess was correct. Because besides my previous master and deputy secretary Simon, only they knew my real name. Although they dress in a mature way, judging by their figure and height, they're clearly a girl about my age. It's hard to believe could the saint everyone's been talking about really be my master, but that's impossible. As the club's owner, she couldn't possibly go raid labyrinths herself. This is so troubling. The slightest disturbance makes me think of that detestable woman. She treats others like commodities, buying and releasing them at will. In the end, she even let go of me, a carefully trained mercenary. It's completely puzzling. She said she wanted me to die, yet at the crucial moment she spared my life. She even quietly dumped me in this strange place. I thought I'd become a discarded chess piece, but while wandering around here I heard a legend. The legend says elemental knights can contract with several elemental beasts. This snowy forest also has powerful elemental beasts. That means Master didn't abandon me. She wanted me to tame new elemental beasts. Finally, after resting for most of the year, on a stormy day, I successfully tamed one, so now I should return to Master's side. However, when I finally made it back home, what awaited me was a certificate. I eagerly tore open the letter. The contents shocked me. It said the club had been dissolved and all remaining assets had been acquired, and the beneficiary's name was actually mine. This path she paved for me, where exactly does it lead? Who can tell me what really happened? I don't want to guess anymore. My head hurts so much. What exactly am I to her? The word abandonment is like a blood-stained blade. Everyone who has been abandoned or is currently being abandoned has a torn heart. Axel was no exception. If one word could describe him, it would be devastated, everything happening before his eyes completely overturned his worldview. He stormed into the room angrily, wanting to ask Simon for clarification. But what he saw was an empty room. Everyone had already left. He couldn't understand what he'd done wrong. Master had always shown me special care. What exactly happened? If she simply wanted to show kindness, she should have treated me the same as everyone else. I really hope she had ulterior motives for me. That way I could feel better. I don't want to be someone dispensable. Perhaps when I last saw Master, she was testing me, and I failed her test. So Master thinks I'm useless. That means I really was abandoned. Heaven gave me these crimson eyes, yet I cannot see through Master's heart. Axel felt both wronged and resigned. In his mind, it was like an angel and a demon arguing. Suddenly, an aged voice spoke. It was an elderly man, who introduced himself as the mansion's butler. He addressed Axel as Master Dot, since you understand so well. Why don't you also look at these certificates? But the butler said such important things needed to be kept by him personally. But I've never bought anything like this. Even the signatures aren't mine. Isn't this some kind of prank? The butler looked helplessly at the young man before him. Master, you needn't worry. The club indeed belongs to you now. I control my own life. What right does she have to sketch and outline all this? Tell me where she is. The butler replied. I'm very sorry, Master. From being hired until now, I've only seen you. I don't know who this she you're referring to is. Axel roared, I'm talking about the previous owner of this mansion. You dare say you don't know her. The butler thought to himself, if I'd known you'd be like this, I shouldn't have taken this job. Never mind the previous owner, even you, the current owner. I only met today. Master, you can check the date on the employment contract. I came to apply after hearing this mansion was looking for a butler. Seeing his expression, Axel could tell he wasn't lying. This lead was cut off. Wait. If you've never met anyone, how did you sign the contract? Who interviewed and hired you? The butler finally breathed a sigh of relief and thought, finally, you're asking the right question. It was the vice leader of Valentine Trading Company. He's been eagerly waiting for you. As long as you call for him, he'll rush to your side immediately. Axel nearly ground his molars to dust. One last question. Where is he now? I'll go meet him personally. He's at Kalsmere Port. That's all for today's conversation. Tomorrow morning, I'm going there to explore the doubts in my heart. To resolve his confusion as soon as possible, Axel set off early the next morning on his golden dragon to find the vice leader. This was Axel's second elemental beast, obtained in the snowy forest, named Lightning. Thanks to it, Axel landed in just 2 days. The young lady on the roadside were startled by this spectacle. Axel walked into the trading company building with an anxious heart. The first to greet him was the company's vice leader, who chattered endlessly about the process of transforming the club into a trading company. I was worried at first, but business turned out to be unexpectedly booming. Here are the financial reports from the past 6 months. Please review them. Axel wasn't interested in these. He'd seen this trading company vice leader before, and the knight beside him had now become a guard member of the trading company. Why are you still here? Where are all our former teammates now? It's a long story, but now you're my boss. You can call me Lloyd from now on. I'm currently the chief guard of the trading group. Our former teammates are all here, some doing odd jobs, some working as guards. They were all hired by our previous master. Upon hearing this, Axel was puzzled. The club was dissolved, yet she still wanted to do charity work to help these people. Lloyd, have you seen what Master looks like? Lloyd said he hadn't seen her. He just suddenly received notice that he was free. Vice Leader, you must have seen Master, right? The Vice Leader felt uncomfortable under Axel's stare. Where would I have seen that mysterious Master? It was all Simon leading the secretaries to relay messages. Axel asked, "Where is Simon now?" "I don't know about that either, but he asked me to give you this letter, saying it could solve the mystery in your heart." So mysterious, let me see what it says. But Axel was dumbfounded when he opened the letter. The letter told him not to think about Master anymore, that Master would never look for him. The property left for him was payment for his hard work all this time. From now on, he was free as a bird. What the hell? This is so unfair to me. Even if you're abandoning me, you should at least say goodbye. You planned my path so perfectly, why give up just like that? I really don't understand. And you say you'll never look for me again, does that mean she really doesn't need me anymore? No, this sentence should have another meaning. That I'm no longer her warrior. Since childhood, my life's only purpose has been to go to Labyrinthos. Because my adoptive father said my roots were there. For this, I worked hard to become stronger. Even when drifting alone in the wilderness, I never complained about the hardship. But now I have another goal, to find Master, remove her mask, and make her tell me personally why she trained me. Moreover, I'll work even harder to become her indispensable right hand. This 15-year-old noble lady never appeared at any social gathering again after attending that ball. From then on, she led her team in constantly raiding labyrinths. She was like a sharp sword, becoming sharper and sharper. Now, Ariadne was 18 years old. In 3 years, she was obsessed with the mission of raiding labyrinths. She swept through like a hurricane, destroying all obstacles in her path. More and more people wanted to meet this godlike girl, while those who secretly coveted her fell into endless distress and anxiety. This day was another sunny day. Ariadne brought her partners to a new labyrinth. Blair, 10 o'clock direction. Receiving the signal, Blair was swift to act. Before his body arrived, his sword was already unsheathed. Powerful sword energy slashed toward the monster's head. Veronica beside him also easily dealt with several small monsters. Blair, you're quite impressive. It seems Ariadne's decision to invite you was correct. Thanks for the compliment. I won't get cocky. At this moment, Ariadne called her teammates to approach the flag. Veronica said, "You go ahead first. There's still a slowpoke I need to personally bring over." Veronica was referring to Eric. The named Eric protested, "You're all too much. Just because you're all elemental knights and I'm a mage, how could I possibly keep up with your pace?" Seeing all her companions had gathered, Ariadne smiled with satisfaction. Before the final battle with the boss, she wanted to check on everyone's condition, especially Priest Lion, whose face was purple. "How are you feeling? Can you continue?" The priest had just been made uncomfortable by the sinister evil wind, but stubbornly claimed he was fine. Seeing Priest Lion's condition, Ariadne frowned. "If you're tired, say you're tired. It's not only being responsible for yourself, but also for everyone. This is a basic principle of raiding." "I'm sorry, I understand, but I feel like I can hold on a bit longer." Upon hearing this, Eric said, "If you pretend to be fine and faint during battle, do you know what the consequences would be?" The priest looked as wronged as a child, unable to refute the scolding. Eric was even angrier and wanted to say more, but was stopped by Veronica, who couldn't stand it anymore. "Can you be quiet? It's not the first time raiding. You're making Lady Ariadne very tired." Eric was about to say something else, but seeing Ariadne's fatigue nearby, he stopped making noise. The composite terrain Ariadne created to isolate the boss not only gave her and her companions various advantages in the subjugation, but also allowed for sneak attacks on monsters. However, this had drawbacks. All the impact the boss caused to the territory would be reflected back to her. This made Ariadne's body endure additional pain. At first, Ariadne even fainted several times from being overwhelmed, which made Eric heartbroken. He and Veronica were both worried and hoped Ariadne would stop this stubborn behavior. But she refused to give up. She didn't want to see her teammates sacrificed. Finally, they came up with a solution. When Ariadne created Terrain, a priest with abundant divine power would transmit divine energy to her from the side, thus reducing her pressure. Although this effect was indeed good, the priest they invited this time was too weak. No matter what, he was indeed holding them back. Before Ariadne could speak, Pi's voice appeared in her mind. The great elemental Permafrost Crown makes his debut. He says if you kill this priest lion, he'll reward you with 500 elemental stones. Ariadne was really getting a headache. I refuse. Anyway, I won't bring this priest next time. Since Ariadne last connected with the great elemental Permafrost Crown, he occasionally entered her channel, often helping Ariadne solve small problems, but sometimes making very rough suggestions. Pi also said, "This priest is really unreliable." Ariadne replied, "I can't be that heartless. After all, he's someone I brought out myself." "Pi, just this once, okay? I won't bring him again after this." "Ariadne, you still don't understand. It's not about his ability, it's about his attitude. He even lied about having combat experience." Ariadne felt uneasy and asked the priest, "We're ready. First confirm if any companions are injured." Lion looked around. "Well, it seems no one is injured. We can continue." Upon hearing this, Pi became agitated. "Ariadne, he's lying. Blair's right arm is injured." Ariadne's expression immediately fell. "Blair, remove your right arm armor." Blair explained, "It's fine. What's a small injury like this? I can handle it." "Did you forget what Eric said? When I tell you to remove it, you remove it." Blair awkwardly exposed his arm. "Sorry for delaying everyone's progress. I made a mistake just now." Ariadne was somewhat angry. "Leon, when I asked you to confirm injuries, how could you just glance around and draw conclusions?" Ariadne's words made Priest Lion's face look very unpleasant. "How can you blame me?" Blair was deliberately hiding it. "Even if I wanted to check, I couldn't detect it." The priest's words made her even angrier. "Pi, does that great elemental's proposal from earlier still stand?" This kind of person shows respect to elders but gets indignant when guided by young people. Ariadne raised her voice, "Quickly heal Blair." The priest was reluctant. Fine, I know. What's the big deal?" At this moment, Ariadne somewhat missed Axel. If he were here, such problems definitely wouldn't occur, because he was a powerful elemental knight who could face boss-level monster alone. Ariadne conjured a monster model and arranged battle plans. This is a giant demon with 8 legs and 1 scorpion tail. Due to its massive size, we're very small in front of it. First, Blair will attract its attention at close range while also being careful to dodge its poison stinger. Brother and Veronica will circle around for a sneak attack. Before long, Ariadne and the others had defeated the demon, leaving the priest beside them stunned. "Lady Ariadne, you're amazing. I've never seen anything like this." Ariadne really didn't want to deal with him. He was just a liar. Ariadne only gave this inexperienced priest a perfunctory smile. After conquering the Larachua labyrinth, Ariadne welcomed her 18th birthday. The Weaver family planned to make this coming-of-age ceremony very grand, but Ariadne requested it be held at Duke Eldier's mansion. Learning of this, the Duke was furious and speechless. But faced with his biological daughter's request, he couldn't turn her down, not without losing face. To avoid gossip, he had no choice but to agree. However, this man still threw some obstacles in the way, using the excuse of training his daughter's independence, only providing an empty venue without offering anything else. Ariadne didn't take this harassment seriously at all, knowing that she had the Weaver Merchant Guild behind her. Such trivial matters were nothing. Thus, Ariadne's coming-of-age ceremony began smoothly, with all invited guests attending. The conversations in the hall all revolved around Ariadne. It had been quite a while since anyone last saw her, as she hadn't attended any social events during this period. "You don't know enough about it." Lady Ariadne became an elementalist the year she attended the ball, always busy with labyrinth exploration. Where would she find time for balls? Naturally, some people didn't believe it, saying you believe whatever they tell you. "I heard they went to crusade the contaminated lands without any casualties. Isn't that a bit too exaggerated?" "I think it's somewhat exaggerated, but if it's true, she must have an archmage backing her up. Clearly, you don't know what you're talking about. If she were really like you say, why hasn't anyone come forward in 3 years? And just recently, she cleared another labyrinth. Her team has only lost 5 members in all that time. She's the real deal, so stop making baseless assumptions. You know, other teams lose dozens of people every year, and no one says they're done for. That alone shows just how exceptional Lady Ariadne really is. My goodness, at Lady Ariadne's pace, the world will be at peace very soon." Just then, Ariadne made her grand entrance. All eyes in the room were instantly drawn to her. Her appearance was not only beautiful and captivating, but her temperament was also unique. Duke Eldier walked up to Ariadne. "Long time no see, Ariadne." "Yes, it's been 11 years since I was last tied to a chair." Duke Eldier looked much more haggard than before. Ariadne thought to herself, after doing so many disgraceful things, he still wants to whitewash himself, even writing letters to gain sympathy. If it weren't for my desire to deal with him personally, he might have been killed long ago. Since then, no one has seen him come out to do anything. Every day he just hides in his mansion complaining. whether it's keeping his tail between his legs or self-destruction. None of this interferes with my plans. Only one thing embarrasses me: I actually perfectly replicated his appearance. I often tell myself I'm just a daughter born by my mother alone. But seeing his face, though haggard yet still handsome, I gave up struggling. Suddenly Duke Eldir began his tearful performance. "My Arya, I miss you so much. Now that you've grown into a young lady, don't you understand my good intentions yet?" Ariadne sneered coldly. "Good intentions? You mean tying me to a chair and abusing me? It's not like that. I did it all for your own good. Didn't you also make a lot of money from the elixir?" Duke Eldir's actions were undoubtedly trying to proclaim his innocence to everyone present. He didn't abuse his daughter, it was all for her good. He was still that naive. Why hasn't he made any progress at all? I really don't know where his confidence comes from. Then Duke Eldir poured a glass of wine for Ariadne, but Ariadne angrily poured her father's wine onto the ground. The wine at a coming-of-age ceremony represents parents' blessings for their children, but Ariadne found it disgusting. She would never trust Duke Eldir again, never repeat her mother's mistakes. These words didn't make Duke Eldir feel the slightest bit of remorse. He tried to stand on the moral high ground to accuse Ariadne. "Ariadne, what are you doing? I just hope to offer you my blessing." Ariadne laughed mockingly. "Do you know that both my mother and I are elementalists, and more unfortunately, I'm also connected to the great elemental my mother once had. So next, I'm going to show everyone something." Before Duke Eldir could react, Ariadne clapped her hands and the servants stepped forward to lift the cloth, revealing a crystal mirror. As people wondered, the Archmage emerged from the crowd. "This is a crystal mirror I made with my granddaughter. As long as you connect with the great elemental through this mirror, the events of that year will be perfectly replayed on it." Hearing this, Duke Eldir's face turned pale. Ariadne continued. "I saw the morning glory vines that my mother generated before she died. After Mother's death, they tried hard to rescue me from you, but ultimately still withered away. Who exactly is distorting the truth will be clear after watching the mirror's contents. Do you know how long I've been waiting for this moment?" Before appearing at the ball, with Pai's help, Ariadne thought of a way to investigate her mother's cause of death. But to play the great elemental's memories, corresponding equipment was needed. Hard work pays off. Pi told Ariadne this material could be obtained from a certain magical beast, and finally found a way to build it. "Everyone believed your lies and thought my mother died in an accident, but today I will reveal your crimes to the world." The Duke panicked, never calculating that such a thing would happen, wanting to speak in defense, but his mind went blank. The emotions of people in the hall were also stirred up. What exactly happened? Is the situation really as Ariadne said? Were we deceived by this Duke Eldir? At this moment, the crystal mirror emitted dazzling light. Eldir was blinded. As the morning glory vine slowly climbed up the crystal mirror bit by bit, Ariadne's mood became increasingly heavy. For this moment, she had already seen the contents inside, but at this moment she still couldn't control her tears. When Ariadne was being tortured by her father as a child, Gloria was also being tortured beyond recognition. If Mother hadn't opposed Duke Eldir's abuse of me, perhaps Mother would still be alive now. "My dear, the feeling of being contaminated is wonderful, isn't it? Our daughter is also enjoying the same wonderful taste as you. Are you regretting now that you stopped me from making the elixir? This is the price of your stupidity. Our daughter carries a sacred mission. Without her, this miracle potion wouldn't be produced. If I succeed, she will not only have a reputation that lasts forever, but also endless money. And this process is just letting her suffer a little bit. More importantly, if the elixir is successfully created, it can also save you from your suffering." The poor mother was tortured beyond the ability to speak, only able to grit her teeth to express her protest. "You better behave yourself, otherwise I'll make you and Arya disappear from this world." Duke Eldir was deceiving from beginning to end, and Gloria was powerless to resist. She reached out her arm, wanting to grab this vicious person, but no longer had the strength. Slowly, her breathing became weaker and weaker, finally leaving this world. But she hadn't properly expressed her love to her daughter, hadn't gone to apologize to her father, and hadn't said goodbye to her dear brother. The Archmage standing in the crowd spoke slowly. "This is the memory of the great elemental Verdant Basin. She can connect to my daughter who can never rest in peace, and also connect to my granddaughter." Everyone was shocked by all this. Duke Eldir, who claimed to love his daughter, was actually so vicious. Duke Eldir still stubbornly refused to admit, "This is all fake, none of it is true, these are all slander and smears against me." Ariadne had made full preparations for this moment. She sent out invitation letters to everyone, showing sincerity. Each participant would receive a whole box of precious elixir. This included His Majesty the King. Ariadne tearfully bowed to him. The moment she raised her head, her eyes were filled with hatred for Eldir. She wanted to expose the true culprit who killed her mother, Duke Franz Eldir, master of the Golden Horn Knights, for all his evil deeds. "Your Majesty, I humbly ask that he be judged in accordance with the law." This scene made Duke Eldir panic. "No, it's not like that. These are all illusions. It's magic. All of this is a trick she's playing to fight for my property, Your Majesty. Don't be deceived by her." However, everyone including the king had already made their judgment in their hearts. The king ignored him, only saying, "Franz Eldir, you should go to court to defend yourself." With one command, Franz Eldir was taken down by the guards. The unresigned man shouted and screamed. What responded to him was only the king's grim face. Eldir conducted inhumane experiments on his own daughter and wife. His behavior had already cost him others' sympathy. Ariadne held herself together, not showing a vulnerable posture. After Franz was taken away, no one poured the coming-of-age wine for her. Everyone felt very sorry about this matter. Hearing people's words, the king felt a trace of sympathy. "In that case, let me do it." Before he finished speaking, a large hand suddenly stopped the king. Seeing who it was, the king looked somewhat embarrassed. "This wine should indeed be poured by you." The archmage slowly walked toward Ariadne. "Child, you did very well. Those who do evil will ultimately face justice." Grandfather's care made Ariadne feel warmth. She had thought revenge would bring satisfaction and no more sadness, but tears still uncontrollably slid down from the corners of her eyes. The archmage gently stroked Ariadne's back. "It's okay. If you want to cry, cry to your heart's content. After crying, you'll forget all the troubling things." The archmage used magic to pour wine while gently comforting Ariadne. "You have me, your uncle, aunt, and brother, as well as countless partners who believe in and support you. Ariadne, congratulations on coming of age." Ariadne finally felt relieved. Grandfather was right, she was not alone, grateful for grandfather's care, and appreciative of everyone who trusted and loved her. Thus, Ariadne's coming-of-age ceremony came to a successful conclusion, also leaving a significant mark in the kingdom's history. After Duke Eldir was taken away, the banquet atmosphere became relaxed and pleasant. Presumably everyone had many new topics to discuss. Ariadne's mood was also surprisingly calm, perhaps because she had already made psychological preparations. Her heart wasn't as sad as she had imagined, just as she was thinking. She suddenly encountered an unexpected situation. She seemed to have bumped into someone. What exactly was going on? Ariadne looked up. When she saw those sharp eyes and familiar features clearly, Ariadne couldn't help but panic. This temperament was something others couldn't imitate. It was Axel. Even if he turned to dust, Ariadne could still recognize him. Why would he appear here? No, I must stay calm. After all, he has never met me face to face. He shouldn't be able to recognize who I am. "Sir, could you please let go of me?" Ariadne tried to withdraw her hand, but Axel seemed to have no intention of letting go. Ariadne couldn't help but suspect. Could this guy have already noticed something was wrong? What exactly does he want to do? Unable to figure it out, Ariadne could only ask, "Is there something you want to say?" Axel slightly frowned. He grabbed Ariadne's chin and confirmed repeatedly. Axel's behavior puzzled Ariadne. Axel's rude behavior was intolerable to Ariadne. Ariadne didn't hesitate to shake off his hand. "How rude! I beg your pardon. This is because your appearance reminds me of someone I know." Hearing this, Ariadne was slightly surprised. Was this still Axel? He actually apologized to me so gentlemanly. In the original novel, he was unrestrained. Speaking of which, he just mentioned I'm very similar to someone he knows, but I was wearing a mask at the time, so I shouldn't be recognized. Yes, he must have mistaken me for someone else. Although I'm not clear who you mistook me for, this is indeed the first time I've seen you. This time, I won't hold it against you, but if you dare to be rude to me again, I won't let you off easily. Ariadne just wanted to leave immediately. However, Axel still blocked her way. This made Ariadne somewhat angry. "Why are you doing this? Are you deliberately provoking and angering me?" "I'm very sorry, because I was too anxious. Do I have a chance to know your name?" This kid is obviously fishing for information. Wanting to know my name is fine, but according to etiquette, shouldn't you introduce yourself first? "I am the Viscount of Marlexier, Axel Valentine, honored to be invited to attend this ball. If I'm not mistaken, you should be Lady Ariadne Eldir." Hearing this title, Ariadne couldn't help but shudder. Fortunately, he didn't know much about my background before. "Well, your guess is very accurate, but I'm very busy now. I still have urgent matters to handle, so I have to go." Watching the departing figure, Axel was certain she was his master. Although he didn't understand why she was avoiding him, he would never give up because of this. Ariadne decided to have someone investigate thoroughly, so she hurriedly walked into her study. "Simon, stop everything you're doing." Simon was somewhat confused. "Master, what happened?" "You immediately hand over everything at hand to Isabel, then go on vacation to Right Continent." Simon was puzzled by this sudden assignment. "My lady, you're sending me to Right Continent. How can that be considered a real vacation? The transportation there is not only underdeveloped, but communication basically relies on shouting. Maybe find me another place?" Ariadne held up 5 fingers. "During the vacation, I'll give you 5 times the monthly salary, plus bonuses and performance wages." Simon enthusiastically expressed his acceptance. He lightly adjusted his glasses, trying to hide the excitement in his eyes. "This vacation sounds pretty good. I'll set off immediately, but what's the mission this time?" For a moment, Ariadne almost forgot to issue the task. "Help me investigate Axel Valentine's whereabouts. I encountered him at the banquet hall just now. He claims to be the Viscount of Marlexier, and Marlexier is located on Right Continent." Actually, Ariadne urgently wanted to send Simon away to avoid Axel seeing him. Axel was very smart. Once he saw Simone and Ariadne together, Ariadne's identity would be immediately exposed. Obviously, Simone also understood this principle. Before departing, he assured Ariadne he wouldn't get close to her. Ariadne felt relieved, but she still couldn't understand why Axel would appear here. Could it just be a coincidence? Because she had widely invited guests from all walks of life to attend the banquet. So Axel, who was on right continent, also received an invitation. Ariadne just felt her head aching. She decided not to think about this matter anymore, just treat it as an accident. After all, Duke Eldier's trial was about to begin. As Ariadne had expected, the Duke's trial quickly had results. Due to solid evidence, his previous defenses seemed particularly powerless. The dark magic incident he had tried hard to suppress was also made public. For a time, the evil plan he conspired with dark mages spread throughout the entire city. Finally, Eldier was forced to accept the punishment of drinking the contaminated water. Before execution, he still insisted he was being treated unfairly. Ariadne was very angry. She felt this kind of person wouldn't be pitied even if he died 100 times. That man who nonchalantly injected contaminated water into his own daughter, the moment the contaminated water touched his lips, he let out a piercing scream. How ridiculous indeed! Ariadne stood on the high platform staring at him intently, until the last moment of his life. Thus, Ariadne finally sought justice for herself and her mother. Ariadne succeeded to become the Duke, but at the same time, she also bid farewell to a relaxed and pleasant life. The previous Duke was indifferent to official duties, so the entire mansion's management fell into chaos. Ariadne was exhausted, yet the piles of documents were endless. Fortunately, she had Pi as a little assistant by her side, making Ariadne's work somewhat easier. If I hadn't already arranged informants in the Duke's mansion, I really couldn't imagine how to manage such a huge mansion in an orderly manner. The first informant Ariadne planted in the Duke's mansion was Belle, the knight who led the Golden Horn Knights to the Weaver family to bring her back when Ariadne was only 8 years old. After her uncle refused, Belle realized things weren't as simple as they appeared on the surface. So after returning to the Duke's mansion, he immediately began secret investigations. After some effort, he learned about the experiments. Then he was driven out by the Knight Order. When he found Ariadne again, he swore lifelong loyalty to her. To ensure his loyalty, Ariadne had him return to the Duke's mansion. You just need to apologize to the Duke and rejoin the Golden Horn Knights. After successfully winning their trust, immediately begin bribing people in the Duke's mansion. Whether servants, maids, attendants, or stable keepers, none should be missed. Contact Ariadne. Once for each successful bribe, if Belle was a loyal person, then he would provide much help for Ariadne's plans. Finally, Belle proved he was a trustworthy person. After multiple contacts, Ariadne had Simone secretly plant spies there. Years passed. Every corner of the Duke's mansion was under Ariadne's people's control. With the help of informants, the first action Ariadne took after succeeding as Duke was to dismiss those who remained loyal to Franz Eldier. In this process, Ariadne deeply felt Belle's sincerity. But with so many people dismissed, they could only fill the vacancies by recruiting new members. How is the recruitment of new members going? Belle's lips couldn't help but curl up slightly. This time I recruited a very outstanding talent. Even making him captain wouldn't be enough. Ariadne was very surprised to hear this news. But when Ariadne checked the list, she was stunned. How is it that Axel again? How is he so persistent? Is that Axel on the recruitment list? No way, find an excuse to kick him out. She glanced at Belle beside her, seeing his expression. Indeed, her decision was too crazy. My lady, this is a rare talent that can't be missed, are you joking? Could it be because he has red eyes? Ariadne's heart was also full of conflict. No matter what, she was determined to eliminate him. If asked for reasons, you say our family's Knight Order doesn't accept nobles with titles from other countries. Belle's heart felt extremely devastated. This reason seemed too far-fetched. Now it's quite common for nobles with titles to become knights of other families. Their territories suffered severe contamination. Many nobles lost actual power and status, only retaining their titles. But the young lady has long-term vision. Although I can't understand her intentions, perhaps she's making these arrangements for future development. What a pity. I originally thought I found a promising talent this time. Then I'll take my leave. After Belle left, Ariadne still couldn't figure out why Axel wanted to join the Golden Horn Knights. What was his real intention? Thinking it over, Ariadne just felt her head aching. Forget it. Let's put this matter aside for now. I have more important things to handle. For instance, Pi. Pi always immediately reports work progress to me as soon as we meet. Pi always gives me support when I need it. It's precisely because of his help that I've been able to grow so quickly. At the same time, the items I can carry to the Phantom Library have become increasingly diverse. Previously, Pi had to paste documents on the wall to process them every day. To make him work more comfortably, I recently designed a luxurious desk and chair set for him. After all, he has heavy work lately. Besides helping me handle labyrinth matters, he also needs to help me deal with various trivial matters of the Duke's mansion. According to the original novel, in my 20th year, the condemned land will finally reach and contaminate the ocean. By then, the entire world will suffer the consequences, starting with the coastline. In the original story, when Axel turns 24, he will gain the ability to resurrect the dead. I know the plot developments like the back of my hand. I can't stand by and watch. I must set out early to eliminate this damned pollution source. But without a qualified priest to help me, the path to extermination is also full of difficulties. Ariadne fell into deep entanglement. In the original story, the priest who worked with Axel displayed extraordinary abilities. However, this priest was tailor-made for Axel. Therefore, Ariadne didn't hold much hope for this. Pi sensed Ariadne's inner struggle. Are you hesitating whether to choose priest Ryur Inamin? Yes, Ryur's divine power ranking on the priest list isn't the highest. But he's quite skilled in techniques and controlling magic. But he seems more suitable for Axel. Pi didn't completely agree with this view. That's all written in the original story. With his abilities, I think he can perfectly cooperate with you. He's not only suitable for Axel, but also suitable for you. That inexperienced priest who only had divine power last time was the best negative example. You're absolutely right. I'll write to the temple immediately, asking them to send Ryur over. If there's nothing else, I'll go first. Thank you, Pi. Before Ariadne left, Pi immediately transformed into a girl and hugged Ariadne tightly. Whenever you need me, you can come find me anytime. After Ariadne left, Pi stood there alone quietly, returning to his male form. He didn't understand what exactly Ariadne saw him as. To reduce Pi's loneliness, Ariadne decided to give him a commemorative gift. For example, a pair of glasses. Although he didn't need to wear them, they seemed to suit his appearance very well. Find an opportunity to custom make a pair without prescription for him. Wearing them, Pi would look very cool. Soon after, the new priest Ryur was selected, and the labyrinth extermination was put on the agenda. However, fate is always full of variables. Just when everything was ready, something happened. The leader of the Dawn mercenary group, Ilrata, came to report. Today they recruited a very outstanding new member. Ariadne guessed, "Is it Axel?" Ilrata was very surprised. "Yes, how did you know?" Ariadne rubbed her forehead. "When did the Dawn mercenary group change their talent selection strategy? Didn't they used to not accept self-recommended newcomers? Could it be that Axel was so outstanding that the leader made an exception?" Seeing Ariadne's helpless expression, Ilrata felt confused. "Does that kid have some connection with you?" Ariadne didn't answer but asked back, "How many elemental beasts does he summon when using skills?" Ilrata was stunned. "Aren't elemental beasts always just one?" Indeed, Axel was a guy good at hiding his strength. During our last encounter, he definitely realized I was his master. Although I took care of him before, in the end I told him to go die. "I'm not sure if he harbors resentment toward me, my lady. What's wrong?" Ariadne rubbed her aching head. "Nothing. Just dismiss that newcomer first. Apologize to him properly. The reason for dismissal is that we don't accept self-recommended people." The Duke's thoughts are truly incomprehensible. "My lady, I think he has great potential. Eye color shouldn't become an obstacle to his future." Ariadne said, "It's not because of his red eyes. Anyway, if he can work hard on his own, he'll shine wherever he is, right?" Ilrata could only nod his head. After all, in the past 8 years, Ariadne had never been wrong about anything. Her achievements amazed the entire continent. "Lady Ariadne, I'll take my leave first. Tomorrow morning, I'll terminate his employment." Ariadne was very satisfied with this result. This way she wouldn't have to encounter him. But why do I always feel a chill behind my back? I wonder if it's just my imagination. A few days later, Ariadne could finally rest a bit. At this time, the butler came to report that someone was visiting. A guest? Did he say who he was? Of course, he said he was Viscount Valentine. Ariadne sighed inwardly. This made Ariadne's mood inexplicably gloomy. She pondered in her heart. Should I meet this person or not if I turn him away? Wouldn't that make it seem like I have a guilty conscience? 3 years ago, Axel's thoughts were clear and straightforward. But now 3 years have passed. He's already deviated from the path I set for him. I really can't get a handle on him. Finally, Ariadne decided to meet him. The moment she pushed open the door, Ariadne was stunned by the man before her eyes. She felt very unfamiliar with him. He was completely different from the 22-year-old protagonist she had imagined. Also completely different from the 19-year-old Axel she had last seen. Sensing someone approaching from behind, Axel slowly turned around. Axel apologized for his sudden visit. "Very grateful that Lady Ariadne could spare time to see me." Ariadne was stunned. She began to doubt whether this was really the Axel she knew. The person before her behaved elegantly. Every movement was full of politeness. In this short time, he displayed his elegant temperament to the fullest. I had arranged etiquette teachers to teach him before. He disappeared from my surveillance for 3 years. How did he spend these past 3 years? However, his grip was as strong as at the last banquet. I say, "Are you trying to crush my bones? If you have any questions, just speak directly." Axel clenched his fists, finally able to ask the question in his heart clearly. He just couldn't understand why Ariadne would refuse him twice in a row. "Could you tell me the reason for rejecting me?" he said. "I want to ask you instead. A noble of distinguished status actually wants to join a knight order. Tell me, who sent you to cause trouble?" To this, Axel replied, "If the reason you refuse me is because of my noble status, Then I can give up my title. As long as you let me join your knight order, no matter how hard it is, I can accept it. Seeing Ariadne's surprised expression, Axel lowered his posture even more. Even if I start from the lowest ranking knight, I have no objections. Actually, I'd rather be your personal bodyguard. Ariadne was somewhat speechless. When did this person become so talkative? I don't want to know what you want to become. What's your reason for coming again and again? Faced with this question, Axel suddenly moved closer. The reason? Because I fell in love with the beautiful Duke Eldir at first sight. Instantly, Ariadne's face became as black as the bottom of a pot. When did Axel become so frivolous? Ariadne remained expressionless, her tone mocking. So you're saying you've fallen for me? I think you need to go home and practice more, stop acting. Besides, I'm very busy. I don't have time to play this kind of game with you here. Does the Duke think I'm joking? Of course, with words like that, no one would believe you. Do you want me to tear out my heart to prove my sincerity? Hearing this, Ariadne said she had no time to waste here. Butler, see the guest out. In the future, this type of person will not be received at the Duke's mansion. I never expected that after growing up, Axel would become such a person. Axel stared intently at Ariadne's departing figure. I will never give up easily. Ariadne once again embarked on the path of conquering labyrinths. This time, she would conquer an advanced labyrinth shaped like a conch shell, located south of Eldir's territory. This labyrinth appeared decades ago. It was like a time bomb, making this area a place others dared not approach easily. Ariadne was determined to destroy these contaminated places one by one. If no corresponding measures were taken, the ecological environment would soon face threats from contamination. This would not only affect the survival of animals and plants, but also pose potential harm to humans. Ariadne clasped her hands together, praying that she and Priest Rior could meet smoothly. Eris said, "We've already agreed on a meeting place, at the entrance of the village inn." Blairy pointed to the side. "Lady Ariadne, if I'm not mistaken, there seems to be someone standing at the inn entrance over there. But why do I find him so familiar? Isn't this Priest Lion?" Lion looked in the direction of the voice. "Aha, we meet again. I was very happy cooperating with you last time. I look forward to fighting alongside everyone again every day." After confirming it was Priest Lion, Ariadne's face darkened. "I clearly asked the temple to send Priest Rior. Why is it this annoying Priest Lion again?" Eric was very direct. "Why is it you again? Don't you know your own capabilities?" Hearing this, Lion grinned. "I was sent by the temple. We don't need you. Quickly have the temple send us Rior instead." But Lion seemed somewhat arrogant. "Rior compared to me is not just a little bit behind. Besides, we have cooperation experience. Under my protection, none of you died or lost anything. Even Blair the close combat knight didn't get a single scar." Ariadne glanced at Leon beside her. It seems the successful conquest last time filled him with confidence. Priest Lion continued, "You must believe in me. I have extraordinary talent. I was born with golden eyes. This is enough to prove I'm the chosen one. However, Erich wasn't having it. Oh my, your god must be delusional. I guess that's how the world ended up like this in the first place." Veronica patted Erich's shoulder. "All right, don't try to reason with this kind of person. Save your energy." Erich felt curious. Why is Veronica so concerned about me today? Veronica replied flatly, "I'm not concerned about you. I'm just worried you'll cause trouble for the young lady. Ronnie, after all this time together, you're still targeting me with every sentence. Today, I must make you submit to me." Why did that annoying Priest Lion have to come again? Ariadne felt somewhat troubled. What should she do? Although requesting a different priest wouldn't be a problem for the temple right now, it would undoubtedly waste a lot of time. However, aside from being somewhat arrogant, Leon didn't really have any major issues. As long as he could perform normally this time, she believed this labyrinth expedition should go smoothly. If they really encountered difficulties, she still had a backup plan to deal with unexpected situations. This would be a perfect opportunity to test Blair and Veronica's abilities. If their strength proved sufficient, then they should be able to tame the third elemental beast quickly. Speaking of which, why didn't the temple choose to let Riora join my team? Not only do I donate large amounts of money to the temple every year, but I also hold the title of Saint. In previous years, they would do whatever I asked them to do. This is truly puzzling. Priest Lion, I clearly requested Priest Rior for this mission. Was he assigned to a temporary task? Upon hearing this, Lion still wore that mocking expression. Rior? Who's that? I've never heard of such a name. Even if this person exists, he's nothing more than an insignificant minor character. Ariadne was speechless. Having participated in only one successful raid, he had become extremely arrogant. Once this siege is over, I must go to the temple myself. This operation is codenamed Miram 13 and 10. As soon as they arrived at the entrance, Ariadne began planning this strategy. From now on, everyone follow my commands. This place is fraught with danger. I can sense that if you turn right then left over there seems to be a trap. Once someone enters, the entrance will disappear and that person will be isolated. More importantly, the isolated person might suffer from some unknown curse. PI had told me about the general structure of the labyrinth and the locations of the traps. Therefore, conquering this labyrinth should be effortless. Ariadne glanced at Priest Lion beside her. Honestly, she still didn't quite trust him, although he could easily dispel unknown curses. Even so, Ariadne was still unwilling to rely on this conceited priest's power. Just then, Veronica prepared to break open the labyrinth entrance here. Ariadne immediately called out to stop her. Ronnie, I understand what you're thinking, but opening this door will bring a curse, so we must decide who will open this door. Iris' gaze turned toward Priest Lion. Do we still need to decide? Isn't this exactly what a priest's duty entails? Lion stammered in fear. Why are you looking at me? Don't I just need to stay back here and heal you all? Ariadne naturally understood. She had Lion on standby. I'll open this trapdoor myself. Eric really couldn't understand why his sister would make such a decision. You don't even have divine power. How will you deal with an unknown curse? Even if you're an outstanding elementalist, you can't just take risks without preparation, right? Ariadne explained to her brother. Don't worry, even if I'm affected, as long as Lion can quickly help me dispel these effects, it'll be fine. Ariadne glanced at the priest beside her. Even if Lion can't immediately help me dispel these curses, he can still protect my soul. Lion looked quite embarrassed. Leave this matter to me. When you come out, I'll immediately help you dispel the curse. Things had come to this point, she could only choose to trust Lion. Ronnie, after you enter the room, the door will be locked. Please try to stay put for a while. Everything will be all right. Veronica gave Ariadne a reassuring smile. After Veronica goes in, the door will disappear. The moment it vanishes, dozens of monsters will pour out of the passage. I'll leave that to you, brother. And Blair. Eric muttered under his breath. Skeleton. For you to speak so calmly, you must have already used your celestial eye to foresee possible future accidents, right? Don't worry and go ahead. I'll be more focused on this matter than usual. Watching her brother turn around and silently prepare the magic circle, Ariadne knew deep down that he, like the other companions, all believed she possessed the miraculous ability to predict the future. Even so, in others' eyes, such a mission still seemed like a moth flying into flame. If it weren't for their complete trust in her, they wouldn't so easily follow her arrangements, so she was truly grateful for her companions. Without saying more, Eric had already finished setting up the magic circle. Blair swung his arm, summoning the tornado. The little cutie on his shoulder gradually expanded, and in the next moment, transformed into a super cool big guy. Everyone's coordination was simply perfect. When we get home, I'll definitely celebrate properly for everyone. Now then, it's my turn to take the stage. Ariadne slowly walked toward the entrance. She could only trust everyone and pray that Priest Lion would be able to demonstrate his abilities. Now, I'm going to open this door. Everyone must be careful. The moment Ariadne grasped the trap, a dazzling white light made it impossible for her to open her eyes. She had to admit, this type of mental spell was terrifying. Ariadne was drawn by some invisible force. When she opened her eyes again, she found herself in an unknown location. Even her mental connection with Pi couldn't be established. It seemed this mental curse was extremely powerful. In such situations, people might have nightmares or encounter spine-chilling scenarios. However, what puzzled Ariadne was that her hallucination was surprisingly calm. Although she was worried, she could only sit there honestly, waiting for the priest to release divine power to break the curse upon her. Just then, a blurry figure slowly emerged from the distant mist. Looking closer, this person was actually Axel. But Ariadne knew these were all just illusions. She quickly covered her mouth, afraid that something irreversible might happen in the illusion. I can't react, but why is he appearing in my illusion? To be precise, he's not the Axel I raised, but the protagonist Axel from the original novel. He seems to be aware of my presence. The Axel in the illusion gently caressed Ariadne's cheek with one hand. The corner of his mouth curved upward, his smile appearing so cunning. His mouth opened and closed, his voice unclear and muffled, as if it were some kind of curse, or like waves of piercing noise sliding by. Even covering her ears, that inexplicable fear still left Ariadne unable to move. What is he saying? In the original story, the protagonist became utterly despondent after failing to save the world. It was then that Axel had his own body stolen from him. The reason Axel failed every time he went back in time was because his ability to reverse time came from the Demon King's power. Every time he used this ability, he would briefly become the Demon King's possession. As the number of uses increased, gradually, he became the most suitable vessel for the Demon King. The moment he finally found the Demon King's decaying body in the massive labyrinth for the last time, strictly speaking, he had already failed. And as he realized all this, the novel's ending had also arrived. Ariadne was still thinking when the Axel in the illusion slowly approached her and kissed her lips. Ariadne came to her senses, feeling her stomach churn with waves of nausea she couldn't suppress. Arya, what's wrong with you? My lady! Blair gently helped up Ariadne, who had awakened from the nightmare. Lady Ariadne, everything's fine now. Have I already escaped from that environment? My stomach feels so uncomfortable. Don't worry, my lady. Drink the elixir quickly. Ah, yes, the elixir. I believe it will help ease my discomfort. Ariadne breathed rapidly, finally feeling her stomach settle down a bit. She looked at the pitch-black palm of her hand with some shock. Have I been contaminated? At this moment, Pi told Ariadne, the source of contamination this time entered through your lips. I was particularly worried when you fell into the hallucination. What happened? Ariadne explained. I saw the tragic ending from the original story inside. What happened at the end is rather embarrassing to mention. She had been inexplicably kissed by someone. Ariadne didn't want Pi to worry. Why would I see such scenes in the illusion? Could it be because I subconsciously felt attracted to the protagonist when I read the novel before? No, that must have just been a mental curse. I shouldn't think too deeply about this issue. Ariadne's pale complexion was clearly visible to Erich, who frantically shook the priest. Did you really provide adequate treatment for Arya? Priest Lion stuttered in fear. I really used all my strength to heal her. And so, to ensure Ariadne's safety, that day's labyrinth expedition ended early. Unconsciously, Ariadne slept deeply for 12 hours. After she woke up, she bravely set foot on the path to challenge the labyrinth again. After 2 days and nights of fierce battles, they finally reached the deepest part of the labyrinth's core area. Veronica returned from scouting enemy intelligence. My lady, the information ahead matches your description completely. There's no boss-like monster there, just a group of fluffy little creatures. Erich was skeptical. Are you sure you want to use that word to describe monsters? I really don't understand you anymore. When did your taste start changing? Veronica explained. They're only as tall as our calves, soft and fluffy like cotton candy. Hearing this, Ariadne stated, Ronnie is right. The boss of this labyrinth is hidden among these little guys. Erich still expressed doubt. Are you certain there's really a boss lurking among those cotton candy creatures? Ariadne firmly replied, I'm certain. There really is a boss lurking among those cotton candy creatures, and he's a troublesome opponent. If we can't eliminate him immediately, then even if we hunt down the other cotton balls, they'll increase their numbers through division. Blair couldn't help but frown. Then how can we quickly find the boss? Ariadne said indifferently. Ordinary monsters usually only have 2 eyes, while the boss has a 3rd eye on his forehead. That's excellent then. A boss with 3 eyes makes this much easier. We just need to find and eliminate it. Ariadne shook her head. It can't be manipulated at will. Its unique trait is that when its life is in critical danger, it will unhesitatingly devour its companions to restore its own energy and regain the ability to fight. Therefore, I suggest we temporarily hide within the individual defense systems I've set up. Ronnie and Blair will search for the boss. Once found, immediately prepare a separate space for it. When the boss loses its recovery ability and becomes emotionally unstable, that's the best time to attack it. Finally, just kill it. Next, Ariadne began arranging the subsequent matters. I'll choose a water-related domain. When the little monsters encounter water, they become listless, but don't let your guard down just because they look wilted. You just focus on finding the boss. Rest time is over. Everyone, please adjust your mood and state and prepare to depart. Lion said that he wanted to rest a bit more. Blair responded, all right then, you rest here. We'll take our leave first. Geez, why so serious? I was just trying to add some atmosphere to the tense mood. Everyone, let's do our best. Finish this battle early, and we can go back to rest early. After releasing the elemental power, Pi told Ariadne, today's great elemental is Heavenly Mirror. Its intimacy and curiosity combined amount to 60%. Don't worry, its friendliness exceeds 50%. You're safe and can use elemental power with peace of mind. Ariadne couldn't help but feel a sense of familiarity, as if she were in the middle of the ocean. Here, there was not only an azure sky and a mirror-like surface reflecting the deep blue ground, but it could also serve as territory for the great elemental to use. The ocean-like beautiful scenery was truly intoxicating. Combined with the lively and adorable little creatures visible everywhere, Ariadne really couldn't bear to disturb this peaceful atmosphere. Even Erich couldn't help but praise it a few times. Lion said, Lady Ariadne, did you make a mistake? How can you call such cute creatures monsters? The priest's remarks left Ariadne speechless. Please wake up. They're just scared by the water. Their original appearance is man-eating. Right now, Ronnie, Blair, you two immediately go search for the boss. Also, don't attack them now, or these little guys will go crazy. Don't worry, leave it to us. Watching the two leave, those little cuties scattered in fear. Priest Lion muttered to himself. What threat could this group of little cuties running around have? Look at these round little things. Where do they look like magical beasts at all? Just then, a monster approached in a panic. Priest Lion was instantly melted by its appearance. Little cutie, come this way. With a bang, the little monster was blocked by the defensive magic circle. The sound it made was truly heartbreaking. Priest Lion stepped out of the formation and reached out to pick up the monster. When Ariadne noticed, it was already too late. The priest has been charmed by this little monster in front of him. My lady, please come look. It's so cute and completely harmless. However, in the next moment, the little monster in the priest's arms suddenly reverted to its original form. Its gaping maw slowly opened toward the priest. Lion was so frightened he couldn't move. Blair, go save him quickly, Ariadne shouted. Blair glanced over, and the originally cute and well-behaved little guy revealed such a hideous true nature. And this troublemaker, has he been bewitched by the monster? Why doesn't he use divine power to shake it off? Blair's movements showed no hesitation. He summoned his second elemental beast, Magma. With just a light encounter, the monster was eliminated, but Lion's condition was not optimistic. Erich was furious. This damned troublemaker! I'll open the defensive barrier first to let them in. Give me this menace. Blair felt guilty. Sorry, Lion still got hurt. Ariadne glanced at Priest Lion. It's fine. This is what he brought upon himself. The monsters are no longer disguising themselves. They're starting to reveal their true nature. And our defensive formation has been broken by Leon. We should think about what to do next. The little monsters outside weren't thinking about much else. They let out piercing howls that were deafening. Ariadne and her group couldn't help but cover their ears. At the critical moment, Ariadne hurriedly called out, "Ronnie, come back quickly! We can barely hold on!" Veronica had no time for questions. She rushed to the scene and successfully regrouped with Ariadne and the others. Coming to her senses, Ariadne immediately contacted Pi, asking if they could change the territory to a snowy mountain. Pi replied, "The Great Elemental Permafrost Crown has no interest in this place because it feels extremely angry about Lion's presence. What should we do? If we forcibly connect with the Great Elemental Permafrost Crown, and Lion angers him again, that would also be counterproductive. Pi, help me look again. Are there any other powerful Great Elementals present?" Soon Pi gave a response. Currently, the most suitable Great Elemental is Pale Azure, with intimacy at 40%, satisfaction at 30%, interest at 20%, and other emotions accounting for 10%. Now you can use Pale Azure's elemental power. The moment Ariadne released her elemental power, the snarling monsters all fell into the water. In an instant, the world became so quiet and peaceful. That was truly dangerous. This damned lion nearly caused our complete annihilation. But speaking of which, they do look quite cute staying in the water. Could it be because they can't swim? Erich, just coming back to his senses, couldn't stop talking. This damned guy, why did he have to provoke the monsters and nearly ruin us all? Alright, brother, let's leave here for now. Let's go back and rest for a day, get our energy back, and come back tomorrow to meet the challenge. Why did I try to help with good intentions, yet that monster treated me like that? Lion had just woken up and started complaining. Erich really couldn't stand it. What are you babbling about here? Shouldn't you be saying something to us? Priest Lion looked confused. Say what? An apology, of course. Apologize for that foolish behavior. You nearly got us all killed, but Priest Lion got angry instead. You didn't save me immediately, and I haven't even blamed you. I think you all should apologize to me. I was the one who got hurt. Hearing this, Erich's anger flared even more. Seeing that Erich was not to be trifled with, the priest ran to Veronica's side. You should be able to understand my feelings, right? Being deceived by those cute monsters doesn't seem like a completely foolish act, does it? If you had been in my position at that time, you definitely would have been fooled just like me, right? Hearing this, Veronica was very cold toward him. Monsters are ultimately monsters. They cannot be defined by appearance. Anyone who actively approaches them is an idiot. Ariadne held her forehead. Veronica coldly added, "In this world, not a single monster possesses kind qualities. Please shut up." The priest awkwardly scratched his face, but he still wouldn't admit his mistake. "I really overestimated you all. It seems you'll need to come to the temple sometime to learn what divine mercy means." The Holy Book, Chapter of Compassion, Chapter 5, Section 9 states, "Even enemies should be treated with mercy, touched by benevolent hearts, so they may abandon evil and embrace good." Lion's endless rambling left everyone speechless, especially Erich. "I'm really fed up, causing nothing but trouble during fights, and now he's getting smug." Ariadne was also completely fed up with him. From the beginning, everyone had issues with him, and now their opinions were obviously even worse. Being arrogant was one thing, but not following orders and causing trouble for everyone was another. I can't gamble everyone's lives on this guy. Perhaps leaving here would be the best strategy. Lion, how is your injury recovery? Can you continue? If not, please let me know so I can make adjustments in advance. Lion showed Ariadne his wound. Now you can't even see a scar? Ariadne was speechless. This man's talent was indeed undeniable. But why did he have to have such a personality? Listening to the priest still talking incessantly about something, Ariadne made a decision. That was to reduce contact with Lion. Perhaps conquering the labyrinth would become much simpler. Lion, when we're conquering the labyrinth later, you'll stay put and wait. If danger appears, I'll call for you immediately. Obviously, this man wasn't easy to fool. What? Lady Ariadne, are you planning to abandon me? Can you really conquer the labyrinth without me? Veronica felt disgusted. Ariadne tugged at Veronica. Let's go. Let him stay here alone. The priest looked disdainfully at the departing Ariadne. Want to abandon me? It's not that easy. But Blair was very worried, fearing that Ariadne might suffer contamination and not receive immediate treatment. Ariadne smiled faintly in response. Don't worry, I have other methods. Without Lion causing trouble nearby, we might be able to eliminate the monsters more easily. Erich directly threw a magic barrier at the priest. You can't step outside this magic barrier until we return. What? Are you all crazy? You few are actually planning to leave me behind? How will you defeat the boss without me? Fine, you bunch of people who don't know your limits. Don't think leaving me alone will discourage me. When your divine power is exhausted, you'll definitely come crying to me for help. Especially Ariadne, usually acting all high and mighty. But when her divine power runs out, she'll definitely have to beg me too. Not long after, Lion grew somewhat impatient. It's been so long, why is the cave entrance still so quiet? This isn't what I expected. What if they encounter danger right now? Wouldn't they be completely helpless? At this moment, the hero must make a brilliant entrance. Only I can save you all. Lion was now completely immersed in his own imagination, completely unaware that a person in black had been following him from behind. In the deepest part of the labyrinth, Ariadne outlined her battle strategy. Erich still felt worried. But even so, the pressure you'll face must be enormous, right? Brother, things have developed this way. Why don't we try it? Maybe it won't be as difficult as we imagine. Once monsters fall into water, they become listless and can't even swim. What are we afraid of? Moreover, there's no need to use a snowy mountain to isolate the boss. As long as we let them soak in water, all problems can be easily solved. The only drawback is that if this territory becomes completely deep sea, my companions and I would also be unable to move. I can only construct some terrain above the deep sea so my companions can stand on solid ground. At this time, Pi offered a great suggestion. You just need to simultaneously use the power of Great Elemental Pale Azure and Great Elemental Verdant Basin to achieve this. Good idea. The next moment, the territory Ariadne created rose up. A vast green grassland was separated by the azure pure ocean, forming a solid and powerful barrier. And this piece of territory beneath our feet will become our advantage on the battlefield. After the monsters fell into the water, they immediately became dazed. Erich was shocked by everything before him and couldn't help exclaiming, "Skeleton, you're really crazy! No person in their right mind would ever create a domain like this." Veronica glared at Erich and gave him a brain flick. You don't even know how to give compliments properly. Through persistent effort, the monster boss finally appeared before everyone. Everyone pay attention. I'm going to create an area to trap the boss. Once the boss enters, it won't be able to escape. Erich expressed confusion. What kind of area? Ariadne lightly drew a line. Like this. I'll create a tight ground net. Once you trap the boss here, it will never be able to escape. Blair hesitated somewhat. Ariadne, are you serious? Of course I'm very serious. I've already conceived the divided area in my mind. You can boldly implement the plan. Veronica stated, I'm a bit confused. The place my lady mentioned seems like a waffle. And Erich greatly admired his sister. It looks like I'll be busy from now on. To deal with your elemental arts, I'll have to write a special book about your unique thinking. Blair volunteered, I think I understand. Then, let me guide the boss. The tornado flapped its wings and quickly led the boss into the area Ariadne had carefully arranged. At the same time, Erich and Veronica went all out, displaying their formidable strength. The boss instantly fell into a disadvantage. The companions are indeed outstanding. Even on such small footholds, they can't be hindered in their performance, steadily maintaining their balance and easily subduing the boss. And Ariadne only needed to wait in place for the battle to end. Just then, an accident occurred. Pi issued a warning. An intruder has appeared in the territory. The person was none other than Priest Lion. How did he follow us again? The priest looked in surprise at the scene before him. How did this land become like this? Lady Ariadne, I'm so happy to see you. But Ariadne wasn't impressed. How did you get here? Go back to the defensive shield immediately. Priest Lion was very annoyed. Why are you driving me away? Without me, you all are nothing. Get that straight. Just then, Blair accidentally flung the boss out of the area. The direction it flew was exactly toward Ariadne's position. This is bad. Lion was just attacked by a monster yesterday. I hope he can still stay calm. However, Ariadne's hope remained just hope. At this moment, Leon couldn't think much more. He instinctively grabbed Ariadne and used her as a shield in front of him. Damn it! Let go of me quickly! But it was too late. The panicked Lion slipped and fell backward toward the big pit. He didn't let go of Ariadne's hand, but dragged her down with him. This sudden accident made everyone present very worried. Even Pi was now extremely angry. Ariadne murmured to herself, Am I going to end my life here? Just then, Axel appeared. He extended his arm and saved her from danger. Ariadne was stunned. Shouldn't I have fallen down? No, it seems someone saved me. It's actually Axel. My god, he's truly persistent, actually chasing all the way here. You rejected me twice just because you brought along this kind of trash? How am I inferior to him? Ariadne was still in a daze. This shouldn't be a hallucination, right? Why would Axel appear in the deepest part of the labyrinth? Axel, are you real? Just then, Priest Lion called out to Axel. Hurry and pull me up! They can't do without me. Axel's face was gloomy. This priest had nearly killed his master. You'd better go down there. Just like that, Priest Lion fell into the hole. Axel, you actually threw him down! No, he just had an accident in the deepest part of the labyrinth. But this wasn't an accident. He's not dead yet. Quickly pull him up. But Ariadne's struggles had no effect. Axel held her tightly. He's already dead. I guess the monsters down there have already enjoyed a hearty feast. Although Ariadne didn't like Lion, encountering an accident and being pushed off a cliff were two completely different matters. Ariadne could feel life gradually disappearing within the territory. This is already the 6th time I've experienced this feeling, but I'm still not used to it at all. It seems I'm really not suited for experiencing these things. Pi sensed Ariadne's inner pain and immediately severed Ariadne's territorial perception connection. After recovering, Ariadne immediately inquired, Axel, why did you appear here? Veronica recognized the person immediately. The child Ariadne used to support and sponsor? How did he also come here? However, Eric didn't care about this. He saved Ariadne, so he deserves major credit. Before they could think more, the monster boss suddenly launched a surprise attack. Everything happened too suddenly, making Eric feel annoyed. Damn it, let's deal with this boss first. Ever since you and your team left the base, I've been following behind you. I just wanted to protect you properly. Ariadne found it truly unbelievable. He said he's been following from the very beginning until now? Axel stated, none of your teammates noticed. Doesn't that sound ridiculous? You possess such powerful elemental arts, yet they can't coordinate with you. My lady, don't you find this somewhat frustrating? Axel, don't be too arrogant. Is that so? I really can't understand. How exactly am I inferior to them? My master, could you give me a reason? What? He just called me master. How does he know that? Is he trying to figure out my identity? Ariadne felt somewhat alert. When you first met me, you said you fell for me at first sight, but now you call me master. Which statement is true? My companions never lied to me. Axel smiled faintly and said, when it comes to deception, I can't compare to certain people. Upon hearing this, Ariadne felt a bit panicked. What should I do? He seems so confident, as if he's already certain that I'm the target he's been searching for. Should I just come clean? Just then, Axel moved closer to Ariadne and said, Master, do you know how hard I've been searching for you? I even went to the right continent. Why can't you just admit it honestly? From Axel's expression and tone, it was clear. He was absolutely certain she was his master. However, compared to their last meeting, he had undergone significant changes. Well, why can't I honestly admit that I'm his master? After all, I was the one who suddenly abandoned him, but I didn't treat him like his original master did. On the contrary, I gave him the best life and education. Thinking about it this way, he shouldn't harbor any ill will toward me. Adrian, you really don't plan to admit it? Ariadne was startled. That was the fake name she'd used at the time. Axel, your master is called Adrian. Why are you so determined to find her? It's because I want to know some things. Ariadne let out a soft sigh. I knew it. He doesn't want to kill me. Then ask away. The next moment, Ariadne felt the restlessness of Axel's power. It was very similar to the aura when Uncle Ernst got angry. Could this be how he vents his emotions? Why are you angry? Weren't you confident? But why are you so surprised to hear me admit it? Axel chuckled softly. 3 years. I spent 3 years searching for you. Today, I finally got the answer I wanted. Ariadne's head ached. So what exactly is your purpose in finding me? What do you want to know? At this moment, Axel seemed like his brain had crashed. He stared at Ariadne for a long time without speaking. Finally, he mustered the courage to ask, why did you cultivate me? His question was within Ariadne's expectations. I'm not his enemy after all. Yet he was so persistent in finding me that he even went to the right continent. The only reason that could make him so obsessed would be this. Actually, you don't need to overthink it. I simply needed your abilities to accomplish a goal back then. A goal? What goal? To conquer the Great Labyrinth. Upon hearing the answer, Axel clenched his fists tightly. As expected, it's this. Ariadne was stunned. What kind of reaction is this? Thinking back to when I first stated this goal, uncle, aunt, and grandfather all thought I was young and reckless. Even Erich questioned me about it all night long. Only Ronnie, though puzzled, was the first to acknowledge my idea. But Axel didn't seem surprised at all. This was truly beyond my expectations. However, Axel wasn't satisfied with knowing just this. He strode toward Ariadne. Facing Axel's approach, Ariadne became somewhat wary. This scene reminded her of the illusion she had almost forgotten. In that phantom world, Axel had a mouth like a bottomless pit. Ariadne even couldn't help but want to reach out and explore the secrets within. Wait, why would I have such thoughts? Is this an after effect of the curse? Am I going insane? Hey, what are you thinking about? I still want to ask you another question. Adrian, please look into my eyes and answer, why did you abandon me? Why? Of course, because he's an unknown variable. But he probably wouldn't believe this answer. He will possess the ability to regress in the future, which will trigger a series of unknown events. Just like described in the original story, after fulfilling his adoptive father's dying wish, he unraveled the mystery of his own origins. Because of this, he remained trapped in pain and couldn't extricate himself. It's because I found someone more suitable than you. Ariadne still chose to lie. After all, this man is somewhat difficult to control. Axel was dumbfounded. You mean that red-eyed one? Yes, that's him. He will replace you in helping me. Axel, not being valued by his master, appeared quite dejected. I'm obviously very powerful. Why do you, Adrian, always look down on me? Seeing Axel's appearance made Ariadne's heart panic a bit. Alright, is there anything else you want to say? Did you misjudge Adrian? I'm not joking. I think his strength is worth acknowledging. Also, please call me Ariadne. Adrian was just one of my aliases. I also hope you can forget about those things and pursue a free and easy life, doing what you truly want to do. He laughed coldly. You mean from now on, I don't exist in any of your plans? I just hope that in your future days, you can freely pursue your own dreams. After all, you're no longer my pawn. You belong only to yourself. You're right, I'm no longer a pawn. That's exactly why I'm standing before you now, because this is what I want to do. Ariadne was puzzled. What exactly does he mean? Just then, Axel suddenly disappeared from his original position. He appeared in the center of the battlefield like lightning. Ariadne was shocked. What is he trying to do? Blair felt somewhat unsettled. He sensed the strong hostility emanating from Axel. Just as he was about to ask about his identity, a wildly swinging greatsword came slashing toward him. The attack came with tremendous force. Axel thought to himself, how much stronger can such a knight be compared to trash? Making him my replacement is simply an insult to me. With just one strike, Blair lost consciousness. It must be said that Axel was indeed very powerful. Veronica witnessed her companion being attacked. Without hesitation, she transformed into a shadow butterfly and struck swiftly. Instantly, the shadow butterfly split into countless small duplicates and attacked Axel. You should go back where you came from. You're not welcome here. Axel didn't respond. He nimbly dodged Veronica's attacks. To him, Veronica's assault was neither painful nor bothersome. He swung his sword again. The powerful aura made Veronica's heart tremble. Since Axel was an enemy, Veronica no longer held back. She got serious. Axel stepped back 2 paces and said provocatively, "You're slightly stronger, but only slightly." After speaking, he launched another attack. What? He actually has other elemental beasts? Everything before Eric's eyes left him in disbelief. Before he could react, the next moment, he became a frozen statue, only able to watch helplessly as he was trapped in place. Seeing her companion of unknown fate, Veronica's anger flared. No matter what, she had to rescue him. However, when she charged forward on her horse, a bright sun rose behind Axel. The light was excessively brilliant. Veronica realized in alarm, I can't dodge this move at all. Then came a muffled sound. Veronica fell like she had lost her soul, her eyes vacant. Blair, Veronica, and Eric all fell in defeat. Axel landed on the ground and slowly looked toward Ariadne's direction. Is this the level of your teammates? Simply pathetic. Ariadne looked at everything before her in disbelief. What exactly is happening? Wasn't he just going to spar a bit? Why are they all down? This is too cruel. Ariadne collapsed powerlessly to the ground, unable to accept this harsh reality. Pi, serving as reinforcement, immediately came out to analyze the life forms within the territory. Fortunately, everyone was severely injured but not dead. In the recent battle, Axel displayed elemental beasts of Thunderbolt for lightning, ice for glacier, and the great elemental of the White Knight was the Darkness Killer. If the data is correct, Axel now possesses most of the elemental beasts and great elementals that the protagonist had. At 22 years old, Axel's strength is now on par with the 24-year-old protagonist from the novel. Ariadne stared at the man before her. He's no longer the boy I sponsored, nor the protagonist from the novel. This madman who's cupping my face, who exactly is he? How about it? Is my strength quite formidable? Do you still think abandoning me was a wise decision? Come on, take me to achieve your goal. Axel thought Ariadne would be impressed with him, but quite the opposite happened. Now in Ariadne's eyes, Axel was just the face of an evil demon king wearing a smile. In other words, Axel's actions disgusted Ariadne. He was so selfish and ruthless. To prove his own abilities, he didn't hesitate to hurt others. Thinking of this, Ariadne was filled with rage. She fiercely shook off Axel's hand. I don't need someone like you. Axel was stunned. Am I still not strong enough? Ariadne stood up abruptly. You did such a thing and still want to join me? I would never trust a guy who beats down his own companions just to show off. You can go now. You're not welcome here. Upon hearing this, Axel felt as if his world was collapsing. He muttered to himself, Adrian, why is this happening? The furious Ariadne shouted out loud. I'll say this one last time. My name is Ariadne Eldir, not Adrian. If you don't leave, I'll do whatever it takes to drive you out. Ariadne's roar left Axel at a loss. He quietly gazed at his master before him. Sensing danger, Inferno howled as it protected Axel. confronting Ariadne with great momentum. This caused Ariadne to cough up blood. Seeing this scene, Axel could only leave. Inferno, let's go. Before leaving, he looked back at Ariadne once. Axel's heart was filled with unwillingness. He secretly vowed, I will definitely come back again. Ariadne, now alone, was swaying unsteadily. She raised her head to look at her companions nearby. Although everyone was severely injured, fortunately, they were all still alive. Ariadne finally breathed a sigh of relief. She took out a communication device and crushed it. The Dawn mercenary group would soon receive the message. The boss had been casually disposed of by Axel. Ariadne felt physically and mentally exhausted as she slumped to the ground, longing for the rescue team to arrive quickly. Without knowing it, she drifted into sleep. When she opened her eyes again, Ariadne was already lying on a comfortable large bed, while Veronica silently watched over her nearby. My lady, you're awake. Where is this? Don't worry, we're back in Eldir territory. In their conversation, Ariadne learned what happened afterward. Axel's strength left the teammates feeling very dejected. Eric left behind a letter saying he went to find his grandfather. If she guessed correctly, he went to learn more powerful magic. At this moment, Veronica knelt on one knee. My lady, I have something very important to say. I desire to become stronger. I want to tame a third elemental beast. Looking at Veronica's unwavering gaze, Ariadne didn't know how to respond. They had just become confident because of their recent achievements, but Axel single-handedly defeated them all. This kind of blow was unacceptable to anyone. Moreover, we can't even publicly share the process of this victory, because we can't explain our injuries to others. What a headache. Alright, if you insist on going, I can write you a note. You must keep it safe. Watching Veronica leave silently, Ariadne's mood became quite complex. Perhaps her choice was correct. At this moment, Blair suddenly spoke up. Veronica told me about that man's identity. I heard he's a child you used to sponsor. Forgive my boldness, but was my position originally his? Ariadne didn't know how to explain to Blair. Ariadne's silence confirmed Blair's suspicions. I understand. I have one last question. What was your reason for doing this? Ariadne said lightly. From previous experiences, I feel you're more suitable to be my teammate. His combat power is indeed very high, but he's also a very difficult guy to control. Actually, Ariadne didn't decide to replace Axel because of this reason, but now it seemed this had become one of the reasons. Based on his behavior that day, Ariadne, who once knew him inside and out, could no longer understand his thoughts. I'm very grateful that you didn't treat me as a replacement. But I understand that what I can do now is very limited. I also want to become stronger. Therefore, I've decided to go out and make my way in the world. Blair chose to leave, just like Veronica, embarking on the path to becoming stronger. Ariadne had originally hoped they would rest up before departing, but their desire to become stronger was very intense. Ariadne could only let them go, because she still needed to handle the labyrinth's aftermath, starting with informing the temple about the death of Priest Lion. But what she never expected was that all the explanations Ariadne had prepared ultimately went unused. This is truly regrettable. To compensate for his sacrifice, the temple will provide sufficient compensation to his family. She hadn't expected the temple to accept this reality so quickly. Perhaps it was because they deeply understood the hardships of eliminating mazes. Grand Priest, before I leave, I have one more question. This time, I clearly applied for Priest Rior. So why did the temple send Priest Lion instead? 5 years ago, Priest Rior resigned from his position and chose to return to his hometown to live in seclusion. A strange sense of unease welled up in Ariadne's heart. Could it be that because of her appearance, the original story's plot had experienced a butterfly effect? Excuse me, Priest, where exactly is his hometown? If I remember correctly, it's a town called Inaman Village. The location is somewhat remote. If you want to go there, I can hand draw a map for you. But let me give you some advice. It's better to give up the idea of looking for him, because there are rumors that people who go there never return. Understood, Ariadne thought to herself. I can have the Dawn mercenary group investigate first, and also inquire about Axel's situation. Since her companions left, Axel hadn't appeared again. But I inexplicably have a strong premonition that he won't give up just like that. Ariadne's heart was filled with unease and anxiety. She longed to understand Axel's current situation. Why had he gone to the right continent? And why had he attended her coming-of-age ball? Ariadne decided to take the initiative. Right, last time he said he received an invitation from Marchioness Oberon, which was why he came to the ball. This was a good lead. Ariadne decided to personally find the Marchioness to clarify this matter. It's my pleasure to have you as my guest, young Duchess Eldir. This truly brings me great honor. I'm genuinely very happy. Ariadne used the pretext of exporting elixirs to the right continent and inspecting workshop conditions for manufacturing. She also brought Isabel along for evaluation. Isabel was ostensibly Ariadne's secretary, but she was actually the real expert in assessment. After laying the groundwork, Ariadne finally asked her real question. At my coming-of-age ceremony, I met a nobleman from the right continent. I heard he attended because of your invitation. You mean Viscount Valentine, right? That's right. At the time, I had many things to handle and only chatted with him briefly. But how do you know people from the right continent? I do suppose it's not that common. My father is originally from Marlexir, therefore I maintain correspondence with some relatives over there. About 3 years ago, we started talking about elemental knights, and also discussed Viscount Valentine from the right continent. He's hailed as the first, with no one able to match him. Of course, on the left continent, you're also a peerless existence. Later, at a family gathering, I happened to meet him. In our conversation, he learned about your deeds, and told me he had a lost family member who was very similar to you. So I let him attend your ball. So what I thought was a chance encounter was actually a long-awaited reunion he had been anticipating. From the beginning, Axel specifically went to the ball to find me. I have to say, his insight is truly amazing. On the return journey, Belverette said, "My lady, it seems someone is following us. Who's so bold? We don't know if the person is friend or foe yet." Since Ariadne had settled accounts with the former Duke Eldir, no one dared to openly oppose her. So if I'm not mistaken, this person should be Axel. In the previous maze operation, my brother and the others didn't detect his presence. But today, Belverette noticed it. If it's not that Belverette's perception has become more powerful, then there's only one possibility: he's not deliberately hiding himself. This way, his purpose becomes obvious. Belverette, stop for a moment. I need to go greet our follower. Ariadne slowly got out of the carriage and shouted loudly, "Come out! You're not hiding yourself on purpose. Don't you want to see me? My lady, should we fight? No, you know this person, and you're no match for him. He's the one who previously applied to join the Knight Order. Stop hiding and come out quickly. What are you waiting for?" However, the person hiding in the bushes didn't make a sound. "Since you're pretending not to hear, I'll deploy my domain. I'll only count to 3. 1, 2. At this moment, a deer-shaped elemental beast came into view. If Ariadne hadn't read the original story, she would definitely be surprised. The owner of this elemental beast was none other than Axel. Belverette drew his sword. No matter who the visitor was, even if it cost him his life, he had to protect Ariadne's safety. But Ariadne found it quite amusing. She wasn't mocking others, but rather herself. In the past, to maintain the original story's plot, she had worked hard to train Axel, making him stronger. However, what I never expected was that after I abandoned him, his speed of taming elemental beasts became even faster. Could this also be a side effect of my changing the plot? "Why are you secretly following me? Wasn't what I said last time clear enough?" Axel said. "I presumed that you may soon have need of me, since you're all alone now." Belverette beside Ariadne was stunned. "What about me?" Ariadne was also very angry. "This man is too arrogant. Last time he injured my companions, and this time he's directly ignoring the person beside me. What exactly does he mean?" Ariadne realized she couldn't be too polite with him. She could only use her master's tone to speak with him, then he would be more obedient. "I told you not to follow me anymore." There was no way this would make Axel give up. He looked at Belverette beside Ariadne. "The person beside you seems utterly useless. Is there something wrong with you being alone, Adrian? I just want to protect you properly." Ariadne felt somewhat angry. Belverette was a bit nervous, sensing that Axel's strength was considerable and wondering if he could protect Ariadne. Ariadne was truly angered by this man. She said coldly, "Last time I clearly indicated I don't need you. Can't you understand what others are saying? Adrian, you don't need to be angry. You told me to do what I want to do, and I'm already doing it. Axel, I told you I'm not Adrian. I'm Ariadne. Moreover, I don't need someone as arrogant as you. Please leave immediately." Axel clenched his fists tightly. "Fine, I'll call you Ariadne from now on." However, Ariadne coldly refused. "Just go. How many more times do I have to say it? You'd rather take this incompetent person beside you than need me? So what?" Ariadne added. "To me, Belverette is more useful than you." Axel really wanted to punch down the person beside Ariadne. Seeing the situation turning bad, Ariadne stepped in front of Belverette. This time, she wouldn't let her companion get hurt like last time. "If you want to harm my companion, you'll have to step over my dead body." Seeing this, Axel could only slowly retreat. Ariadne hoped this time he would be completely disappointed in her, because unless absolutely necessary, she didn't want to use PI's suggested method on Axel. Although Axel was somewhat hurt inside, he wouldn't give up easily. "Since you don't want to be my master, why should I obey your commands?" After saying this, Axel slowly disappeared into the deepest part of the forest. Belverette indicated he could no longer sense his presence, but Ariadne firmly believed he hadn't truly left. He had just completely hidden his tracks. Now he was beyond control. In other words, he could attack people around Ariadne at any time. "Belverette, let's go. He won't come out for now." Belverette breathed a huge sigh of relief. "My lady, may I ask about your relationship with this guy?" Ariadne smiled faintly, not wanting to tell Belverette. Sorry, no, Belverette didn't ask further upon hearing this. After resuming their journey forward, Pai's suggestion kept echoing in Ariadne's mind. He needs a place to settle down and take root. Do I really have to give him a rooting goal? And let him work mindlessly? What should I do? This time's destination, Inaman Village, was Priest Ryur's hometown. All the villagers in this village shared the surname Inaman. Whenever commoners without surnames came here, they would change to this surname. Gradually, Inaman became the common surname of this village. About 4 years ago, this village suddenly lost contact with the kingdom, and then ominous rumors about this village began to spread. People came to investigate during this period, but everyone who came here mysteriously disappeared. The royal family began to suspect that the villagers were deliberately creating these rumors to evade taxes, so they directly dispatched an elite squad to investigate the situation. However, the news they received was that all the investigators had been devoured by monsters. If the royal family wanted to continue collecting taxes, they would have to send another sufficiently powerful team to attack the maze. But, puzzlingly, the royal family ultimately abandoned their tax collection plan for this place. From then on, everyone who entered Inaman Village never returned, and no one knew what had happened to them. But Ariadne was very puzzled. She lifted the curtain and asked Belverette, "Have you noticed that the number of monsters here isn't as many as reported?" Belverette agreed with her observation. Believing that compared to other mazes the mist had previously eliminated, this village was hardly worth mentioning. Just then, Ariadne encountered members of her Dawn mercenary group. They looked very anxious. Belverette decided to ask what had happened. Before he could speak, the mercenary member spoke first. "My lady, have you received the second report?" Ariadne was confused. "What?" The mercenary member anxiously stepped forward. "Well, my lady, there's something off about that village. We launched 3 operations in total, with 7 people. It's been 7 days since then, and none of them have sent back any word." Ariadne would never abandon her mercenary team members. She unleashed the territorial power of the Great Elemental. Yet even as she stretched her domain far and wide, she couldn't make out the village's exact location. Through continuous attempts, Ariadne finally discovered several small wooden houses shrouded in mist. Though she couldn't see them clearly, that should be Inaman Village. In the haze, Ariadne spotted someone in the village who looked very much like a mercenary team member. The fog was extremely thick. Ariadne speculated this was magically generated mist. Indeed, there was something suspicious about this village. Priest Ryur had retired here 5 years ago. It was said his parents had passed away, and he needed to return home to care for his young siblings. Could it be that the village had become abnormal from that time onward? Just then, someone appeared behind Ariadne. When Ariadne turned around, she saw it was Axel. She frowned. "Didn't I tell you not to follow me? Not letting you follow me openly doesn't mean you can secretly tail me." Axel showed no anger or irritation as he slowly approached. "Don't you need me right now? What are you talking about? Aren't you going to that village to meet the retired priest Ryur? I can go in your place." Axel's directness left Ariadne at a loss for words. His clear eyes seemed to cast magic, yearning for Ariadne to say she needed him. However, Ariadne wasn't having any of it. "You should leave this place. Whether in the past or future, I don't need your help. Please don't harbor any illusions. What you need to do now is turn around and leave." After saying this, Ariadne ignored him completely. Not giving Axel any opportunity, she wrote letters to the Dawn mercenary group, Weaver Territory, and Eldir Territory, waiting for their support. Upon hearing this, Axel gritted his teeth so hard they made grinding sounds. "She'd rather spend this much time waiting for reinforcements than use me even once. I'm definitely going to that village. Before the sun sets today, wait for me to return." These inexplicable words made Ariadne's heart skip a beat. "What? Where are you going? Come back!" Axel replied coldly. "You're not my master. I have no reason to obey your commands. This man really does whatever he wants," Pai said quietly. "Ariadne, he really does listen to you. Pai, stop stirring up trouble. Axel has completely lost control." Ariadne was frustrated by Axel's behavior and could only sit alone in her tent, staring into space. He said he'd return before sunset. But now night had fallen, and he still wasn't back. Could he have run into trouble? That seemed unlikely. After all, he was the first elemental knight in history to sign a contract with a great elemental. Moreover, the 4 elemental beasts he had tamed were the cream of the crop. His growth rate was faster than that of protagonists in novels, so how could he possibly encounter danger? With this thought, Ariadne felt that sleeping would be the right choice. Perhaps when I wake up, I'll hear news of his return. But even when the sky began to lighten, there was still no word from Axel. Ariadne was very worried about Axel. He had gone alone, and if he encountered danger with no one to help, what would happen if he accidentally ran into peril? Ariadne didn't want to see such an outcome. Axel's awakening of his resurrection ability happened after he reached the Imperial capital, and that time was still very far away. If he truly met with misfortune now, then everything would really be over. Losing him would definitely be my greatest loss. But my current dungeon conquest plan never included him from the start, so his life or death has no impact on me whatsoever. Furthermore, if he died, then the Demon King would lose the vessel meant for his future incarnation. In that case, the tragedy of the Demon King's descent and world destruction wouldn't occur. So Axel not returning would actually be a good thing. My lady, what happened? Nothing, I'm just thinking about things and got a bit distracted. The calmed Ariadne felt disgusted with her own thoughts. How could I think such things? No matter what accident befalls Axel, the Demon King will seek a new vessel for resurrection. At least now I know who the Demon King's future vessel will be. If their target truly changes, things will only become more complicated. Ariadne was deeply troubled. She hoped Axel could automatically awaken his resurrection ability at the brink of death. After all, the protagonist's resurrection ability wasn't obtained through certain means, but was triggered at a specific point in time, so Axel couldn't die. This way, the tragedy might not come to pass. He has the power to save the world, and I have the power to save him. I've been by his side since he was 12, watching him grow. To me, he's no longer just a novel's male protagonist with whom I have no connection, but a living, breathing person. I can't just watch him encounter danger. Belverette, I'm here. Stay on standby here. I need to go into the village to check the situation. No, I cannot agree to this. I know you're worried about me, but I must go personally. I don't want to regret this for the rest of my life. Axel is waiting for me. I believe I can rescue him. Just then, a figure slowly emerged from the mist. It was indeed Axel. Ariadne froze completely. Is this an illusion? I apologize for not returning in time, but I found the priest named Ryur Inamin. Ariadne could no longer control her temper. She reached out and grabbed Axel's collar, demanding to know why he had gone in on his own. Her voice was filled with anger and confusion. Her whole body was trembling slightly. Though her words blamed Axel for his wrongdoing, her heart was full of worry. Axel was also helpless. He was willing to do anything for Ariadne. He apologized to Ariadne. Ariadne, because I was unfamiliar with the village. The time I spent exceeded my expectations. Stop with the useless talk. Do you know how anxious the person waiting outside was? Were you waiting for me? Were you worried about me? Human life is precious. I'd be concerned about anyone. Even Priest Lion, I felt just as uneasy and guilty about him back then. Axel truly couldn't understand why Ariadne disliked him so much. She actually compared him to that disgusting Priest Lion. Why won't you just accept me? I really don't know what I've done wrong. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ariadne decided to properly correct Axel's thinking. To show off your strength, you hurt my companions. Do you still think you did nothing wrong? In truth, Ariadne didn't want to force Axel. She didn't want him to become as unfortunate as in the original story. She wanted to give him freedom, to let him choose his own destiny autonomously. But the current Axel had become more powerful than anyone. With his help, Ariadne's plans would be twice as effective with half the effort. She had no reason to refuse Axel's assistance, but she also worried she couldn't control his power. Most importantly, he had hurt her companions. This uncontrollable powerful factor made her uneasy. Axel was rejected once again, feeling empty inside, as if the whole world had abandoned him. Loneliness, loss, and helplessness pressed down on him until he could barely breathe. Finally, Axel chose to admit his mistake. I'll treat them better from now on. Can you give me a chance? Ariadne was stunned. Is this still the Axel I know? In the original story, Axel was a cold and heartless person who didn't care about anything. His relationship with his companions was terrible. He wasn't even willing to cooperate with them. Could he really improve his relationships with everyone? Could he actually do it? Axel didn't want to become someone insignificant in Ariadne's life. There were things he had to do. To change past mistakes, he decided to make an effort. No matter what, he would work hard to build good relationships with Ariadne's companions. Handling interpersonal relationships should be simpler than taming great elementals, right? But in Ariadne's view, for Axel, taming great elementals was easier than building good relationships with people. What do I have to do for you to accept me? If you want me to accept you, then... Belverette, come over here. Someone wants to apologize to you. Are you joking? Axel said. What? Didn't you look down on Belverette before? Axel didn't know that what Ariadne hated most was people being rude to companions. If Axel couldn't let go of his arrogance, then he should just stay by himself. Finally, Axel swallowed his pride. I've decided to apologize. If you're going to apologize, then apologize properly. Gritting your teeth like that, are you unwilling? Belverette, he promises to keep apologizing until you're satisfied. Of course, if you think he's just putting on an act and not apologizing from the heart, then it's perfectly fine if you never forgive him. At this moment, Belverette couldn't help but chuckle. Ariadne added, if you don't want to apologize, you can leave any time. Ariadne thought to herself, given Axel's personality, he would definitely choose to give up apologizing. Anyway, teasing him like this was quite funny. A moment later, Belverette came to report. My lady, Axel has apologized to me. Ariadne could hardly believe it. So quickly? Did he really apologize to you sincerely? Don't hold back just because he's Axel. My lady, I originally planned to give him a hard time for a while, as you suggested. But when he apologized, he had such a pitiful, wronged expression that looked so pathetic, I couldn't help but want to laugh. In any case, I've accepted his apology. He said he had offended me greatly before. He even bowed to me and asked me to put in a good word for him with you. It's truly unbelievable. Axel really has changed a bit. I thought he had become an uncontrollable madman. Axel, you did quite well. However, I still can't completely trust you. Then what exactly do I need to do for you to trust me 100%? Ariadne answered without hesitation. You also hurt Eric, Veronica, and Blair. They were seriously injured by you. You should sincerely apologize to them. Axel indicated no problem. Then can I fight alongside you? That's right. If you want to fight side by side with me, you must get along harmoniously with my companions. Only if you can earn forgiveness from those three will you truly pass the test. Axel found it troublesome, but to join Ariadne as soon as possible, he could only put away his arrogance. How annoying. I understand. Now everything was fine. Axel had joined the team as he wished. Ariadne thought he was quite adorable, like a big black cat with a terrible temper. Master, please stop teasing me. Don't you urgently need my intelligence? Yes, I need it very much. But from now on, you can call me Ariadne. You don't need to call me Master. Speaking of which, my companions all address me differently. Ronnie always calls me my lady, while big brother Eric occasionally calls me Ariadne, but usually refers to me as Skeleton. Blair, who joined later, he always calls me Lady Ariadne. Since I've been nurturing you since childhood, calling me Ariadne is just right, but I still prefer calling you Adrian. After all, I've been addressing you that way for so many years. That was just a false name. Since you already know my true identities, you should call me Ariadne. Now, share with me what you saw and heard in the village. At this point, Axel became serious. How should I put it? From the outside, nothing seems abnormal. But in the center of the village stands a massive temple that looks particularly out of place. At the temple entrance is a priest. This priest is exactly the Ryur you've been searching for. The key point isn't this, but that the villagers all enter the temple before sunset and don't come out until the next morning. Their mental state is very poor. Because that temple has a magic circle set up, I couldn't enter. Though breaking this magic circle would be simple, I was worried about alarming the villagers. Did you see our mercenaries? Yes, I've seen them. They also entered the temple like the villagers. Only I can move freely in and out because I have the protection of Inferno. What exactly is happening in that temple? Ryur resigned from his priestly position, yet suddenly appeared at this village's temple. Ariadne didn't want to sit idle. She decided to enter the village to investigate. Axel, can you take me in? Axel replied, of course. Ariadne decided to enter the village with Axel. Even if she couldn't meet Ryur, she had to safely bring her team members out. Axel was puzzled by Ariadne's decision. Ariadne, why do you always insist on saving those useless people? I've emphasized many times that we shouldn't look down on anyone in our team. Fine. Since you're so insistent, I'll take you in. Shortly after, Ariadne and Axel decided to set out for the village. No matter how dangerous the path ahead, Ariadne pressed forward courageously. This was not only confidence in her own abilities, but more importantly, she knew Axel's power was tremendous. He obeyed Ariadne's every command. And with him as company, Ariadne had nothing to worry about. After entering the village, Ariadne felt somewhat panicked. Should we avoid their guards and sneak in secretly? Axel indicated it wasn't necessary. They've already been controlled. They won't stop us from coming and going. That's strange. Doesn't that make the guard posts they've set up useless? Though Axel didn't understand the reason, so what? Even if they wanted to stop us, they couldn't block my advance. Look, that's the temple. Ariadne looked ahead. This temple was indeed magnificent, but it should appear in a city, not in a small village with fewer than 100 permanent residents. Ariadne wanted to find a villager to ask, but after the villager was touched, he immediately became excited. God must be summoning me. I am the most loyal believer. Today, I will offer my life as a sacrifice. Ariadne watched everything before her, feeling shocked. What was wrong with the villagers here? Thinking carefully, their bewitched appearance seemed very familiar. Could it be that people from the Black Goblet had interfered? That's right. When she was 12, she met Rita and obtained some information from her. With Pai's help, Ariadne gained more intelligence. Ariadne was certain that only those who had obtained the Black Goblet could methodically build an isolated village and bewitch all the villagers. Axel, I think I've guessed the identity of the mastermind. You mean the Dark Mage? Exactly. It seems you've also had contact with them. You mentioned earlier that they gather at the temple in the evening. Let's wait and see. Axel indicated agreement. When your mercenary team members appear, I'll drag them right out. Soon, the setting sun cast a thin golden veil over the earth with its weak light. The originally quiet villagers began to stir. They swayed unsteadily, step by step toward the temple. They're starting to move. Axel, let's act according to the situation. Ariadne, look over there. That's Ryur, the one leading the villagers into the temple. Ariadne expressed confusion. Why are his eyes so clear, yet his behavior so strange? Logically, a priest couldn't possibly obtain the power of the Black Goblet. His golden pupils symbolize divine power and are the strongest evidence. If a priest wanted to obtain the power of the Black Goblet, then the gods would take away his golden eyes and his life. Betraying the gods is a dead end. So what exactly is Ryur's situation? Axel moved quickly. He hauled the mercenary group members out from among the villagers. Ariadne was exasperated. Axel, can't you be more careful when rescuing people? Though they're unconscious now, when they wake up and find themselves covered in bruises, how am I supposed to explain? Ryur at the temple entrance seemed to notice what was happening here too. His expression looked somewhat unnatural. Seeing Priest Ryur's expression, Ariadne was suddenly stunned. He seems to be conscious. It appears he bears us no ill will. He must be being coerced. Before entering the temple, Priest Ryur subtly mouthed some words. Ariadne understood. He was hoping they could help them. Presumably his family and the villagers were being held hostage by the Black Goblet people. The Black Goblet people were using him. That would explain why Ryur still possessed golden pupils. Axel expressed confusion. Do you really have to have that priest join us? He doesn't look like anything special. Why would you personally come to this remote place to find him? His divine power isn't even as strong as that lion's. Ariadne, what exactly do you see in him? Hearing Axel's words, Ariadne fell into contemplation. Axel was right. The reason Ariadne wanted Priest Ryur to become her team member was because she wanted everything to proceed according to the original story's plot. But now with Axel's addition, Priest Ryur no longer seemed so important. Yes, I don't absolutely need him now, but what? We can just take the mercenary team members and leave. Ariadne said, Stop right there. I haven't finished speaking. Axel didn't want to linger here. Since you say you don't need him, then we have no reason to meddle in affairs here. No, even if I don't need him, I still have to rescue the villagers here. We can't let the Black Goblet people do as they please. I really don't understand your thinking. What benefit do you get from helping them? Ariadne was speechless. It seemed Axel's character hadn't changed much from the original story. His destruction of dungeons wasn't to save the world's people, but because he believed the dungeon's appearance was related to his own background. He had no idea what responsibility meant. Therefore, to him, people who didn't matter were inconsequential. Additionally, because he possessed red pupils and was ostracized by others, he developed a disgust for humanity. Ariadne could only change her approach. Axel, don't you know there are benefits to eliminating the Black Goblet? The Great Labyrinth is the demon world's core stronghold, and those who obtain the Black Goblet's power serve the demon world. We're already planning to destroy the demon world's stronghold, so why not also eliminate those who gain the Black Goblet's power? They've been hiding in the shadows, making them hard for us to find. With such a perfect opportunity, do you really want to give up? Ariadne couldn't appeal to Axel's emotions, so she used something that interested him to redirect the conversation. This reason was clearly insufficient. Axel didn't want to make enemies of those who had obtained the Black Goblet's power. This left Ariadne very confused. What exactly had Axel experienced? Why was he opposed? Could he be afraid? Axel explained to Ariadne, I'm not a coward. It's that those cowardly guys aren't worthy of being my enemies. When they encounter me, they'll only kneel and beg for mercy. I didn't mean to look down on you. I know you're not a coward. Really? Really? Hearing this, Axel smiled. Ariadne, you do understand me after all. But you make me feel unfathomable. I'll prove myself. Just wait and see. As soon as he finished speaking, Axel's figure instantly vanished before her eyes. Ariadne was caught off guard. Where are you going? Why do you always act on your own? Axel was still that uncontrollable person. Really, this fool. How much could I possibly have against you? No, I have to catch up and tell him I don't understand him at all. If I truly understood him, I could have stopped him before he left on his own. At this moment, Pi sent a warning. Abnormal approach detected. I've switched the connection to private channel. Pi, what happened? Pi explained, this should be the work of Black Goblet believers. If the communication channel is opened, they'll attempt to connect and draw power, so I can only temporarily cut off abnormal connections. I see. Thank you, Pi. You're welcome. It's my duty. Simply put, these believers are those dark sorcerers who obtained the Black Goblet. Because they were rejected by the great elementals, they turned to establishing connections with the demon world to gain power. According to Rita and the library materials, the Demon King has 3 leaders under his command, and the elemental masters who obtained the Black Goblet borrowed their power. Their method of borrowing power follows the same principle as elemental arts, so if I opened my own channel, I could definitely draw out the demon world's leaders. Thus, Ariadne unhesitatingly took out all the elemental stones she had accumulated. With these, she might be able to resolve this village's crisis. Elemental stones are crystallized condensations of elemental power, essentially power crystals separated from great elementals themselves. Whenever elemental masters need them, they can retrieve and use the elemental stones stored in their channels with their guide's help. Now I will begin casting elemental arts. Once the elemental stones are used up, Pi, please replenish them immediately. The evil temple's doors, I shall break them open.